This young man is Han Feng, and he is struggling to survive through the ice age of the world. But unexpectedly, he dies at the hands of his lover and her paramour. Fortunately, Han Feng is reborn to the time before the world plunges into the ice age. But it was also thanks to that event that he discovered he possessed a special ability. Dangers lurk from all sides. Can Han Feng survive this doomsday in this life? Everyone, please follow Kingdom Manhwa to watch this fascinating story. Everywhere is covered with ice. The Earth has now entered an ice age. Everyone is huddled up in the face of this sudden cold. The Earth's temperature continues to drop, with no sign of improvement. But please do not give up hope. The announcement keeps reassuring everyone that the government will not abandon us. As long as we unite, we can definitely get through this disaster. The signal is gradually being lost due to the fluctuating temperatures. Let us all... The TV is about to give out. After that, the signal was completely cut off. A trembling voice inside the tent. Han Feng. The tone of voice grew weaker and weaker. Han Feng. He was still trying to break down the door. Huina inside the cramped room was still trying to call out, Han Feng. The door opened and he looked inside worriedly. Huina, why did you come here? Han Feng opened the door, gesturing. Come in quickly. It is very dangerous outside now. She raised her hand to stop the door. Huina kissed him on the lips without hesitation. The sound of the two of them echoed throughout the corridor. Their lips parted with gasps. Han Feng looked at her in confusion. You kissed me as soon as I opened the door. Huina, what is wrong with you? Huina looked down and replied, because I discovered that you, Han Feng, are the one who deserves to be my lover. Her eyes welled up. You only see true love in times of adversity. Only someone who truly loves me will give me everything unconditionally. Huina continued to press herself against him. If you do not believe me, feel my heart. I can do anything for you now. Han Feng's face flushed red. Anything? Her calf was touching Han Feng's lower body. He was trembling with embarrassment. Han Feng trembled as he tried to utter each word. Huina, I am glad you can understand my feelings. But now... She hurriedly interjected. Shh, you do not need to say anything. Huina's tone became gentler and gentler. Can you just close your eyes? Han Feng listened and closed his eyes tightly. I have closed my eyes. Then, what? At this moment, a hand reached out. A man quickly appeared and eliminated Han Feng. Huina trembled with fear. Why? Why did you kill him? The man replied with an indifferent tone. Don't pretend in front of me. You know in your heart that he had to die anyway. Besides, the world has been without rules for a long time. No one will care about one less life. Han Feng's body was covered in blood. Let us collect the supplies this guy hid first. As long as we try for a few more days, someone will come to rescue us. His hands trembled painfully. Han Feng's face was covered in blood. He could not move. I have been killed. So this is the experience of death. Their amorous voices echoed in his ears. Aya, you rascal! Where are you touching? Wait a moment before doing it. You really are a little vixen who is good at acting. I will slowly reward your performance, just now later. At this moment, Han Feng realized that in the end, it was all because of that venomous woman. He said to himself, in the next life, I won't be a simp lord anymore. Light suddenly appeared in his subconscious, that is. Han Feng involuntarily raised his hands forward. The light is so warm. The light slowly dissipated when Han Feng's hand touched it. Is this the path to heaven? Those lights were entering Han Feng's body? That is not right. My hands are light. His body gradually dissolved. Han Feng screamed in pain. In the blink of an eye, Han Feng's body was gone. Han Feng sat up abruptly, covered in sweat. He suddenly realized, I am... Han Feng stared blankly at the sunlight, shining through the window. The wind rustled outside the corridor. Half an hour later, Han Feng reached out to embrace the sunlight. So warm. I thought I would never feel it again. He felt a little dazed. He confirmed the time again. It is June 28th now, and the apocalypse starts on July 15th. I, who was originally killed, have returned to half a month before the apocalypse began. So that means Han Feng was stunned to realize that he had been reborn. He looked at his hand that was emitting fire. But this rebirth seems to have brought about a strange symptom. Since I woke up, this red light has been surrounding my right hand. Han Feng kept waving his arm, but apart from feeling a little hot, the light did not bring anything strange and did not have any function. At first, he even thought he was hallucinating. Suddenly, he felt an itch in his nose, a chew. After that, Han Feng unexpectedly looked at his hand, changing color. It is turning green. Han Feng's eyes widened in surprise. The green light from his hand spread out powerfully and even grew larger. The door was quickly closed. Han Feng entered the room. He gasped for breath wearily. He was covered in sweat. My body can emit light. What is the principle behind this? Han Feng was surprised. It is shrinking again, he pondered. This green light is not like the red light. It is sometimes big and sometimes small. He sat down on the chair wearily. Han Feng kept wondering. Suddenly, he felt like his blood sugar was dropping. Could it be because of the appearance of this green light? He angrily waved his hand repeatedly to get the light away from his hand. Damn it! What the hell is this? Han Feng suddenly paused. Wait, it seems like this scene was mentioned in the novel. He picked up the knife in his hand. After being reborn, the protagonist in the novel will have. Pride rose in Han Feng's heart, a cheat-like ability. Han Feng scratched his head embarrassedly. It does not seem like anything is happening. In the quiet space, a sound suddenly came. Glug, glug, glug. His stomach was growling. Han Feng opened the refrigerator. Inside was only a bottle of mineral water. There was nothing to eat in the refrigerator. His body was getting paler and paler. This is not good. If I do not put something in my mouth, I am afraid I will faint. Han Feng saw a jar of snacks across the room. His exhausted body slumped onto the sofa. Soybeans, snacks I bought before the apocalypse. This is not enough to fill me up. I have to go to the supermarket for a round later. Han Feng used the hand with the light to pick up a soybean. He opened his mouth and put it in. Suddenly, an explosion occurred. A bean sprout grew in Han Feng's mouth. Han Feng pulled out the branch. Roots appeared from his mouth. His face was blank. This is... Soybeans turned into... Han Feng also realized that the feeling of fatigue had disappeared. He looked at his glowing hand from earlier. The green light was also gone. Could it be related to this green light? His finger touched the left side of the branch. When he broke it off, Han Feng was really shocked. This is a soybean. He reassured himself. This probably is not my ability, right? This is really an amazing discovery. I have to study it when I have the chance. Han Feng looked at his empty refrigerator. But the important thing now is to collect supplies before the apocalypse happens. A bird chirped on the branch. The street was bustling with people. Han Feng merged into the crowd on the street. After waking up, first the red light appeared on my right hand. Then it turned green. The green light was sometimes big and sometimes small, and it also made my heart rate increase, making me feel more tired. Then, I used the hand with the green light to hold the soybean, and then it turned into a bean sprout. His face was pensive as he looked at his hand. What kind of ability is this anyway? Footsteps came from behind him. A voice kept calling, Han Feng. She walked over with a face full of vitality. Han Feng, what a coincidence. Are you also out shopping? Her face flushed red when she saw Han Feng. We are really destined. Seeing the person who killed him in the previous life, Han Feng jumped. Li Huina. Looking at her kind and hypocritical appearance, Li Huina, the goddess I pursued for 3 years. As long as it was something she wanted, I would try my best to satisfy her. His body suddenly trembled, even though I knew she only saw me as a spare tire. Han Feng's eyes became angry, but unexpectedly, I was killed by her in the end. He clenched his hand tightly, trying to calm himself. Calm down. Han Feng said to himself, now is not the time for revenge. I have to solve the problem of supplies first. The call was still coming, Han Feng. She appeared right in front of Han Feng. What are you spacing out for? I have been calling you for a long time. He forced a smile in response. Ah, sorry. It is just that I think Huina has become even more beautiful, so I was mesmerized just now. She giggled. You rascal, when did you learn to talk like that? Huina leaned in, revealing her seductive appearance. It is a good coincidence that we bumped into each other today. How about taking the opportunity to stroll around the street? Han Feng coldly brushed past her. Sorry, I can't today. Huina was suddenly stunned. Huh? He thought disgustedly. You want to use me as a sugar daddy to pay for you again? I am not as stupid as before now. At the shopping mall, the supermarket was bustling with shoppers. WD Ma'am Supermarket in City A is the largest supermarket with the most diverse goods in the eastern region. Snow fell on the building, but with the arrival of the Ice Age, the entire supermarket was cleaned out in one night. In the end, they could not find out who did it. Han Feng pushed a cart of food. In the few days before the apocalypse arrives, I have to hoard as many supplies as possible. He kept checking information online. Food, thermal clothing, medicine, daily necessities, fuel. There were many things to prepare. Han Feng looked at the balance in his account, but the biggest problem right now is... He hugged his head helplessly. This little bit of money is not enough to stock up on anything. Suddenly, a message rang on his phone. The screen displayed, information, loan, notification. Your 2023 assessment results have been released. The loan amount has increased to 168,600 yuan. Failure to confirm will invalidate it. Click on N15G3.cn on FGH2C to confirm. Press F to reject. He realized at this moment, that is right. Why did not I think of that at the beginning? Han Feng tapped on the phone triumphantly. Aren't there many places where I can borrow money? Anyway, I do not need to repay it when the doomsday comes. A can was kicked on the street. Weena walked down the street sullenly, unwilling to accept it. He is just one of the simps I have. How dare he reject me? Her eyes became even more sinister. This is really annoying. Huina cursed inwardly. He is just a poor guy who does not even have a car. Don't think I will give you a good look. The sound of a car horn caught her attention. Beep. The car quickly stopped beside Huina. He lowered the window from inside. Hi, is that Huina? She was momentarily shocked, Han Feng. Huina asked, unexpectedly. Is this car yours? Han Feng got out of the car and replied triumphantly. I just bought it. He smiled cunningly at Huina. My old man has been making quite a bit of money overseas these past 2 years, so he gave me a little. I just saw him off at the airport. Hearing this, her face became gentle. Huina began to look down. She put on a pitiful expression. So you were sending your dad to the airport today? I did not know and still asked you to take me for a stroll. I am sorry. Huina's voice trembled. I thought you were abandoning your friend, me, because you were so cold just now. Han Feng smirked. You silly girl. He wrapped his arm around Huina's waist. Han Feng gently lifted her face. Does letting you be matter? You are very important to me. Huina smiled smugly. She continued to act shy. Actually, in my heart, you, Han Feng, are also a very special existence. I can go out to eat and watch a movie with you today. I also want to learn more about you. When Huina looked up excitedly, Han Feng had disappeared. What do you think? Her face suddenly stiffened. Han Feng went to the storage area in the back, which was full of goods. Yeah, I still have to move this stuff upstairs today. So busy, so busy. Huina was angry. Huh. She tried to suppress her anger and asked, why did you buy so much stuff? It is nothing, Han Feng replied while carrying a box of things. Just some things I like. Han Feng turned to her and said, that is right. There is also a gift I bought for you. Huina's eyes lit up. A birthday present. Huina left in high spirits. Okay, then I will wait for your gift. I am going home first. Han Feng laughed. Just keep waiting. She was smug, so easy to grasp. Han Feng also glanced at her warily. I can't let her know that I am stocking up on supplies. He had already planned in his heart, these supplies are the capital for me to survive in the apocalypse. I will settle the debt between the two of us after the apocalypse arrives. I still have to catch the guy who killed me with her. Han Feng's expression became more mysterious. Now, I am starting to look forward to the apocalypse a little. Looking at the date display, the apocalypse starts on July 15th. Snow will begin to fall heavily, and the temperature will drop sharply to minus 20 degrees. Han Feng was busy buying food to store. In the next month, the temperature will gradually drop to minus 70 degrees. The world will be covered in snow, and I won't be able to go out. The first thing to complete, food. The heavy boxes were placed down, so I need to store enough food reserves and at the same time install sealing equipment to prevent people in the neighborhood from discovering that I am storing a large amount of food. The room was full of new purchases. Some sensitive materials required me to transport them myself at night when no one was around. The gas tanks for cooking were also brought in by the staff. The power supply system will become extremely unstable after the doomsday. I have built a generator for this purpose, and stored enough fuel to use for a year. The next thing to complete, fuel. The assembly staff was also busy renovating the room. In the doomsday, the heating system will stop working, so I need to renovate an independent heating system for the house and reinforce the doors. The next goal to complete, room renovation. A room full of items for the doomsday, and I set aside a room just to store supplies. Han Feng sat down and carefully recorded in a notebook. It was already the 14th when I finished everything. There is only one day left before the temperature drops sharply. He began to ponder. Next, everything has been listed in detail inside the notebook. It is time to deal with the most important thing. Han Feng observed his messy kitchen. To survive the upcoming icy doomsday, relying solely on stockpiled supplies is not enough. Han Feng sat listlessly at the table with a plate of food. This ability to turn soybeans into sprouts will be my hope of survival. He sweated as he looked at the spoon of soybean paste, and this soybean paste was made by my ability. Han Feng remembered helplessly, but this ability appears very randomly. I still do not understand the activation mechanism. Come out here. His hand trembled as he tried to bring a spoonful of soybean paste to his mouth. First, I need to determine if it is edible. Half of the plate of soybean paste was gone. His body stiffened. Sure enough, it is edible, so at least it proves that this ability can create food. Han Feng suddenly remembered his glowing hand. Next, I need to study how to use this ability. He walked around the house with a train of thought. I have only tried one type of food, soybeans. Opening the refrigerator, it was full of food. I also need to test whether this ability can be applied to other types of food. The sky was still clear outside the building. A gust of wind suddenly blew, and the sky turned yellow. His eyes slowly opened. His vision was blurred. Han Feng was holding a bunch of bok choy in his hand. Did I faint? He sat down on the ground, surrounded by piles of food thrown on the floor. A groaning voice. My head hurts too much. Han Feng's face was pale. It seems that this ability has very big side effects on the body and mind. Han Feng continued to scoop up a spoonful of soybean paste. He ate each spoonful unconsciously, but in the end, I gained a preliminary understanding of this ability. His hand was still glowing. In front of him were neatly arranged vegetables. Before I fainted, I tried many types of food. He tried holding a few types to experiment. Some did not react. Han Feng was happy with the developments. Some will be like soybeans, developing from seeds into mature plants. He fell back in shock. Occasionally, it will explode. Han Feng was helpless in the face of the finished product. After exploding, it turns into a black substance that looks a lot like charcoal but is very light. What is this? Looking at the pot full of black balls, these black things can burn. Han Feng smiled contentedly. Now, I do not have to worry about heating energy. He kept practicing. Next, I tried many more times. No. Looking at his glowing hand, Han Feng tried to adjust his mood. Concentrate, focus, adjust your breathing. Finally, the things that could not be developed before, he could now do. Han Feng's face became more and more haggard. The success rate is also very random. Han Feng looked at the bunch of bok choy in his hand and thought, I can't figure out the rules at all. There must be some operating principle. He put the bunch of bok choy on the table. But at least I have grasped the conditions for activating this skill. Han Feng sat cross-legged on the chair, closing his eyes tightly. The key lies in my consciousness. A fantasy appeared, imagining himself as if he were in the natural world. He walked barefoot on the grass, listening to the birds singing around. Han Feng gradually blended into the nature in his fantasy. The body and mind are a part of nature. Light shone on Han Feng's face. Han Feng opened his eyes, looking at his hand excitedly. Sure enough, it is related to consciousness. Fresh food was laid out on the table. Han Feng touched the raw meat with his light-emitting hand. Now try the different types of meat. Seeing that there was no effect, Han Feng speculated. Meat does not react. Could it be that it only works on plants? He tried to concentrate. With enough perseverance, even an iron bar can be ground into a needle. His eyes were somewhat tired. Still no good. Han Feng thought to himself, but he could clearly sense the existence of two colors when concentrating. He had not tried the red color he saw at the beginning yet. He muttered to himself, red light. The blue light suddenly disappeared. A faint red light appeared in his hand. Han Feng was overjoyed. The red light appeared. The piece of meat in his hand immediately went bad. Ugh. He immediately threw the meat to the ground and shouted, so nauseating! Han Feng poked the decaying meat with his finger. He speculated the meat reacted to the red light, but it is like a kind of heating. Han Feng narrowed his eyes. The effect of the red light is heating. He began to think, that is not right, it does not feel like simple heating. Looking at the unrecognizable meat in his hand, Han Feng thought, it is more like a process of material decomposition. He suddenly understood something. Could it be? Han Feng grabbed a handful of fermented soybean paste. His two hands, one blue and one red. If the blue light represents the evolution of matter, then the red light represents decomposition. The two hands slowly touched each other. If the two lights combined, the combination shocked Han Feng. Hoo 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 hoo. The piece of meat doubled in size. The meat got bigger. He looked in surprise at his other hand. The soybean paste on my hand is gone too. Could it have merged with the meat? Han Feng carefully examined the meat. The quality is very fresh. It has the feeling and aroma of meat. He regained his excitement. Let us try again. A pile of decaying food was around him, and Han Feng became irritated. Why is this happening? Why are they all failing? He sighed tiredly. Forget it. Let us leave the research for later. Han Feng felt a little relieved. At least there is still a harvest today. He flashed a cunning smile. As long as I research this ability thoroughly, I will be the man standing at the peak of the apocalypse. Han Feng imagined himself as a savior superhero one day. Wahahaha. Perfect. He panicked when he suddenly thought of guns. Wait, food alone won't do. I need self-defense. Han Feng quickly put the food into the styrofoam box. I need to pack up quickly and get out before the temperature drops. I have to get the weapons back in my hands. It started to snow outside. Han Feng was a little happy. It is here. Snow had fallen all over the city. It finally came. Han Feng put on some warm clothes and went out into the street. The temperature will drop to 45 degrees Celsius within a week, so I need to get a gun as soon as possible. But buying and selling guns is illegal. If I do not have a channel to buy guns, what should I do? A voice from the side of the road caught his attention. I am handling a project with tens of millions in investment. Ziyi was chatting with a friend. Do you know Lao Wang from Xijiang Lida Group? That boss is my good brother. Han Feng carefully observed him. I seem to have some impression of this person. The friend opposite replied to Ziyi. Have a smoke. This cigarette was also given by my dear brother. Han Feng noticed the glittering gold chain around his neck. Extravagant style. His legs were about to move on. Everyone in the neighborhood calls him. Ziyi took a puff of cigarette and said, What is with the politeness? Try one and see. What is wrong? Are you not giving me face? The person opposite scolded. You idiot. Regarding his background, Li Ziyi, everyone calls him Brother Li. He lives in the same neighborhood as me. I heard that he is responsible for helping others contract projects and has a good reputation in this area. Earlier, his friend had also extended an invitation. Hey yo, Brother Li, take a cigarette. Ziyi refused. No need, I only smoke Quasi. Smoking other brands makes me cough. The friend asked with concern, Where are you going? He sighed and replied, I helped a good brother finish a project. He said he wanted to take me to a bathhouse to thank me. Ziyi is someone who does not have a proper job but gives people the feeling that he is very busy. He always acts busy on the street. Hey, the order you wanted is done. That is right. That 20 million order. What? There is still a 10 million order that needs help. Han Feng slowly walked towards the two of them. Maybe he has a way to get a gun. He called out Brother Li. Long time no see. Han Feng waved hello to Ziyi and offered an insincere smile. Ziyi was a little puzzled. Do we know each other? He reminded him. It is me, Xiao Han. We greeted each other before. Brother Li would not have forgotten me, right? At this time, Ziyi recognized him. Oh, Xiao Han. I have been quite busy with the construction site recently, so my memory is not very good. Don't blame me. What is the matter? He quickly looked around. Then Han Feng approached and whispered in his ear. Actually, Ziyi exclaimed in panic. What? What are you kidding me? What do you need this stuff for? Han Feng avoided his eyes guiltily. Ziyi wore a serious expression and reminded him. Little brother, let me be clear. I am not interested in doing illegal things. Guns are not something you can touch casually. Although I have wide connections, I can't harm you. Han Feng quickly stopped him. Brother, do not get excited. You misunderstood. He replied awkwardly, Actually, there is some personal feud. I want to carry it for self-defense. He quickly made up a story. That day, when I was riding my bicycle to work, I ran into an old man who liked to spit indiscriminately on the road. Han Feng enthusiastically recounted. He just so happened to spit on my face. He had a heated argument with the old man. When I found him to talk, I did not expect him to spit on me again. And Han Feng sat on the old man and beat him up. People on the street gathered to watch. When I left, he said he wanted to take revenge on me. Han Feng was beaten up. The next day, he brought people to block me at the intersection and beat me up, and said that he would beat me every time he saw me in the future. His body was full of wounds. How could I bear such oppression? So I want a weapon for self-defense. That is roughly what happened. The story really excited Ziyi. Disgusting. Nauseating. How could he spit indiscriminately like that? That is uneducated. Han Feng was helpless. The focus is off. Is not it? Ziyi suddenly put his hand on his shoulder. What is it, little brother? Ziyi said worriedly. Brother Li will help you with this matter. I will contact my good brother immediately. Let us set off. Han Feng was helpless. Thank you, Brother Li, he said embarrassedly. Then let us take the bus. If my Panamera was not being serviced, I would have taken you there. He pressed the car next to him, surprising Ziyi. Brother, take my car. It is snowing quite heavily. The two of them sat in the car together. This kid's car looks pretty good. How much does it cost? About 700,000. Well, not bad. Quite cheap. Sitting in the luxury car, Ziyi took out his phone to take selfies with relish. Turn left at the intersection ahead. He posted on his personal page. Handsome and saucy guy. This newly bought SUV is a bit stiff. The car stopped in front of a store. This weird weather is too evil. It suddenly went from summer to like winter. 3 people were huddling around a fire to keep warm. Someone's here. The two got out of the car. They greeted him warmly. Oh, it is Lao Li. Why are you here? I am looking for President Liu to discuss something. Have a smoke. Have a huazi. They became even happier when they saw the expensive car. Oh my god, is not this that SUV? Did you buy it? How much does it cost? Ziyi showed off proudly. Not much, only about 700,000. Han Feng glanced secretly. You are still saying it is yours in front of the owner. He limped out. Big mouth lie. Why the hell are you here so late? Inside the room, Ziyi respectfully bowed. President Liu Huazi. He replied bluntly. Spit it out if you have something to say. I am busy. Ziyi hurriedly pointed to him. My little brother asked me to find you to buy some goods. He wants a gun. President Liu looked at Han Feng in surprise. A gun. Seeing their aura, Han Feng trembled and could not speak. President Liu looked at him with a fierce expression. He continued. You came to me just to buy a gun. I thought there was something important. President Liu ordered his subordinate, Chiangzi. Yes. Chiangzi brought out a gun. 6,000. Han Feng stated his request. President Liu. What I want is a bit longer. He described the gun, the kind with the scope. President Liu leaned back in his chair, kid. Han Feng swallowed nervously. President Liu shouted, Kid, are you saying you want a sniper rifle? What the hell do you want to do? You want it? You want it? Do you want the short one or not? Ziyi hurried to his side to appease him. President Liu, this is for a reason. This has to start from 5 years ago. His wife? The blizzard was still falling non-stop. When President Liu heard the story that Ziyi made up, he excitedly slammed the table. Damn it, disgusting, nauseating. How come all 3 children are not mine? Disgusting, vomiting. That is right, bah. Han Feng could not help but feel helpless. Brother Li's story is too absurd. President Liu shouted angrily. Isn't it just a sniper rifle? Brother Liu will help you with this, but you need to wait a few days. Han Feng quickly replied. Then thank you, big brother Liu. He ordered his men, Chiangzi, arrange for Lao Di to see if it can be made semi-automatic. He took out his phone. Yes, President Liu. President Liu continued to instruct. Make a lot of bullets too. Ziyi turned to look at him. See, little brother, what did I say? It will be done in a few minutes. President Liu gave the pistol to Han Feng. Take it. He was a little confused this. He said, take it. It is a gift. Han Feng was a little surprised. He suddenly called out, Big brother Liu. Han Feng, out of courtesy, reminded him. A colleague of mine who works in the government revealed news that due to the weather, there will be restrictions on the purchase of supplies soon. It is best to stock up on some supplies with your brothers beforehand. He looked at him suspiciously. Han Feng's face revealed a rare, serious expression. President Liu considered, got it? The two said goodbye to them. Then we will go first, President Liu. Get out quickly. I am annoyed when I see you. The trembling voice of both of them as they walked on the snowy road. Look at what I am doing for you, is not it great? If my good brother is in a good mood, he can even give you a cannon. Thank you, Brother Li, for your help. I will buy you some cigarettes later. Han Feng walked thoughtfully, while Ziyi was babbling beside him. Buy cigarettes, little brother. You also saw it. I am helping people for fun, but if you insist on giving me something, then give me Huazi. You understand, smoking other things will make me cough. You do not need to buy too much, 7 or 8 packs will do. After my project over there is finished, I will take you to a sauna. He was calculating in his heart. Now that the supplies and weapons are all prepared, at least I can ensure that I can live comfortably and safely before the end of the world. Next, I will focus on researching my ability. If I can completely solve the food problem, then my survival rate in the apocalypse will be higher. Han Feng's foot slipped on the snow. He lost his balance and fell, damn it. Ziyi hurried over. Little brother, are you okay? Han Feng lay face down on the ground. My leg. He gritted his teeth, groaning in pain. I think my leg is broken. Han Feng quickly gave him the key. Brother, please take me to the hospital. Ziyi did not take it but scratched his head embarrassedly. Huh, I do not have a driver's license. Oh no, I did not bring my driver's license. I can't drive without a driver's license. Ziyi tried hard to help him up. There is a way. I will help you over there. Hold me tight. Hey ya. Han Feng suggested, let us take a taxi, brother. I have money. The two arrived at a nearby hospital. Before leaving, the colleague instructed her. In the office. I will go first, Jian. It is hard work for you on the night shift. Jian happily replied. Yes, be careful. She looked out the window and thought, it is snowing heavier. The phone on the desk rang. The person on the phone hurriedly said, Head nurse, please come to the lobby. There is a shortage of staff. Jian quickly stood up. Okay, I will be right there. At this time, Han Feng was sitting in the consultation room. He looked helplessly at the doctor. My leg is really broken. The doctor studied the photo and diagnosed. You have a fracture of the right tibia. After I fix it for you, stay in the hospital for observation for an hour, then get the medicine. And this is happening right when the apocalypse is about to arrive. His leg was in a cast with a crutch beside him. What is it, little brother? Ziyi was also busy at this time and hurried away. I will go first. I have some things to do. Call me if there is any problem. Han Feng waved goodbye. Take care, brother. He sighed tiredly. The hospital was busy with critical patients. Heart rate 85. Due to sudden cold and blizzard, accidents have increased, and emergency beds have to be added outside the emergency room. Car crash on National Highway 102. Han Feng looked around listlessly. How long will it take for me to get the medicine like this? A pair of full breasts caught his eye. Jian was busy with patients. Nurse Jin, the wound of bed number 5 has been cleaned. Please check. She examined and instructed. It is stable now. Give him glucose in 10 minutes. Jian adjusted the monitor and continued. If it drops below 80, give her epinephrine. Han Feng stared at her until her face turned red. Amazing. So young and already. The head nurse. Seeing her happy with the young patients, outstanding ability, and a very good attitude towards patients. Observing Jian's face carefully, he praised. Also very beautiful. Han Feng's lewd gaze shifted downwards. Very beautiful. Han Feng thought helplessly. But there is no protection at all. The patient next to him hurriedly called out. Head nurse miss. Jian replied with a smile. Coming. She chatted with the patient in a friendly manner. Sorry, there is a bit of a manpower shortage right now. Can you wait a bit for me to help you deal with it? Oh yo, my waist suddenly hurts so much. He secretly used his phone to photograph Jian's sensitive parts. It started hurting more, just now. Can you check for me first? Why? She did not know anything. Sorry, this situation requires a photo, before we can determine the cause. His face gradually revealed itself. Oh yo, you check for me first, I will show you. He slowly raised his hand, that is right. Then he quickly hugged Jian's waist. It is here. Jian burst into tears of laughter. So sorry, I am very ticklish. Please wait for the doctor to come and check you. He smiled even more wickedly. His hand slid down to her butt. Sorry, it seems to be a little lower. Something suddenly flew over. He fell to the floor. Yo, are you okay? At this time, Han Feng hurried over. Sorry. It is my first time using crutches. And they flew out. He tried to pick up his phone. Is your phone broken from falling? He shouted angrily. Don't touch my phone. Han Feng still picked up his phone. You little brat, give it back to me quickly. He looked at him with a disgusted look, as expected. Han Feng showed the photo that he had just taken. Uncle, you are pretty bold, huh? You dare to take pictures of the hospital's nurse, and you are still harassing her. His voice lowered enough for him to hear. If you do not want to be caught by the security guards and taken to the police station, then get out of here. Han Feng laid out the conditions. Of course, I can't give you back your phone either. If I see you again, I will put you on the hot search. He was so angry that he was trembling. Then he left in shame. Damn it, Xian hurried after him without knowing anything. Wait, she asked naively. Didn't his waist hurt? Why is he running so fast? Han Feng looked at her in surprise. Are there still people this naive in this world? He helplessly handed over the photo and explained to Xian. You were secretly photographed under your skirt by that perverted uncle just now. At this time she panicked. That is really me. How did I not notice? Han Feng gave him the phone. Decide whether to format it or report it to the police. Remember to be careful in the future, and do not let perverts have the opportunity to take advantage of you. She smiled and took the phone. Xian opened her mouth. Thank you. I wanted to ask just now, your leg is injured, right? She bandaged Han Feng's wound, and he groaned in pain. Hey, the romantic scene of the two. It is done, it does not hurt too much, right? Thank you, it does not hurt at all. She said shyly. I should be the one thanking you. I won't let those bad people achieve their intentions in the future. Yeah, so you have to pay attention in the future. Han Feng's foot unconsciously got close to her chest. She did not notice at all. A voice came, breaking the awkwardness of Han Feng. Head nurse, please come over here. Okay. Jian hurried away. Remember to come here in a week to change the medicine. Han Feng looked at her with fascination. A week later. Huh. Then he left on crutches. The nurse also said to Jian, I probably won't see him again. The snow outside was getting heavier and heavier the next day. The news reported, the following is an urgent news report in the morning. In the next 24 hours, all areas of our country will experience a major blizzard and a sharp drop in temperature. They updated the weather situation. According to news that our reporters captured abroad, the temperature in all areas of the world is dropping sharply. Experts from our country and 46 other countries are urgently going to the United Nations to discuss the reason for this weather. The heater in the house was still operating at full capacity. However, experts believe that this weather will not last too long. However, please pay attention to the disaster warnings in your area and the arrangements of the local government. Han Feng sat on the chair, enjoying a glass of wine. I hope everyone is not too scared and does not believe in false rumors. And do not rob materials. This disaster will pass very quickly. He sighed. The government is still covering up the truth, using fake news to comfort the people. If I had not killed them once, I would have believed it too. Food was already piled up in the warehouse. In short, this time I have fully stocked up on materials. The house has been reinforced, and the warming equipment has also been made. He felt satisfied in his heart. The preparations are very complete, and I do not have to worry about the problem of survival for the time being. Messages in the group were still active. Liao Bing 211002. Have you seen the news? It is snowing in Egypt too. Wu Quan, Yu 12503. I am so scared, and it is the first time I have seen snow in June. Jin Tian 31404. I am freezing to death. I am not going out. The snow is too thick. Jin Tian 31404. Damn it, the snow is about to reach my ankles. Kong Yi 41102. I just received a notice from the unit the snow is too thick, so work from. Everyone expressed their worries. The snow is getting thicker and thicker. I think it is going to be 15 degrees soon. Borderlanders. All of you in the new world, listen carefully. Borderlanders, this big snow is not due to the weather, but due to the inside of the earth. Borderlanders, remember, this is not an ordinary blizzard. Borderlanders, the cold apocalypse is coming. The apocalypse, cold. Han Feng became panicked. The cold apocalypse. Who is this person? Why does he know about the end of the world? Han Feng scratched his head because of the strange messages. This introverted person seems to pay a lot of attention. Introverted person, remember, this is not an ordinary disaster. Introverted person. The extremely cold apocalypse is about to descend. The discussion in the group was still very active. 3, 2, 101. Can the property management clean up the neighborhood snow a bit? The car can't go out. 1, 2, 503. Property management. That is right. I also want to quickly go to the supermarket to buy some food. Is it fun to pay the fee? Stepped deeply into their conversation. Number 1. Expressed indignantly. Property management. Come out here quickly. Give us an explanation. A girl replied worriedly. Everyone property owners, I am really sorry. The snow is really too big, and we really have limited manpower. Those who are called please step back. Property management. They split into two factions and argued fiercely. What is the point of raising your property management team? You can't even handle this little thing. Refund the property management fee, right? Pay back. Han Feng was a little helpless. It is completely meaningless. Arguing this snow is simply not something that humans can clean up, Han Feng. A sudden voice interrupted their argument. Everyone, please stop arguing. The uncle stepped out and smiled. Property owner 611025. Xiang Shueyu. The snow is so heavy. Even if you clean it all up, it will be covered up in a few hours. If you have time to argue, you can all clean the snow together, and you can go out soon. Everyone listen silently. Property management is also human, and they can't do anything when they encounter a natural disaster. Or are you just simply taking property management out to vent your feelings of dissatisfaction? Those who were not convinced shouted loudly, "What the hell are you? Are you teaching us in reverse? Are you a property owner? Why are you helping the property management speak? That is right. Are you from the property management?" The uncle continued to laugh and said, "Everyone, I am not helping the property management speak. I am just stating the objective facts that I see." Property owner 611025 laughed. It does not make sense to force the property management now. If the matter can't be resolved, we can't get the results we want. Everyone around chimed in to argue. Then tell us what to do. That is right. Are we supposed to wait to starve to death? The uncle continued to talk about his personal views. At least it is definitely not possible to drive to the supermarket. Even if the roads in the neighborhood are clear, who can guarantee that there will be people clearing the roads outside? I suggest walking if everyone agrees. I can help the property management clear the roads. Han Feng narrowed his eyes and thought, speaking of which, I seem to have some impression of this property owner with the surname Xiang. He looked at him with suspicious eyes. I remember that before rebirth, he was always very quick to speak. Another person entered the chat group. Is this matter so complicated? If you want to go out, go clean the snow. If you do not want to, shut your mouth. That person bluntly declared, it is just cleaning snow. Why are you making noise all day? It is so annoying. Some people left dissatisfied. Then, the others also gradually left the chat group. The black-skinned cat-eyed youth came over, puffing on a cigarette. I will lend a hand too. Clear the road quickly. I need to discuss that tens of millions project with my boss. Han Feng felt even more helpless. The way this guy spoke was very similar to someone he knew. Everyone chimed in. I will go too. Me too. We are out of food at home. Need to buy some more for a few days. A girl volunteered, raising her hand. I will go too, even if my strength is a bit weak. She awkwardly expressed, even though I have had a cold for the past 2 days. Since you, Brother Shang, set an example, I will help too. Han Feng narrowed his eyes in surprise. She wanted to go too. Another girl quickly interjected. There are so many men, how can we let Huina go? You just stay home and rest. They started to surround Huina, encouraging her. Thank you for your concern. Then, I will leave the cleaning to you all. Han Feng had long seen through her intentions. When it came to pretending, Li Huina was truly skilled. A notification message arrived. It was a message from her to Han Feng. Li Huina, Han Feng. What have you been busy with these past few days? You said you would contact me, but I am still waiting for you. She started ordering him around. Oh right, when you come to find me, please stop by the supermarket and buy some food for me. Buy a lot and wait for you. And attached was a seductive photo of Huina. Han Feng calmly looked at the photo. Ha! Still dressing so scantily to seduce me in this weather. To make me run errands for you, you are really putting in the effort. He shook his injured leg, thinking. Let us see how to reply. Got it. On the other side, Huina angrily stomped on her phone. Damn Han Feng. Just you wait. Online, girls were dancing. Today was the third day after the snowfall, and the outside temperature had dropped to minus 20 degrees Celsius. In the early days of the apocalypse, there was still a heating system. He comfortably watched the hot girls online. There was still internet, and daily life could still continue. There were endless videos of girls. He could only pass the time by watching videos. Han Feng felt a little bored. It was only the second day, and he was already sick of it. It seemed the biggest problem in the apocalypse was how to endure loneliness. He looked at his bandaged foot. The injury on his leg was not optimistic either. Something this serious would take at least several months to fully recover. Han Feng perked up and continued to watch videos. The platform switched to a clip of a man covered in blood lying on an operating table. Han Feng watched intently. Science leap. Does the world really have people who can self-heal? After stitching up the wounds of a man who jumped from the 15th floor, it was discovered that the man's necrotic organs and bones began to regenerate. Is it real or fake? Stay tuned for the next episode. He suddenly realized. That is right. Han Feng chuckled. Why did not I think of this? Blue light began to appear. He used the light to touch the injured area on his leg. The light gradually faded. Then suddenly, it emitted an even brighter glow. Finally, it slowly disappeared. Han Feng sprawled on the chair. Looks like I overthought it. I even thought this blue light could help with wound recovery. He yawned tiredly. Han Feng's eyes slowly closed. A goat suddenly appeared in Han Feng's subconscious. He was dressed in ethnic clothing. Han Feng rode the goat and ordered, Little goats, let us go play. The goats ran wildly. Han Feng led a powerful herd of goats. Suddenly, he was thrown off the goat's back. His leg twisted upon landing. Han Feng fell down in pain. The goat came over and licked his injured leg. Han Feng affectionately stroked its head. Suddenly the goat felt angry. It used its long tongue to tightly wrap around his leg. It pulled Han Feng's leg high up. Blue light began to appear. Han Feng was so frightened that he woke up with a start. He gasped for breath. What a weird dream. His eyes suddenly showed confusion. Han Feng's leg was recovering on its own. The bandage on his foot had also been removed. His foot stretched straight without any pain. Han Feng excitedly stood up. My leg. It does not seem to hurt anymore. He went to the kitchen. Could it be that the green light can automatically recover during sleep? Han Feng resolutely picked up a knife. Let us try again. The knife was about to cut into Han Feng's trembling hand. He cautiously closed one eye. A small cut from the finger, blood flowing continuously. Green light quickly appeared. Han Feng smiled with satisfaction. So that is it. I understand now. Outside the apartment building, everyone was shoveling snow together. 1, 2, 3. Xiang. Yu smiled as he looked at his neighbors. Thank you all for your hard work. He friendly communicated with everyone. Uncle Yu, thank you for your hard work. These snowy days have been troubling you. It is a good thing the orange cat appeared in time. He thought it was Yang Yu. He stood next to him and replied, I did not put in much effort. It is all thanks to the Kim brothers. Liu Guanyao. The twin brothers waved when they heard their names called. Jin Taiwen, Jin Tai Wu. There was a sound of someone falling nearby. The Kim brothers worriedly went over. Are you okay? It is icy on the ground, be careful. He took her hand. The cold made her face flushed. She smiled and looked at them. I am okay, thank you, Jinxian. He replied, then we will go clean the main road first. If you need any help, just call us. Jian tried to pretend she was fine. You guys go work, I can do it myself. At this time, Xiang Yu and Guang Yao were also chatting together. The snow is getting heavier. We have to hurry and go buy things later. That is right. He said while smoking a cigarette. Speaking of buying things, I remembered something. Xiang, you asked curiously. What is it, Uncle Liu? He hesitantly scratched his head. It is nothing big. Guang Yao recounted, I just heard that a household in the neighborhood a few days ago has been moving things like they are moving houses every day, driving a truck, and bringing a lot of goods home. Xiang Yu reassured, isn't this normal? Maybe it is a new family moving in, or maybe they are renovating their house recently. He pulled down his hat, expressing, but I saw gas tanks and heaters. It does not look like normal renovations. Guang Yao implicitly realized, it is like they are preparing for the winter. At this time, the Kim brothers called out, interrupting their conversation. Brother Shang, Uncle Liu, the main road is cleared. Maybe you can go out now. Guang Yao replied, thank you for your hard work, you two. Suddenly Quan Yu stepped forward and put his hand on their shoulders. What were you two talking about just now? Preparing for the winter. Sounds very interesting. A snowball suddenly flew towards him, causing Quan Yu pain. She impatiently reminded, Wu Quan Yu, do not be lazy. Hurry up and work, Liu Yan. He then excitedly questioned, Liu Yan, I am lazy. Clearly all those jobs were done by me alone. You were just standing there watching. She raised her hand to remind him, talk, just talk. Do not point. Xiang Yu went to mediate. You two, stop arguing. The main road has been cleared. Jian also happily announced, everyone can stop now. Prepare to set off to buy things later. They all replied in unison, understood. The Kim brothers started searching on their phones. We have to buy a lot of things. Let us send a portion to Mom. They probably need to buy supplies at the old house too. Quan, you continued the conversation. Little Xiang, what do you think about this? Is it related to this disaster? Xiang. You suddenly fell silent. Then he smiled indifferently. To be honest, I do not pay much attention to these things. He expressed his view. It is just snowing for a short period, it will end soon, and then everyone's life will return to normal, so I do not think these two things are related right now. Xiang Yu's words were somewhat meaningful. Putting it another way, even if this disaster does not stop, if someone in the neighborhood has a large amount of living supplies, is not that a good thing for the neighborhood? Guang Yao laughed when he heard this. You are right. As expected, young people have better minds. The snow continued to fall. Xiang, you announced, everyone, line up to go out, do not crowd, the snow is getting heavier, try to be back in 3 hours. Then, they took umbrellas and went to the supermarket together. In the apartments that were dark because people had gone out, there was still a house that was lit up. The snow was still falling heavily outside. Han Feng was still sound asleep. There was a knock on the door. Open the door, little brother. Han Feng sleepily opened the door. Oh, it is Brother Li. Sorry, I was just asleep. Ziyi carried a gun and stood in front of the door. Little brother, the thing you needed is here, semi-automatic. He excitedly continued. What was it? Brother Yu told me to thank you. It is a good thing we stocked up beforehand. Han Feng laughed. Brother Yu is too polite. Ziyi suddenly sighed, making him curious. What is wrong? He confided his problem. Have you heard about the supermarket in the East District? We cleaned the snow today and went there to buy things, but last night someone cleaned out the supermarket overnight. Han Feng was surprised. Cleaned out an entire supermarket overnight. He was a little surprised in his heart, so it still happened. Ziyi quickly left. Then I will go back first. Remember to wear more clothes. Okay, brother. Han Feng carried the gun, his mind full of thoughts. His expression was a little unhappy. Cleaned out an entire supermarket in one night. How is that possible? Han Feng began to recall the novels and comics he had read before. Superpower users can suck all the items into space, and conversely, they can do it. He could not help but worry. Could there really be space-type ability users? He clenched the hand, emitting light. This is really unsettling. Han Feng sat down on the chair, seriously opened the book. I have to study my abilities carefully. If there really are other superpower users, at least I can have countermeasures. He began to understand more deeply. What I can know now is that my ability can produce a reaction with food, achieving the effect of one becoming many. Han Feng picked up a bean. He carefully looked at the bean, but the success rate is extremely low. The average bean succeeds once in 10 times, and something like meat may not succeed even after dozens of times. Han Feng still had many doubts in his heart. What exactly is the reason? Because he was not paying attention, the light was starting to change. What Han Feng received was a lump of dirt. The failure rate is too high. He crushed the lump of dirt in anger. I must clarify the usage today. The digital clock displayed 22:45. The bean has been successfully transformed. Han Feng's body was weak. He tiredly looked at the finished product in his hand. Finally grasped the usage. Beside the finished product was a mountain of dirt, caused by failed attempts. So, when using green light, its energy is not balanced. Han Feng pondered. Each type of plant needs a different energy value, energy fluctuation value, energy fluctuation value. He knew that, once it is wrong, it will fail. Time node. Han Feng vaguely recalled, wait, this mode is too familiar. He remembered, it is the dance music game that was popular more than 10 years ago. Looking at his hand, Han Feng began to link. Suppose taking the energy value as top down left right, then the energy emitted every second needs to be completely accurate. Closing his eyes tightly, Han Feng focused, finally grasping that node. The bean was developed more vigorously. Han Feng became excited. Perfect. He took out a piece of meat. Next, experiment with meat. Han Feng recalled the day before. Meat and vegetables are different. After failure, it will turn into a black liquid. Extremely disgusting. Holding up the chicken leg, Han Feng was a little hesitant. In theory, it is okay. He began to combine meat and vegetables. First, find the accurate energy of the meat needed. The time seems to be longer than vegetables. The result was as expected. Ah, miss. Han Feng was still not discouraged, miss, again. The thick liquid reappeared, miss, again. Han Feng was already impatient at this time, miss. Hateful. He shouted angrily. Damn it, the difficulty has increased too much. Snow was still falling outside the window. The kitchen was full of black slime. Han Feng helplessly sat down on the chair. His hand showed red light, along with the chicken leg in his hand. The other hand was green light. Han Feng concentrated. This is the moment. The chicken leg was immediately transformed to be larger. He was sweating. Han Feng grinned. He sprawled on the floor. Han Feng's complexion was tired. Finally found a way to create meat. The news reported, good morning everyone, today is July 17th, the third day of snowfall. All regions of the country are experiencing a once-in-a-century snowfall disaster. He sprawled on the chair watching TV. In order to ensure basic living, all regions are actively preventing disasters. Han Feng's eyes had no strength left. Now the snowfall disaster, transportation, electricity, internet, in various regions of the country are beginning to stagnate. Please wait for rescue workers to maintain. Han Feng sat up and stretched. The governments of various regions are also transporting supplies to the disaster-stricken areas. Just like the previous life, the regions are starting to stagnate. He picked up the phone. Group message. Unit 1701. Why can't the government phone be reached? Han Feng suddenly looked at the phone. The group is starting to get noisy. Inside the chat group, Xingfu Neighborhood Property Owner Group, it is really noisy. Everyone was panicking and discussing. Probably all watch the news. Some people believe and wait for rescue, and some people are arguing about how to save themselves. A person appeared and asked them, do you really believe the content in the news? He seriously looked at them. If the situation is really as the news says, and the situation has been controlled, then the relief team would have arrived long ago. Uncle Lu. Guang Yao continued to explain. But until now, I have not seen any trucks waiting for supplies. On the contrary, I heard friends say, I saw a lot of armored tanks carrying heavy weapons coming to city. Then there is only one possibility. Everyone focused on listening war. It may be about to break out. They began to gather together in one place. Everyone expressed their worries. Huh, really or fake? Then are not we done for? Han Feng thought to himself, war is about to break out. I seem to have heard about this before the rebirth. At this time he also spoke. If it is really like Uncle Liu's speculation, then we really should find some ways to save ourselves. Shang, you believed, now the neighborhood property owners have run out of food because they have not accumulated enough food, and the government's relief order may not come. I think we have to reorganize ourselves and help the property owners who are in difficulty. He announced that, so I suggest, now the property owners who have food stored in their homes can contribute a portion to support other property owners in difficulty. Starting from me, I will donate half of my food. Whoever needs it can come and find it. Hearing this, everyone whispered to each other. Quan Yu also expressed, Shang Yu is right. The people of our neighborhood must help each other first and overcome this crisis together. These cold days can't let some families go hungry. If you donate, count me in. Hui Na, you also donate a little, do not you? Hui Na heard and scolded, are you crazy, Wu Quan? You, there are so many people, why do you have to ask me? Is not it because I did not agree to date you last time? Everyone also began to be more noisy. I am very sorry. In fact, my house no longer has food reserves. Hui Na's family has run out of food. Why do not you ask someone else? I do not know. I only hope that the neighbors can unite with each other. If I can't guarantee real unity, I won't donate. In fact, no one wants to suffer losses. The suggestions were constantly made. There was also a group of people who were willing to rescue. If you donate food, count me in. +1, count me in 2. Need clothes. My house has medicine. If you need it, come and get it. Xingyu said with satisfaction. Then I will thank everyone on behalf of the property owners in difficulty. Now the number of people is a bit large. Or just appoint a few property owners to be responsible on behalf of them. And then, correspondingly establish a temporary rescue committee of ours responsible for statistics and donation of supplies. Temporary property owner committee. Han Feng already knew. Temporary committee. I remember there was this in the previous life. Just a trick to trick the property owners out of food and supplies. The snow fell thicker and thicker. July 19th, the 5th day of the apocalypse. The outside temperature had dropped to -40 degrees Celsius. Everything outside the sky was almost frozen, and the heating system was also blocked by extreme weather. People inside the house had begun to no longer feel safe. Everyone was thinking of ways to heat up and keep their body temperature. Charcoal stoves are the most reasonable choice. Like the previous life, the situation will only get worse. Han Feng's heater was still burning, except for my place. Damn, so many zombies. A table of cakes was set out. Han Feng excitedly played games with a table full of snacks. Gao 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 gao, ding 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 ding. The phone rang. Han Feng leisurely answered. Hello, hello. The voice inside replied. Hello, is this property owner 1801? Mr. Han Feng, I am the person in charge of building 8. In 20 minutes, we are preparing to clean the road surface. After cleaning, Please come to the underground parking lot to find me to sign in. Han Feng immediately felt indignant. The snow outside is so big. Are you guys blind cleaning? Clean your father's grave? He reluctantly put on warm clothes and left the house. Building lobby, forget it. Do not fall out with the neighbors for the time being. Have to minimize the possibility of my home secret. But Han Feng suddenly looked outside the door. The snow has sealed off this entire building. Everyone panicked. Damn, we just cleaned up yesterday. I have never seen snow as high as several meters in my life. In short, open the door first. The people then called out, you black-haired guys, come and help. They worked together to push the door. I will call 1, 2, 3. Work together. 1, 2, 3. The door was successfully opened. The wind also blew in. They panicked even more. This snow is too exaggerated. It is so cold, damn. Can't open my eyes anymore. Han Feng's whole body was shivering. It is too cold. Going out in this weather will definitely get frostbite and even die. The others also could not stand up. Going out to clean now will definitely get frostbite. This amount of snow. Clean what? Only idiots will go in this temperature. There was a voice volunteering. Let me. Han Feng was surprised. This voice. Ziyi arrogantly walked over. Why are you all cramping your hands and feet? What is the matter? He was a little helpless. As expected of Brother Li, what is needed is momentum. Momentum. Everyone tried to dissuade him. Brother, do not push yourself too hard. This is not a joke, that is right. Wait for the snow to stop before going. Ziyi took a drag of his cigarette. He used his strength, his hands deftly scraping away the thick layers of snow. The shouts grew louder and louder, and everyone around was watching Ziyi intently. In an instant, he had plunged into the snow. Before long, his voice was weak. Save! Save me! Save me! They quickly pulled Ziyi from the snowdrift, his face a purplish color. The door was closed again. He gasped for breath, exhaustedly. Are you okay? Han Feng put his arm around him and said to the people around, everyone, go to the parking lot and sign in with the person in charge first, and then we will figure out a way to clear the snow when it stops. The area outside the building had long become a pit of snow. The snow now was not something that could be cleared by manpower alone. Everyone shivered as they walked to the parking lot. Chen Yu was speaking in front of a crowd of people. Now the snow is really too heavy. We will wait for the snow to lessen before we start cleaning up. Then, we will use this underground parking lot as a donation and distribution point for supplies. Han Feng stood in the crowd looking at him. So this is the Xiang Yu in the group. Han Feng felt disgusted. So that fraudulent committee was set up by him. Xiang, you put on a solemn expression. Thank you again for your support. He continued, I really did not expect so many property owners to agree to donate their supplies. Everyone's generosity is helping many property owners in difficulty. I thank you again on their behalf. People whispered to each other, everyone has times of difficulty. Helping each other is what we should do. As long as we are united, I believe we can definitely overcome this crisis. Han Feng thought smugly, just wait and see. The disaster won't stop. You will all regret it soon. Ziyi shivered as he passed by him. Old brother, I am going upstairs first. Okay. He suddenly noticed. Jian was rushing over. Sorry, excuse me. Han Feng suddenly blushed. It is that nurse. He silently followed her. Sorry, excuse me. Someone suddenly bumped into Jian from behind. Han Feng ran over to support her. Are you okay? Jian looked up at the person who supported her. Thank you. Oh, it is you. Then she looked down. Your leg. Han Feng was flustered when she asked. It is healed so quickly. He guiltily let go of her and gesticulated. I have had a good recovery ability since I was a child. Normal injuries from steel would heal in a few days, so. That is it. Jian suddenly fell silent. Then her face lit up. So you are so amazing. Han Feng took the thing she brought. Let me help you. Jian was a little flustered. It is okay. It is very heavy. He smiled. I am strong. Consider it. Thanks for bandaging me up. When Jian let go, Han Feng could not bear the weight for a moment. Since you said so, thank you. Han Feng struggled to hold up the heavy boxes in his hands. Can I ask what is inside? She turned to smile. You mean in the boxes? Mainly medical supplies, for donation. Jian continued to ask, is it a bit heavy, or should I go? He tried to smile to show he was okay. It is okay. I do not feel anything at all. Jian continued, you do not have to force yourself. I am much stronger than many men. He suddenly looked at her. Really? You have been so strong since you were a child. Jian lowered her head slightly and replied, not really. There are actually a few reasons. Han Feng was even more puzzled. She was flustered. It is nothing. Sorry. It is just that a few things happened. Anyway, I can't explain it clearly. She stood in front of Han Feng. Oh right. I do not even know your name yet. He replied shyly, Han Feng. She smiled and replied, I am Jin Zian. Nice to meet you. His face turned even redder. Jian was even more curious. So Han Feng, what do you do, a wandering unemployed person? She sighed. Wow. He felt puzzled. What is so wow about being a wandering unemployed person? The person next to him squeezed past. Excuse me. Jian lost her balance and fell onto him. Their bodies touched. Han Feng froze on the spot. Jian quickly looked at him. Sorry. Han Feng acted like nothing happened. It is okay. Weina had also come up from behind. Oh, Han Feng, why did not you tell me when you came out? She deliberately let her body touch Han Feng's. Her voice began to be coquettish. Who is this? Your friend? Seeing this, Jian hurriedly left, embarrassed. Then you two take your time. I won't bother you anymore. I can take the things over there myself. Thank you. Okay. His voice was somewhat unhappy. Huina, why are you here? Huina replied happily. I am here to get supplies. You did not contact me. I was worried something happened to you. Han Feng pretended to say, I was just about to send you a message. She patted his shoulder and said, liar. I just saw you talking and laughing with that girl. Huina smiled brightly and asked, "Oh right, Hanfeng. Do you still have a lot of food at home? I am almost out of food. Can you share some with me?" Hanfeng's face immediately distorted. He lowered his head, not revealing his disgust. "I do not have much either, but I can share some with you. But you still have not replied to the message I sent you a few days ago." Then he put his arm around Huina's waist. "Do you want to come to my house and stay with me for a few days?" She was shocked for a moment, huh? Huina began to panic. "I did not quite understand what you meant at the time. If you want me to talk to you, you can always find me online." Hanfeng turned his back, his voice somewhat arrogant. "Looks like you do not agree, then I can only go back." She quickly grabbed his sleeve. "Wait." Huina looked confused. "I feel like you have changed recently. You know I am very serious about relationships." Her face showed a pitiful look. "I do not want others to think I am with you because you have money, so give me some more time, okay?" Hanfeng stared at Huina. His eyes narrowed slightly. "If I had not died once, I might have believed it. I really want to tear down this fake face of hers." He remembered the previous life. If it were not for finding out the man behind her. Hanfeng suddenly thought, "Wait, why do I need to find it myself? I will just do it the same way as before the rebirth." He secretly calculated, it is enough to have Li Huina bring that man over here. Hanfeng quickly replied, "I was just kidding with you." Huina was confused for a moment. "Huh?" He expressed his sincerity. "I will wait for your answer. I will bring the food over to you tomorrow." Hearing this, she giggled. "Really, Hanfeng, you are the best." Having achieved her goal, she quickly left. "Then I will go first. We will talk online if anything." Hanfeng also waved goodbye. "Be careful not to catch a cold." Huina left, smiling smugly. Hanfeng was also satisfied with her attitude. Snow began to cover the window panes of the apartments. Messages kept ringing, notification messages. "Li Huina, Hanfeng, what are you doing? Li Huina, you said you would send me supplies 2 days ago. When are you going to bring them? Li Huina, why are not you replying to my messages?" Hanfeng was busy enjoying the delicious food, ignoring the ringing of his phone. He satisfiedly tasted a spoonful of rice. Hanfeng happily exclaimed, "This weather is perfect for eating hot dishes like this." Hanfeng sat and ate while reflecting. "These few days of experimentation have helped me confirm 2 things. First, meat does not increase infinitely." He looked at the meat on the table and smiled, recalling the scene when he was busy among a mountain of meat. Second, meat, like beans, can be used for infinite circular reproduction. Looking at the delicious meat in front of him, he thought of when he processed vegetables. "Before, each time I made a bunch of sprouts, I would take half and continue to create more sprouts, and half to use as food. The principle is the same. I will conduct experiments with meat." Hanfeng recalled the magic of combining half a piece of meat with a small bean. Under the action of 2 kinds of light, half a piece of beef plus a little bean got almost complete beef. He did not believe it, and did it again, and then used the new piece of beef to try again using the same principle. The result was still the same. Hanfeng was very satisfied with the magic. "After that, I conducted many experiments. Maybe I do not need to worry about food anymore." His face became more excited when he thought that just 1 piece of meat could breed many other pieces of meat. At this time, the weather forecast was broadcast. "Hello, viewers. Today is August 2nd, the 19th day of the snow disaster. Now, I am on Bodhihiti Island, in the Maldives, 78 kilometers from the equator. The average temperature here has dropped to minus 42 degrees. The weather forecaster stood under the snowstorm, surrounded by heavy snow, and the lake was also frozen. The program's camera showed a close-up of a small village on the island that was affected by the snowstorm. The entire island was almost covered by ice and snow, and the seawater was freezing at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. The image of the village was shown closer, and the weather forecaster presented the content of the experts' research on the storm. According to the experts' research, the thickest ice layer has reached 55 centimeters. According to our understanding, the countries near the equator are also suffering from natural disasters similar to ours. Hanfeng held a glass of wine in his hand, leisurely sat cross-legged, and watched the broadcast. The situation is actually much worse than the media announced. Suddenly, there was a violent earthquake, and he was shocked and did not know what was happening. He hurried to the window and pulled back the curtains to see what the situation was. Not far from where Hanfeng lived, a major explosion occurred in the high-rise buildings, but he seemed to be used to it. It was the 7th explosion in the last few days. What on earth has happened outside? His eyes looked up, paying attention to something high above. Hanfeng looked at the helicopters flying in the air in surprise. Damn, so many military helicopters. He felt uneasy, so he pulled the curtains and observed the situation with his phone. The situation outside has also led to the panic of the property owners. Through the phone, Hanfeng could see the situation below. The property owners were trading items and food in the parking lot below. Fights broke out one after another, but many property owners took the opportunity to extort and bully, so there were quite a few incidents of kicking and beating. One of the people below spoke, it says in the group, to invite property owners in difficulty to the parking lot to receive supplies for free. A group of people were pulling trolleys full of boxes of food and drinks in the area, the underground parking lot. Hanfeng also put on a warm coat and went downstairs from his house. The cold air made him sneeze constantly. He quickly sniffed the snot back into his nose, his whole body shivering continuously. It is too cold. Hanfeng looked uncomfortably at the people lining up. If it were not for listening to the news, I would not bother to come down. He recalled the scene of the people rioting before he was reborn. Before I was reborn, this neighborhood was rioting. If I remember correctly, it seems to be related to these people. But they are really distributing supplies, and they have never cheated the property owners. There were many questions in his head that could not be answered. What is going on? So he did not want to think too much, and went to the crowd lining up for supplies. In short, let us listen to the situation first. Hanfeng looked around, carefully observing the people around. There are too many people in difficulty. He stopped to pay attention to the argument in front of him. the man was constantly shouting. At first, I handed over several large boxes of supplies. Why are you only giving me a little food now? The person in charge of distributing the supplies quickly reassured him. Everyone is divided equally. He held the meager amount of food in his hand and slammed the table angrily. Return the supplies I donated before. The person in charge gently refused. I am sorry. The supplies cannot be returned. The person in charge was Xian Yu. He struggled to reassure the man in front of him. Now the disaster is still going on. I hope you think about the overall situation. After the disaster is over, we will take the money to compensate you. Do you think that is okay? But he was still determined to get his things back. Who knows how long it will last. I only need the supplies I donated. The people lining up to get supplies below also lost patience with his actions and spoke to criticize him. Is it annoying or not? People have already said they will compensate. Have some shame. I think you want to get more supplies. The criticisms of the man became more and more. Get the things and get out. Everyone is waiting. Do not delay everyone. You gave it, and you still want it back. Where is the shame? That is right. Everyone in the committee is also very hard. Fat pig, get out. Han Feng looked at this situation and smiled unconsciously. Now this situation can't let you take the supplies back. His thoughts were the opposite, but he secretly scolded the people who were criticizing the man, but putting themselves on a high moral ground to criticize those who donate a lot of supplies. It is really shameless. Suddenly the man next to him spoke to Han Feng. It is really a bunch of shameless people. You are right, are not you? He turned his head to look. Ziyi raised his hand to greet him. Brother, because of the cold, his face was gaunt, dry, and even his lips were shriveled. Han Feng recognized the acquaintance and also raised his hand to say, hello, brother? Long time. No, see, how have you been recently? He replied softly. Okay? Ziyi coughed a few times before continuing. It is just that I do not have strength, and I am a little shaky. Han Feng looked at him helplessly. Is that what you call okay? He looked dejectedly at his rumbling stomach. These days I have been relying on water to live, but it is still too reluctant. Han Feng could not help but wonder. Don't you have any supplies? He pointed forward and replied, well, at that time, I wanted to help my neighbors, so I gave most of my supplies to the committee. But the food in the house is gone, and the disaster has not stopped. His lips were dry and cracked, and it was a bit difficult to speak. Moreover, the supplies distributed by the committee were only a little bit. I should have kept it for myself. Han Feng called softly, brother? He pulled Ziyi closer, and whispered, can you help me a little? That is, he nodded a few times without knowing anything. After listening, he could not believe it, and stared at him. You just gave me 4 packs of noodles and 2 sausages so easily. Han Feng confirmed with him, yes. Do not dislike it, I do not have much food either. Just that little bit of supplies was enough to make Ziyi cry with gratitude. Brother, you are clearly finding an excuse to give me food. I will never forget you in this life. He looked at him with a forced smile. We are brothers, why be so polite? He paused, and firmly put his hand on his shoulder. Don't worry, brother. Ziyi still could not hold back his tears and said, just leave this little thing to me. Han Feng happily replied and made an appointment with him. Thank you, brother. Come to my house to get the things tonight. He happily gave him a thumbs up. Okay, then I will go get the supplies first. He turned around and continued to line up. Han Feng smiled and also gave him a thumbs up. Han Feng felt very comfortable in his heart. A few packs of noodles and sausages are enough to get the job done, so I do not need to collect intelligence myself in the future. He smiled slyly and turned to leave. Although I feel a little guilty towards him, but what is better than staying at home in a warm bed, eating, drinking, and playing games? While walking, someone called his name, Han Feng. He reacted and looked up. As soon as he looked up, Han Feng saw a hand descending. Before he could figure it out, he was slapped hard. He felt the pain to the point that his mouth was twisted. The person who just slapped Han Feng was Huina. She looked at him with hateful eyes. You disappoint me too much. In the middle of the crowd, she said very loudly, why do not you reply to my messages? So many eyes were focused on them. Han Feng only regained consciousness. Now, just now. He reached out and touched his cheek, which was red and swollen from being slapped. I was slapped by her. He uncomfortably recalled his memory with her. I have not even settled the debt from before, and now you hit me for no reason. Han Feng's face began to bulge with veins. Do you really think I am easy to bully? But he still tried to restrain himself. Huina saw him standing still without moving, and began to scold. Are you deaf or mute? I am talking to you. Han Feng took a long breath. Adjusting his emotions, he looked at her with a tired face. Sorry, Huina. It is like this. He casually made up a reason to deal with it, but she believed it and shouted, What? Stolen? Han Feng scratched his head and calmly replied, Well, I left the supplies in front of the door and went back to get the key. When I came out, the supplies were gone. Huina asked worriedly, Have you looked for them? He replied softly, I looked, but there were no clues. She asked hesitantly, So do you still have supplies? Han Feng showed a pitiful look, with the difficult appearance of someone lacking supplies. Not much anymore. I only eat 1 meal a day, and I can only maintain it for a few more days. Hearing his answer, Huina looked happy. That is great. Her nature began to be revealed, looking at him greedily. If you only eat 1 meal a day for 2 days, you can share half with me, so that we can overcome this disaster. Han Feng looked at her appearance and was speechless. You are really shameless. How can you say these words? He thought, that is right, in her eyes, I am just a tool that can be taken out when needed. He spoke and replied, okay. Han Feng talked to her kindly. Since I agreed to Huina, let us split it in half. Huina seemed to have found a savior, very excitedly. Really, thank you, Han Feng. Then, can you help me get it now? He tiredly sent her away. Go at night. I will go back to pack up and send you a message. She did not think much and turned to prepare to leave. Well, I will wait for your message. Then I will go back first. You also go back early. Do not catch a cold. Fearing that he would change his mind, she pretended to care. Han Feng impatiently waved goodbye to Huina. Well, Wait for me tonight. The sky outside was still the same, still a dark color, but because it was night, the blizzard became thicker. Weina anxiously sent a flurry of messages to Han Feng. Han Feng, can I go over now? Han Feng, are you there? Have you prepared the food for me, Han Feng? I am waiting downstairs for you. Han Feng, have you come down? I am too cold. But there was no response. She trembled and leaned against the wall. What is Han Feng doing? He does not reply to messages or answer the phone. Is he not going to meet me? She helplessly looked at the elevator that was frozen. Their elevator has also stopped. Weina could not sit still anymore. She decided to climb the stairs. But when she looked up, she realized there were still several floors. She dragged her heavy steps up each step. Weina climbed while gasping for breath, secretly cursing Han Feng in her mind. Damn Han Feng, if it were not for the supplies, I would not bother to find you. She kept complaining, I am so tired, I have been hungry these past few days. Seeing the floor number, she was so happy that she was about to cry, finally almost there. Suddenly, the lights on the ceiling went out. It was pitch black around Weina, and she was a little scared. The emergency lights are also broken. Suddenly there was a noise from above. She looked up worriedly. Who is there? Suddenly a black bag fell down. Weina was so scared that she froze. With a thud, the bag fell accurately on her head, and the lights on the ceiling turned on again. She screamed with her hair covered in dirt. Han Feng. Han Feng pretended to be anxious. Sorry, Weina, I overslept. Seeing the message, I ran downstairs with the supplies. I did not expect the lights to suddenly go out. I bumped into the railing so I could not hold it steady. Weina cursed non-stop. Are you a pig? You can't even do such a simple thing. She disgustedly removed each piece of plastic film from her head. How disgusting. Han Feng looked at her appearance now and smiled very smugly. This is what I specially prepared for you. He spoke to interrupt Weina, reaching out the black bag to her. Here, this is the remaining supplies. She glanced at the bag and stopped cursing. Weina took the bag, opened it, looked at the things inside, and her whole body trembled. Aren't these all broken? It is like garbage. Han Feng turned on the acting mode. This is what I saved eating, so there are only these left. She looked at the dirty piece of meat in her hand. How can you eat something so dirty? Seeing her attitude, he pretended to take back the bag. If you dislike it, give it back to me. Seeing that he intended to take it back, Weina nervously grabbed it and hugged it. Who said I dislike it? Han Feng looked at her with a very indescribable look. He recalled Huina's very gentle image before. Is this the goddess that I used to desperately pursue? Huina took out a half-eaten apple from the black bag and checked it. The outside is black. The inside is probably still okay. I can eat it after scraping it off with a knife. She hurriedly grabbed the remaining black bag from Han Feng's hand. Give me these noodles too. She looked at it happily. Great, there is still half left, ignoring the sarcasm in his eyes looking at her. Han Feng looked at Huina's back and smiled coldly. This garbage is enough for you to live for a few days. She happily carried the 2 bags back to her room. He looked at her contemptuously, turned to leave. You can't take a bath in this weather. You just hug those noodles. He hummed while walking. But before he had gone far, Han Feng felt something. He still pretended to be calm and did not care. Continued walking into the corridor. Han Feng stepped into the door and took a few steps. There was also the shadow of another person coming from behind. The person just lifted his foot to step in. Han Feng reacted and jumped back. He grabbed the collar of the person and threw him down. He raised his fist to scare him, looking for death. But the next second he stopped, his face showing obvious confusion. The person who had been following Han Feng was just a girl. He grabbed Chu Chu's collar and questioned, Hey, are you following me? What are you plotting? Vu still stared at him without answering. Han Feng saw that she was still stubborn and would not open her mouth, so she would not talk, huh? He immediately thought of a threat. If you do not talk, I will strip you naked. The girl only blushed, but still lay there, staring at him without saying anything. Han Feng looked at the situation and was helpless, not knowing what to do. Seeing that Vu still would not open her mouth, he brushed off his pants and stood up. If she would not talk, then that was it. He would let her off this time. The girl looked at him and also struggled to get up. Han Feng put his hands in his pockets and turned to leave, not forgetting to warn, go home quickly. Do not play any more tricks. Suddenly, he stopped. Turning his head to look, he saw Thu pulling on his clothes. Han Feng thought she had something to say, so he spoke first. What? But Thu still did not open her mouth and just kept looking at him. He gradually lost patience and said to her, Do not look at me like that. I am leaving if you do not speak. Thu pointed forward. Then she used her strength to pull him in the direction she was pointing. Han Feng was puzzled. You want me to follow you? The girl only replied with one word. Uh-huh. The two of them went to a room, the door of which was open. Han Feng stepped in and looked at the things in front of him in astonishment. He curiously turned around and looked everywhere. He asked, Thu, these things are all prepared by you, the girl replied indifferently. Uh-huh. Han Feng could not help but look at Thu in surprise. Could it be said that she knew about the disaster beforehand? The girl nodded slightly and bent down to take off her jacket. She took off her thick coat and turned her head to say, Calculations, results, Ice Age. Thu tapped on the screen containing the message it is said in the group. Han Feng pointed in shock. So you are that outsider. He looked at the girl with admiration. Amazing, but you led me to your house to talk about this? Thu did not answer and just pointed forward. Han Feng looked in the direction she was pointing. He saw his image on the big screen. These things are, from the image of him calling the gas deliveryman into the house, to the image of his conversation with Ziyi. Han Feng was stunned and stammered. He turned to look at Thu suspiciously. You have been monitoring me all along. The girl coldly looked at him and replied, Uh-huh, but what is worth mentioning is that she was actually taking off her clothes. Han Feng was stunned for 5 seconds by this shameless act. He blushed and shouted loudly, Hey, why are you suddenly taking off your clothes? But Thu was still normal, and only replied with one word, hot. He was embarrassed, and turned to anger. No, I did not mean that. Han Feng ordered her, do not say anymore. Put your pants on for me. After settling things, the two of them sat quietly on the chair. Thu focused on typing on the computer, while he sat there tired and motionless. Han Feng glanced at the girl and spoke first. So, you suspected and monitored me because you saw me hoarding supplies before the disaster. The girl was still indifferent as before. He continued to probe, and the purpose was to confirm whether we have the possibility of cooperation. No matter how much he asked, Thu only knew how to say, Han Feng asked more deeply into the issue. The cooperation you mentioned is... Suddenly, the girl propped her hands between his legs, pushing herself forward. Han Feng was stunned by Thu's sudden action. Looking at this strange posture, Han Feng realized, hey, what are you doing? But Thu leaned over, just to take out a rectangular block. The girl looked at him innocently. Teach me how to use the generator. Hearing her ask him to teach her, Han Feng was stunned and exclaimed, After a while of guidance, the generator was turned on. Han Feng indifferently pointed at the generator and asked, that is it, understand? Thu was still indifferent. As usual, He had just turned to look at the girl and said, so, there is nothing else. When he saw Thu staring at him, and he was so scared that he jumped. Seeing Han Feng's reaction, Thu raised her hand and pointed in that direction, and he also looked over. She wanted him to teach her how to use the water heater. Han Feng also enthusiastically instructed, adjust it like this, and you will have hot water, but remember to turn it off after using it. Thu showed that she understood. After the water heater, the two of them began to switch over to how to preserve food. Raw meat should be put in the freezer, and it must be cut into small pieces and put in bags. You are too messy, do not just watch, help out. Han Feng was busy holding large boxes and small boxes, but the girl just stood there watching without wanting to help. Han Feng began to busily instruct Thu on how to use the gas stove. You must pay attention to safety when using gas. Look carefully. The girl was also very well behaved, learning each thing carefully. After the instructions, he even showed off his cooking skills, stirring the food while instructing, enough gas, and the fire can burn brightly, and the stir-fry will be delicious. Have you seen it clearly? Blue flames are good, but he did not notice that Thu did not care about what he was saying, and was focused on looking at the rice cooker, but her mouth still replied, After an afternoon of busyness, the meal was finally completed, and a table full of delicious meat was set out. He was calmly saying, all right, while it is still hot. The next second, Han Feng slammed the table helplessly. I feel like I have become a babysitter. Your self-care ability is too bad. Thu was still eating happily, not understanding what he was saying, so she just stared. Seeing that she did not care, he also denied what he had just said. I was just joking. Han Feng was eating and thinking, too tired. He had just opened his mouth to say, let me say first, I will go home after eating. When he turned around and saw Thu lying on the table, she was so tired that she fell asleep on the table, with a few grains of rice still stuck to her mouth. Han Feng helplessly looked at Thu. She can even fall asleep while eating. Although he felt it was very troublesome, he still helped her up to the chair to sleep, carefully covering her with a blanket. Han Feng put on his coat again and opened the door to leave. Like a child, he slammed the door shut. Everyone was fast asleep, and the snow outside was still falling non-stop. When it was morning, Han Feng's house was knocked on, and he yawned and opened the door. What is the matter so early in the morning? It was Thu who came to give him a gift. These are for you. Han Feng spoke as if saying thank you, too polite, thinking to himself, so much. Seeing that she was still standing there, he opened his mouth. Is there anything else? Thu had carried the generator over to ask for help. Can you teach me one more time? All right. Han Feng affirmed to himself. After a few days of contact, I have determined that the girl downstairs is an idiot. Thu was always carefree, still taking off her clothes naturally even when he was in the house, and she did not have a lot of common knowledge. He could only helplessly watch every time she cooked, to the point where the pot caught fire, and it seemed that she really wanted to learn knowledge about life, pulling me to her house to teach her every day. Her dark cuisine looked like it could not be swallowed, but Han Feng still tried to encourage her. Your skills can be considered to have improved. He could not speak to her directly, and could only speak indirectly so as not to hurt Thu. But even these foods, many people would fight for them. In peacetime, even dogs would probably dislike them. While eating, Han Feng stopped his chopsticks and turned to look at Thu. That is right, I have not asked your name yet. The girl replied indifferently. Xie Wang, Zhenyan Shi. Hearing her answer, he did not bother to say anything. I will pretend I did not ask. Below the parking lot, in the basement, it had become a chaotic scene. Your kind of trash. What are you relying on to receive supplies? Bring it over here. People were fighting over supplies, not hesitating to rob and extort others. Those supplies are mine. Who can prove they are yours? The sounds of things smashing together rang out loudly. Return my supplies. They did not hesitate to kill each other. Go to hell, I took it first. If you fight again, believe I will kill you. One of the men punched the man in front of him in the face until he spat blood. Get lost. These supplies are all mine. His blood splattered all over the pants of the person standing next to him. The saliva also splattered all over Shu Yu's face. He glanced at the man with murderous eyes. He held the loudspeaker in the starting panel. The loudspeaker in his hand emitted a noisy sound, unbearably deafening. Everyone stopped just now. Zhu, you coldly held the loudspeaker and asked, everyone, have you fought enough? While speaking, he reached out and supported a man who had been beaten until his face was swollen. Fighting to the point of bloodshed over this little bit of remaining supplies. Do not, you find it ridiculous. But the others began to scold him. You dare say that? You were the one who proposed donating supplies. My family has only received a pack of instant noodles for several days. That is right, if we do not fight, we will definitely starve to death. Zhue, You pretended to think, let me summarize. Because the supplies distributed are not enough to eat, and the donated supplies are all used up, so we have to fight for the remaining supplies, right? Because of that. He showed a bitter smile, so I just said, it is really ridiculous. Like this, we deserve to starve to death. He calmly continued. You should think carefully. Who caused this situation? A man wanted to say something but stopped. You. Zhu. You bent down and picked up the bread from the ground. Let me help you remember. He picked it up and crushed it with force. The bread, which originally cost only a few yuan, was pushed up to dozens or even hundreds of yuan by those with enough supplies. When the bread was crushed into crumbs, he released it. To squeeze you dry, they even divided the bread into 5 or 10 parts for auction. The bread fell next to a pool of blood. In the end, they successfully profited from the disaster, and you not only spent all your money to buy food. Zhuai. You looked at the ordinary people, who had now become thugs fighting over supplies, and even fighting each other over the remaining supplies. He continued to lead. Is not this ridiculous? Those with more supplies who did not donate were them, and those who deliberately raised prices were also them. He tilted his head and asked everyone there in a bitter tone, and in the end, those who starved to death were us. Is this fair? Seeing that everyone was moving, Su, you said aggressively, now what we need to do most is to unite and stand up to take back what belongs to us. The people who were fighting just now were now enlightened. He is right. This is really unfair. Why are all the benefits taken by them, and we have to starve to death? That is right. Seeing them echoing, it is all their fault. They're the ones who put us in this situation. Shuyu was very satisfied. They began to make noise again. Damn it. It is really unfair. We have to take back our share of the supplies. That is right. Just take back what belongs to us. Zhu, you looked at them and smiled coldly. Ziyi was mixed in with the crowd, starting to get anxious, looking around askew. He took out his phone and sent a message. These people are really crazy. Something big is about to happen. Outside the apartment building they were staying in, it had gradually become completely frozen, and the snow cover was getting thicker and thicker. Han Feng was sleeping in his room when he heard the phone ring. He picked up the phone to look. It was Brother Li. Ziyi's message said, Li Ziyi, younger brother, something big has happened. Those people are crazy. They are about to rob supplies. He did not understand who they referred to, so he quickly sent a message to ask back, they, who are they? Ziyi quickly replied, it is that guy, surnamed Zhang. He is instigating the residents to rob other people's supplies. They are breaking into each house. After reading his message, Han Feng could not stay calm. Right now, he followed Ziyi's message. They're all carrying weapons. Avoid them if you can. Do not confront them directly. Hurriedly locking the door, pulling all the curtains shut, sending a message back to him. Got it. Be careful too. Han Feng looked at the message on his phone. His hand pulling the curtain was a little shaky. He did not expect things to develop to this point. Although it was said to deal with the crisis situation, he had bought 2 guns. He fearfully imagined the scene when he was discovered. But if it was an organized action like this, once his supplies were exposed, facing these crazy neighbors, he was afraid that he would be gnawed to pieces. Although a little scared, he calmly reassured himself anyway. He had to prepare everything first. Han Feng pulled the curtain of the storage room. He pulled out 2 fire extinguishers, wires, and some other odds and ends from inside. He put all the things on the table, arranging them to create something. Han Feng used tape to stick paper and wires on the door. He extended the wires. While he was working, the power suddenly went out, and it was pitch black all around, Because of the heavy snowstorm, the power supply was also cut off. The residents in the nearby apartment buildings began to clamor when the power went out. What? The power's out? Hey. Contact the property management company quickly. Look, the whole building opposite has lost power too. Can't get through anymore. It seems the signal is also lost. Han Feng pulled open the curtains a crack to observe the movements around him. He had known about this for a long time. The snowstorm plus the overload of electricity used for heating. A power outage was only a matter of time. He continued to be busy, going to the storage room to pull out a large gasoline can. Moreover, the heavy snowfall and the low temperature outside also made it impossible to repair the equipment. While thinking, he lifted the gasoline can and poured it into the machine nearby, which meant that this power outage and loss of connection might last forever. Han Feng struggled to pull the cord to start the generator. When the residents realized that the electricity would not come back on, then, while pulling, he thought, and the fear might make the riot situation even more serious. At that time, it would really be hell. About half an hour ago, Huina was still sitting and eating noodles. A man's voice was talking to her. At that time I said directly in the group that I would buy all the supplies for 50 times the market price. Those poor guys immediately shut up. The blonde man leisurely held a cigarette and said, these things only cost me more than 500,000. And I even took out a part of the supplies for auction. Those poor guys competed to buy from me, earning a small sum. He reached out to caress Huina's cheek, seductively saying to her, how is it following me was the right decision, right? She happily grabbed his hand. The blonde man looked at Huina with a sinister look, always having schemes in his mind. As long as he had supplies, this woman would be at his mercy in the future. While he was thinking, there were voices of other people outside. What is wrong with this floor? I remember that there are people in every house. They were discussing prying open the door of his room. You guys, open this one first. Bring the tools over here quickly. Hearing them talking loudly, he slammed the table and stood up. What is all the noise in the middle of the night? The blonde man leaned against the door, secretly listening to them talk. Definitely. I saw that this person bought all the supplies of dozens of households. Hey, this is definitely the one. I also remember he was the first person in the group to raise prices. Do not dawdle anymore. Kick the door. He was hiding behind the door, and the door hit him in the face when it was kicked. The sound of kicking the door grew louder. The blonde man, frightened, stepped back, standing still and not moving. A group of people rushed in mightily with sticks. The snowstorm outside still showed no signs of stopping. Inside a messy room, equipment and machinery lay scattered. Han Feng was still busily creating. He looked at the voltmeter puzzled. Strange, why is there still no electricity? While he was puzzled, the wire on the door suddenly exploded. Huh. Luckily, it was not a big explosion. Han Feng threw the wire down, coughing a few times. He tiredly picked up the wire and brushed off the smoke. Why is it so difficult if only I had internet? While he did not know how to create it, someone knocked on the door. He carefully peeked through the peephole. Han Feng looked suspiciously. This height, this spiky hair. He recognized Thu Thu, and immediately spoke. What is the matter again? The girl stepped back, her face just right with the peephole, and said softly, Need help. He was about to open the door, so troublesome, she came to find me when I was busy. But he suddenly remembered the tragic fate of his previous life. Han Feng pulled his hand back with some precaution, released it. He said with a heavy face to Thu Thu that, I heard that some residents have started breaking doors to rob supplies, so go back quickly. I won't open the door for you. The girl outside fell silent upon hearing this. Gently punched the door. The temperature outside dropped sharply at night, and everything began to freeze. Thu still insisted on sitting there. She was so cold that she huddled up. When she was blowing warm air to warm her hands, she heard voices nearby. Hurry up, lest others rob us first. Thu paid attention to the voices that were getting closer and closer. There are still a few households, with people on the 18th floor. Never mind, just go into each house. A rough hand grabbed the wall. The scary man was carefully observing his surroundings. It seems that no one has come to this floor yet. They divided up the spoils in detail. Those 2 houses will belong to us. The white-haired man and another person stopped in front of Han Feng's door. He requested to the person next to him, Give me the crowbar. They began to pretend to knock on the door. Hello, we are here to deliver supplies. Hello, is anyone home? But they did not think that Han Feng had long known about this plan and had just pulled Thu inside together. The sound of banging and breaking the door became more and more violent and frantic. He anxiously spoke to reassure the girl, Do not be afraid. The door of my house has been reinforced. Thu silently let him cover her mouth. They began to break the door handle. Unable to break the door, they gave up exhausted. Why is this door so strong? Even the door handle can't be kicked off. Hey, why do not we pry open the door of the house next door first? Mark this house. Thu trembled in fear. Han Feng recalled when he hired a worker to reinforce the door. They finally left. Luckily, I reinforced the door and the handle carefully. Hey, please add 5 centimeters of steel inside the door and reinforce the handle too. Are you hiding from debt? Suddenly, he discovered something. Thu was about to faint from lack of oxygen from being gagged. No, are you all right? I was afraid they would discover that there were people in the house. So it turned out that Thu was trembling, not because she was scared, but because she could not breathe. She stammered, Thank you. It was completely quiet outside. Han Feng pressed his face against the door to reconnoiter. It seemed that they had really left. Remembering that he still had something to do, he began to be busy. Wait for me to install this. Next time you dare to kick my door again, I will electrocute you. Thu asked curiously. What is this? Han Feng installed it while answering. An electric shock defense measure. His hands trembled as he carefully arranged the wires. You probably would not understand even if I said it. Even I do not understand. Why is this electric shock device so difficult to make? Unexpectedly, Thu spoke up. This anti-theft system will use current and voltage difference. He looked at the girl in surprise. You know. The girl calmly replied. It is very simple. Han Feng followed Thu's instructions step by step. After cutting off the power, just wrap the bare wire around the door handle and do a good job of insulation. The girl continued to instruct, then connect the grounding wire from the power distribution box to the door handle, and finally start the power source. After finishing, he took out a voltmeter to test. There was a reaction. It really succeeded. Han Feng was very curious, so he asked Thu, How do you know these things? The girl replied coldly. Xie Wang Zhenyan has the ability to see through all the truths of the world. Hearing that silly answer, he interrupted her. Never mind, I will pretend I did not ask. Han Feng hugged the pile of wires and walked to the table. Tell me quickly, what you want me to help with. I am very busy. He turned to look at Thu and called out, Hey, I am asking you. But the girl did not answer and poured out a lot of things from her clothes, including candy, cups of water, and many other things. After pouring everything out, the girl spoke. Xie Wang Zhenyan will reside here. Han Feng replied indifferently. Oh. When he came back to his senses, he reacted. What did you say? He started yelling, What are you kidding me? Absolutely not. Go back immediately. But Thu did not care. Han Feng was about to step forward to talk to the girl when he was tripped by the wire. Just as he stepped away, he stumbled. He fell to the ground with a thud, and things went flying everywhere. Han Feng fell until his whole body ached. It hurt so much, but a stream of purple energy radiated from his hand. But he looked up in surprise. It does not hurt anymore. Suddenly, he noticed something. Han Feng picked up the cloth in surprise and checked it. My coffee table. He looked in disbelief at the sturdy wooden table that had now become soft and mushy. Became soft. Now Han Feng noticed the source of the power radiating from his hand. Purple light. Could it be that this purple light has turned the coffee table into this form? Looking to the side, the box containing the tools had also become distorted, and the entire toolbox too. He picked up the hammer from the box and checked it. Han Feng shook the hammer to check it, so this purple light can make things soft. But he felt something again, and looked up to see Thu staring at him. He was frightened by the girl's gaze. Damn it, I forgot there was someone in the house. Thu still stared at Han Feng's hand without looking away. Thu looked up at Han Feng with a dazed expression, observing him intently for a moment before speaking slowly. You. The little girl widened her eyes, her gaze sparkling as she looked at him, who was becoming flustered. Are you also an envoy chosen by the True Eye Evil King, huh? Han Feng hesitated, the hammer in his hand now limp. He waved his arm unconsciously in his confusion. Ah, right. I am also a subordinate, chosen by the evil king. So occasionally, there will be some strange phenomena. He thought, this girl's mind is really strange. She feels like she can see through me. He put on a bewildered expression as Thu raised her hand in front of him, as if she could clearly see the doubt inside. The little girl's face became brighter. She spoke, making him feel uneasy. As fellow envoys, we should support each other, and our resting places should be shared. Share our living spaces. Han Feng hesitated for a moment, then revealed a clear look of dissatisfaction on his face. He muttered in an incomprehensible tone. She is a girl, how can she stay with me? As soon as he finished speaking, the girl rushed straight into his room without hesitation, then slammed the door shut, causing a sudden loud noise behind him. His eyes widened in surprise. Han Feng turned sharply. The person from before now disappeared behind the closed door, revealing an empty space. He said loudly, in a tone of indignation, "Hey, I have not agreed yet. Do you really think this is the evil king's lair? Whatever, let her do what she wants." He ignored the matter, and focused on the limp hammer in his hand, his expression revealing his confusion. He thought to himself, but what exactly was that purple light just now? His face became both tense and suspicious. He murmured, "It can make things become flexible." Han Feng closed his eyes, trying to shake off the tension building inside him. He pondered, guessing. It seems the light I possess is not just of two types. It is just that the others have not been discovered yet. He threw the hammer down, then grabbed the power cord, his expression focused. The purple light appeared when I was just caught on the power cord, about to bump into the coffee table. Han Feng thought about what just happened, a chill running down his spine. Recalling the feeling at that moment, his eyes suddenly widened as he felt a source of purple light shining on his face. Huh. Han Feng stared at the purple light covering his hand like jelly with astonishment. He stammered. It appeared. Does the purple light appear just by remembering the dangerous situation from before? He was stunned, looking at his hand in disbelief, thinking, does this purple light also work on power cords? Han Feng put the power cord aside, then moved to the kitchen, taking a knife in his hand. His eyes stared at the knife hesitantly. Let us try it with something else. In just a moment, that purple light covered both his hand and the knife. His eyes widened in astonishment again. It works on steel too. In a few short seconds, as if having touched some chemical substance, the knife drooped down, becoming so limp it almost melted. This feeling was like touching jelly. After a while, the table was filled with other household items. Water glasses, chopsticks, spoons, plates, and all sorts of other things. But they were all dented and deformed. I have tried it with many different types of items. Han Feng stared intently at the objects on the table, while holding a limp spoon in his hand. He pondered thoughtfully. The longer this purple light is used, the more severely the item softens. Other than that, there is no other change. He rested his chin on his hand in frustration. His eyes locked on the limp spoon he was swaying back and forth in his hand. His eyebrows furrowed as he complained in his thoughts. This function is really useless. He suddenly came up with an idea. Han Feng grasped the spoon with both hands, his expression curious. What if? The two sources of purple and blue light gradually appeared, covering his hands and the spoon, each hand with a different color, connected to the spoon. He wondered, what happens if I combine the two types of light? In his hands, the two sources of light collided, as if contending for battle. The small, deformed spoon from before was now gradually changing, but into a shape that seemed larger. Han Feng lifted it up, his eyes narrowed in concentration. He muttered in his breath, like an incantation, Bankai. The energy dissipated in a puff of smoke like ashes. He stared blankly at the intact knife in his hand. With this knife he tilted it, looking at its shiny surface, so much so that it reflected his image. Han Feng found it hard to believe. The blade has returned. His gaze lifted, intently looking at the cardboard box with wide and small eyes full of doubt, as if deciding something. Without hesitation, Han Feng rushed over, grabbing the piece of paper. It seemed normal, but he noticed that his body was trembling from the effort as he tore the originally flimsy piece of paper. Finally, he stopped in frustration, holding the paper tightly as he thought to himself. So that is it. When combining the two types of light, I can change the flexibility of matter. Han Feng raised the paper high, his other hand stroking his chin as he carefully observed it in contemplation. Moreover, the hardness is a bit excessive. He suddenly froze, his eyes widening in surprise at what was happening, but his expression changed hardness. In another place in the dark corridor, the corridor was eerily quiet. The soft sound of footsteps echoed in the deserted space, followed by a faint whisper. Hey buddy, you are not planning on handing over the looted supplies right away, are you? Only a fool would hand them over. I am not full yet. Two figures with their faces covered, and coats covering their bodies. In their hands were bags full of supplies. After handing them over, we still have to share them with the women and the elderly. Why should we? But we have to keep this a secret. We will be dead for sure if others find out. Suddenly, the black-haired thief with a horrified face pointed behind the ash-blonde-haired thief, his tone becoming urgent. Hey, quickly look behind you. What? Without hesitation, the ash-blonde-haired thief turned sharply with a frown on his face. As soon as he turned around, he almost froze when he recognized the wall with the distorted numbers on it. He stammered, in an unbelievable tone. The wall is moving. Among the numbers, a terrifying face suddenly appeared on the wall, its eyes, nose, and mouth, all a mysterious black, making people shiver with fear. Not stopping there, it began to wriggle aggressively, the ghostly face protruding more and more. The face of the ash-blonde-haired thief turned pale in horror, his eyes widening in terror. It suddenly rushed out, its two arms reaching out as if to grab him, while emitting a strange groan. The two thieves froze, he stammered, there. The two were horrified, a chill running down their spines. They trembled, their eyes widening as if they could fall out at any moment. They said in unison, there is a ghost. In an instant, the two rushed straight to the stairs, running away while screaming, clearly frightened out of their wits. Ah! The wall became more distorted, but they seemed to be grimacing in discomfort. Quick, can't breathe anymore. Then, on the other side of the wall, Han Feng quickly pulled his face out of the limp wall, his expression urgent as he shouted, "Ah!" He turned his face away, panting heavily, his hands and body still stuck, glued to it. He complained, "It is too exhausting to make the whole wall move." The two sources of energy gradually connected, merging into a mixed pile of purple and blue. What seemed like a normal mixture suddenly exploded, the sound deafening, causing both sources of energy to dissipate into the dust and smoke. Han Feng almost collapsed, unable to stand straight as he looked at the wall that had now become sturdy and intact again. He frowned, lamenting, "I am exhausted." Next. Although exhausted, he still dragged a heavy hammer, its metal surface sliding across the floor, creating friction and leaving a burning mark. Han Feng gripped the hammer tightly with both hands, his eyes locked on the wall in front of him. "I have to check the results of the hardening process." His face revealed his determination, his eyes not showing any hesitation as he thought to himself, "Let us begin." Without hesitation, the hammer struck the hard surface of the wall, his expression firm, determined not to retreat. In contrast to the tension on his side, outside it was now white, with snowflakes falling in bursts, like a rustling rain, the cold air mercilessly enveloping the entire neighborhood. Back to his side, his hands were now limp, as if unable to hold the hammer, with panting breaths, filling the surroundings. Han Feng lowered the hammer, his eyes intently looking at the scratch on the wall. Although he had struck it again and again, it was clear that it only suffered minor damage. "This is too much. I can't even break a piece of the wall." In another area, with a blue sign above and dark space around, it could be said that this was a basement. A black bag was placed on the cold floor, making a rustling sound from the collision of objects inside. The black-haired thief from before scratched his head, his expression and tone feigning disappointment. "Many homeowners have almost run out of food. I only collected this much supply, sorry." A hand suddenly patted his shoulder, causing him to look up, turning around to look. Before he could recognize who was behind him, a force suddenly held his hands tightly behind his back, pressing him to the ground, causing him to scream in surprise. Tai Wu sat on his back, his face grimacing in anger. He shouted, "Speak! Where did you hide all the stolen food? Who hid it? Everything I stole is all here." He became increasingly angry, without hesitation, breaking his arm behind him, causing him to scream in pain. His voice revealed his anger as he said, "Don't play dumb with me. I clearly saw you carrying 3 large bags just now, but now you are only handing over 1 bag. Ah, pain, 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 you must have seen wrong, I swear I have handed everything over." Tai Wu looked at his stubbornness, he gritted his teeth, his hand tightening into a fist, then slowly raising it high. He threatened, causing his appearance to tremble. "You won't talk, huh? It seems I have to give you a beating before you will be honest." Before he could lower his fist, a calm hand slowly placed itself on his shoulder, causing him to freeze. Glancing behind him, Tai Wu turned sharply to look at the figure behind him, his expression surprised. He spoke in a gentler tone than the threatening words just now. "Brother Jiang, why are you here?" The figure was calm, tilting his head to look at him, his tone calm, as if reassuring all the tension just now. "Can you release him first? If there is a problem, just talk it over slowly." "But this guy hid everyone's food." "Shui." You looked at Tai Wu intently, his eyes revealing calmness and gentleness. He said softly, "Yes, I know, let me handle this." Okay then." Tai Wu turned to him, rudely throwing his hand away and standing up, grumbling, "I'm letting you off this time for Brother Jiang's sake." "Ah!" Before his eyes, a gentle hand reached out, attracting his attention. "Shui." You stared at him intently, then he spoke, his voice gentle, revealing a genuine concern that made him stunned. "Are you okay, Brother Jiang?" Shu." You smiled lightly, his face revealing warmth and kindness that was strangely comforting. After a while, the remaining 2 bags full of food and supplies were piled up inside. He slightly lowered his head, his eyes avoiding Su Yu out of embarrassment and guilt. Finally, he spoke, his tone stammering. "Sorry, Brother Jiang. My family has 5 mouths to feed. The portion of food that is distributed is really not enough, so I..." Without hesitation, Su Yu took out a box of pastries, giving it to him without hesitation, making him stunned, his eyes widening in surprise. He only said quietly, "Take it, this is my portion for today." "Brother Jiang, what are you doing?" "Zhu?" You smiled gently, he tilted his head, his voice calm and composed, as if it were nothing big. "Rules are rules, the collected items must be handed in, and then a fixed portion is received, according to the number of people. But I also understand your difficulties." He looked down at the box of pastries in his hand. Although it certainly would not be enough to make his family full and warm, it made him tremble slightly, his tone almost choked with emotion at Su. "Use kindness. Quickly take it and go home. Thank you." He held the box of pastries tightly in his hand, turning to look at Su Yu, his expression determined. From now on, if there is anything, just tell me to do it. Yes, if there are any difficulties, just tell me." He took the 2 bags, then went to the other residents. "Everyone, quickly take the supplies and go home." "Yes, Brother Jiang." "Brother Jiang, go home early too." "All right." The twin brothers Tai Wu and Tai Wen came over, each grabbing a bag to help him, while their eyes intently looked at him. They wondered, "Brother Jiang, how did you make him hand over the hidden food?" "That is right, why did he suddenly willingly hand it over? And why did Brother Jiang share his portion with him?" "Su." You gave a characteristic soft smile. He said calmly, "Actually, I did not do anything special, I just made him understand a principle." "What principle?" Without hesitation, he pushed up his glasses, beginning to lecture. "In the history of Country M, there have been many uprisings due to conflicts of interest between classes. Before them was a chaotic scene, with explosions and rubble piled up all around. But the nature of these events is often defined as collective social behavior. As long as they are not caught in the act, the participants will not be convicted." His face unconsciously darkened as he recounted those events. "So I just told him that if he breaks the rules, the collective will not accept him. He is just a robber." Shu Yu continued, making Tai Wu and Tai Wen look at him in astonishment, not to mention whether he will be dealt with by the law when the disaster ends. Before that, he will also have to face the revenge of the homeowners who robbed. So that is it, so that is how it is. In the commotion, a figure quietly approached them, with a cigar in his mouth. Wang Yao calmly leaned against the wall, adjusting his cigar as he spoke. But in those rebel groups, there will often be a leader leading the action. He stared intently at Shu Yu, who looked amiable and friendly. He thought to himself, troubled times always produce heroes. This kid is not simple. In another familiar place, the hammer once again made a loud noise against the unyielding glass. Han Feng stared intently at the intact glass in front of him, panting heavily while exhausted. He glanced at the sword, stroking its firm metal. He thought to himself, now the entire house has completed the hardening process, and the hardness has also been confirmed. Suddenly, a sudden noise cut through his thoughts. He turned sharply to look, his face puzzled and confused. Han Feng hesitated for a moment, before reluctantly walking to the door, each step revealing his discomfort. Could it be that the neighbors are here to rob supplies again? He went to the door, his eyes intently looking through the peephole. He called out loudly, in a questioning tone, who is it? Before his eyes was a small figure, with golden hair and tearful eyes, as if trying to appear pitiful. Han Feng, it is me. I have thought it over carefully these past few days. I can't betray the feelings you have for me. Han Feng looked out with wide eyes in surprise. It was Hui Na, she continued to say. Only when facing difficulties can one understand sincerity. Only the person who truly loves me is willing to sacrifice unconditionally for me. If you do not believe me, then open the door and touch my heart. His mind drifted back to the old events. The scene of him being knocked unconscious, lying alone in a pool of blood to the point of coldness, still like the words of that day. Han Feng widened both eyes, his eyebrows furrowing, his expression clearly showing anger to the point of explosion. In his mind, he now imagined her with that fake heart, with the reality of carrying a demon behind her, meaning that, besides her, that man was also outside. In that anger, Han Feng unexpectedly rushed to the prepared sniper rifle. Finally, it is here. I have to use a gun to kill this despicable couple. But after taking a few steps, he quickly stopped, his footsteps standing still as if blocked by an object. He thought, playing out the scene of him rushing out of the door, holding a gun, but before his eyes was only a dark corridor. Wait, now there is a power outage. The enemy is in the dark, and I am in the light. If I can't kill them in one shot, I am likely to be counterattacked. On the other side of the room, with a power cord short-circuiting, sparks were appearing. Han Feng stared at it. If I use an electric shock, I have to trick them into grabbing the doorknob together, which is almost impossible. Moreover, I am not sure what the effect of the electric shock will be. He became contemplative, his mind in a state of chaos, with his revenge making it difficult for him to focus. He reassured himself, calm down, it has come to this. I have to be calmer. First I have to clarify the situation. His eyes closed as he focused on the problem at hand. He thought, his face furrowing with difficulty. Currently the biggest threat is not Li Hui Na, but the man hiding in the dark. Han Feng slowly opened his eyes, staring at the door as if trying to see through it. He rubbed his chin. So I have to go out and immediately determine his location to finish him off in one shot. But how can I determine his location? From inside the house. He suddenly stopped, his eyes widening as if he had just realized or remembered something important. He recalled the old memories, then drew a three-dimensional map, locating the man's position through the door and the obscured wall. I remember that man must be hiding in the corner behind the door. Han Feng slowly walked to the side of the wall, his hand raised to stroke the wall, circling the area that he thought was correct. Maybe it is in this direction. He stared at his hand, concentrating his energy to create the power he had just gained before, although it takes a bit of time. Around his hand began to appear the purple light covering it. But I can do it. On the other side of the door, Hui Na had begun to be impatient. She knocked on the door again, her tone urging. Han Feng, are you still there? Please open the door, Han Feng. Meanwhile, the large man on the other side of the door still held the item tightly, wondering, hey, is this kid worth us putting in so much effort? He still has some supplies. Moreover, I suddenly remembered that before the disaster, he bought a car of goods. The man gave a sneering smile as he heard her say, raising his voice, pleased, then this guy is enough for us to eat for many days. While the two were still intently waiting for the door to open, the wall behind him had begun to change, without him knowing. The wall was distorted, each item, the power of that light combined, to create a flexibility for the wall. Suddenly he looked at Hui Na, his tone of question, making her both curious and confused. Hey, do you hear anything? Hear what? He pondered for a moment, then turned sharply around. I seem to hear something behind me. Just as he turned around without seeing what was happening, he was punched straight in the face by some invisible force from the wall without hesitation. That punch sent him flying far away, falling to the ground without mercy, making Hui Na next to him stand stunned, making a confused noise. Hui Na went to him, her eyes wide with surprise, as she looked at the figure lying on the ground with a trembling body. What is wrong with you? Hey, do not scare me. The door unexpectedly creaked open. She quickly turned to look at the space inside, her expression surprised. Before she could react, Han Feng came out. In his hand was a fire extinguisher. He was fully equipped, his face revealing complacency with sharp eyes and a smirk on his lips. Hui Na froze, staring at him in astonishment, her mouth slightly open, as if about to say something. Before she could speak, a stream of white gas sprayed straight at her, making her scream loudly. Ah! Hui Na raised her hand to try to shield her face from the white gas, her body trembling from its coldness. Don't spray anymore! Despite her words, Han Feng did not stop, but even sprayed her more fiercely. Hui Na's eyes almost rolled back in horror. Hui Na slumped down, her face wrinkling uncomfortably as the cold air rushed over her, followed by a violent cough. Finally, when the gas subsided, She turned sharply around, her eyes widening as she saw the man lying trembling in front of her, as if about to freeze and unable to move. This. The man glanced, looking at Huina through his unopening eyes, his face swollen, almost bruised to a pitiful degree. He tried to say, "Save." Huina looked at him, her eyes widening in horror, her mouth open but unable to say a word. Suddenly, in the dark mist, white mist surrounded them, a hand reaching out from it towards her. The hand rushed out and grabbed her hair and scarf without mercy, holding them tightly in its hand. In her own panic, she jumped back from him without hesitation, enduring the pain from the hair being pulled out, making Han Feng also stunned. Without hesitation, Huina stood up abruptly, then turned and ran away, without looking back. Han Feng frowned behind her, turning to look at her, leaving back, "Save my life." Han Feng slowly sat up, his eyes staring at the space that was now quiet and without a soul. He raised his hand and rubbed his chin, muttering, "TCH, runs fast." As he was still reflecting, suddenly, a noise beside him caught his attention, making him glance over. As the man was trying to stand up, suddenly a foot kicked him in the stomach, making him scream in pain. "Who told you to stand up? Ah!" Han Feng without mercy raised his foot, ready to kick him. The man quickly sat up, raising his hand to block while coughing violently. Wait. The man frowned, his face bruised, saying forcefully, "Do you know who my father is? If you dare touch me again, I swear." Despite the threatening words, Han Feng without hesitation kicked him straight in the face, sending his head flying around, mocking, "What if I touch you?" Not stopping there, he raised his foot and knee, kicking him straight in the chin without any mercy. "Do I need to care who your father is? I am beating you." After a while of being beaten, the man raised his hand in a blocking manner, his tone having become less rude. Wait." His face was now distorted and incomplete, many bruises and contusions scattered around his face, to the point of being pitiful. "I have no grudge against you. Why are you?" Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Han Feng punched him straight in the face, making his face twist to one side, spitting blood, his voice full of discomfort. "I still want to ask you." He sat on the man, his hands alternating, repeatedly punching him in the face. He said angrily, "Is my life cheap? Why do you want to kill me? Why, huh?" His eyes almost rolled back, his face darkened in an ominous way that frightened people. He swung his fist hard, his tone lowered threateningly. "Tell me." The man was now like a pile of mess, his face bruised, swollen with injuries, his body covered in blood. He trembled nonstop, only able to make painful sounds. Han Feng quietly picked up the stick from the ground without hesitation. He turned around, standing tall in front of the man with the stick gripped tightly in his hand. The man looked at him, his eyes already brimming with tears, his tone trembling, speaking unclearly. "Gi, give me a reason." Han Feng only stared at him, his teeth grinding slightly. He repeated, in a contemptuous tone, "Reason." Without hesitation, he grabbed the stick with both hands, then brought it down hard on the man's head. Without the slightest hesitation, he shouted loudly, "Don't play dumb with me!" The sound of the collision echoed through the quiet corridor, blood splattering everywhere on the dark path. Han Feng stood silently, staring at the corpse in front of him. He breathed heavily, his voice filled with resentment. "When you killed me, did you ask for a reason?" Suddenly, his face changed strangely, becoming ominously dark, his eyes widening. He raised his hand to cover his mouth, his expression surprised, almost horrified. "Ah." He slumped to the ground, his face down as a violent cough crashed over him like a wave. "Ah, ah, ah." In the midst of the cough, a strange noise suddenly rang out behind him. Han Feng froze, his eyes widening in surprise as he turned his head to see where the noise came from. Behind him, a small figure quietly sat there, not knowing since when. They were calmly oblivious to the bloody scene before them. Finally, the little girl Thutu raised her head to look at him, her expression bored. "Need help." Switching to inside Han Feng's house, he had now changed into a clean set of clothes. The two of them sat facing each other. Neither of them spoke, but his mind was spinning with thoughts. "Such a terrifying scene, and she does not show any fear at all. This girl is a bit scary. It is best not to let her stay in my house." After a while, Han Feng spoke to remind her. "What I mean is, those people could come back for revenge at any time. You will be implicated if you stay here." Despite those words, Thu still leisurely sipped her juice, only uttering a casual sound. "Oh." Han Feng frowned, his eyes narrowing uncomfortably. He pointed at Thu, grumbling. "Are you finally agreeing or not? I am saying this for your own good." Thu calmly held the glass in her hand. The little girl looked up at him. "No, I want to stay here." Han Feng frowned uncomfortably. He reached out his hand, analyzing and trying to persuade the little girl. "But it is very dangerous to stay here. We could both die." Suddenly, the little girl Thu put the glass of juice down hard on the table. Thu stood up abruptly, looking at him with her big round eyes while speaking, without any worry. "Don't worry, the true Evil King will help you." Then, the little girl turned sharply away, slowly walking to the room, leaving him staring blankly at her. The Evil King's energy is about to run out, needs to rest. Before Thu could enter the room, a hand unexpectedly wrapped around the little girl's arm, holding her back. "Wait." Han Feng behind her looked at the little girl uncomfortably. He complained, "Don't keep using childish words to fool me. I am talking to you about a real problem." With that tight grip, Thu did not show any worry. She slowly turned around, looking at him intently. After a moment, she muttered a word that left him stunned and confused. "Enter." "Huh." Without explaining any further, the little girl reached out her hand, quietly grabbing the doorknob and turning it. Han Feng looked at the slightly open door, looking at the little girl with a puzzled expression, the discomfort temporarily forgotten as he wondered. "Then what?" He tilted his head, looking inside, but then, his expression suddenly changed. His eyes widened in surprise, his mouth unconsciously opened. Arriving at a place with that familiar sign, the surroundings were buzzing with conversation. The neighbors who have received supplies should not linger in the parking lot. Make way for those who have not received them yet. Before them was a table with a soft light emitting from it, surrounded by residents wearing warm clothes, each person coming up to receive their items. In the midst of the crowd, she, Huina, was also crowding in the line. When it was her turn, she quietly went up, receiving the food while saying, Building 4, Apartment 601, the Liu family, one household. Here, Ms. Liu. With the food in her hand, she quickly left, while behind her, voices rang out. Building 4, Apartment 601. Huh? Did not Apartment 601 just receive theirs? Huina's face frowned uncomfortably. She strangely recorded the things that had happened before. He did not come back all night. Moreover, why did he suddenly fall? Was it Han Feng who did it? He had set a trap in advance. She frowned, her face turning strangely dark, almost tense. But what worries me more is when Han Feng opened the door. Before her eyes was the scene of a door being slightly opened with a faint light inside. The house clearly had a faint light and a warm air, proving that he had something to generate electricity. Could it be that he had prepared in advance to deal with the snowstorm? I can't rule out the possibility that he also has a lot of supplies stored. Huina frowned uncomfortably, cursing in her mind. Damn it, this bastard, secretly preparing to resist the cold without telling me, and giving me some garbage. I have to quickly find a way to confirm the situation inside this bastard's house. She quickly carried out her plan, her footsteps hurriedly, walking past the crowd. As she was walking, a figure behind her suddenly turned sharply to look. Hey, wait. Huma's eyebrows furrowed, as she felt a bright light shining on her. Isn't this Huina? The man in the blue jacket waved his hand, as if waving to her. He spoke as if inviting her. Huina, we have set up a heater in the hall of Building 5. Come over and warm up a bit. Huina, without hesitation, turned sharply away, leaving him dejected behind her. No need. I want to go home to warm up. Not giving up, he went to grab her clothes, speaking in protest. Wait a minute. The man in the blue jacket tilted his head to look at Huina, his face becoming cunning, almost despicable. I have a lot of food. Come live with me for a few days. He suddenly leaned close to her, making her click her tongue in discomfort. Think about it. I have always liked you. Huina brushed his hand away, turning her face away as she spoke to shoo him away. Get lost. What do you take me for? Who wants your garbage? At her dismissal, the man in the blue jacket became angry. He grabbed her arm tightly to the point of pain. He frowned, loudly mocking. What are you pretending for? You even have the nerve to impersonate to get supplies. Do you really think no one sees it? It hurts? Let me go. Just based on you. You want to be someone from the management committee. Do you believe I will let you know what is up? The people around them seemed to have heard. They frowned looking at her, clearly showing their dissatisfaction. Impersonating to get supplies. I did not hear wrong, did I? Seems to be talking about that woman. With those gossiping words, Huina became more tense. She angrily pushed the man in the blue jacket away, then swung a punch, rushing over. Let me go. His face was twisted to one side, his eyes widening in surprise. Clearly, not expecting her to be able to punch so hard. Before the punch, the man in the blue jacket almost went crazy. He rushed over, grabbing her arm, while his other hand raised as if to hit her. He shouted loudly, This bitch. But not giving him a chance to attack, a hand suddenly slapped him straight in the face. Don't. The man in the blue jacket flew straight into the wall. Opposite him was a figure that had just appeared, his tone teaching, It is not right to bully girls. This scene simultaneously attracted the attention of countless others, everyone turning sharply to look in confusion, curiosity. What flew past? Seems like someone is causing trouble. In front of them was the man in the blue jacket sitting, slumped on the ground, surrounded by whispers. Someone fell to the ground, fighting. Quickly call Brother Jiang over here. Ji Yan turned to her, her expression warm, gentle. She spoke softly, in a tone of concern. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Is there anything uncomfortable? No, thank you. Ji Yan reached into her pocket, then took out a card, without hesitation, giving it to Huina. Here, this is my business card. If there is anything uncomfortable, you can find me. Huina looked at it, then turned sharply away, pulling her scarf to cover her face in embarrassment. No need, thank you. Suddenly, a hand suddenly grabbed Ji Yan's collar, a curse ringing out. You stinky bitch. Without hesitation, the man in the blue jacket pushed her to the ground, sitting on top of her, holding her down. He shouted, Who told you to be nosy? His eyes widened with an angry expression. He swung his fist while shouting loudly, Do you believe I will kill you? Another hand suddenly reached out, without hesitation grabbing the man in the blue jacket's clothes, causing him to freeze. Before he could react or recognize who was in front of him, he was knocked backwards without mercy. A cold voice rang out while the cigarette was still in his mouth. In my life. Ziyi stood tall above him, his hands in his pockets. He muttered, in a tone of criticism, I hate men who hit women the most. A figure rushed over, his tone hurried, the surroundings also gradually becoming noisy. Everyone make way. It is Brother Jiang. Brother Jiang is here. Noticing Su Yu coming, the man in the blue jacket quickly stood up, pointing towards Huina. Brother Jiang, this girl impersonated to get supplies before. I personally saw her mixing with those who increase supply prices. I did not. Ziyi behind him frowned uncomfortably. He rushed over without hesitation, shouting loudly, What qualifications does a woman beater like you have to complain? The man in the blue jacket widened his eyes, but before he could dodge or wait for him to make a move, a hand suddenly reached out, grabbing his collar tightly. Shuei, you pulled him to face him, his face grimacing in anger, his eyes glaring at him. He shouted uncomfortably. What do you take the management committee for? Protecting the vulnerable and ensuring everyone has something to eat is our duty and responsibility. Sorry, Brother Jiang, I was wrong. He suddenly released him, then turned sharply away without hesitation, his expression still clearly showing discomfort, even darkening. If there is a next time, then get the hell out of here. Shuei, You turned to Ziyi and Ji Yan, his expression softening significantly. He spoke softly, speaking. I am sorry to have frightened the two of you. The things I said before. Are the two of you really not considering it at all? Ziyi only remained silent, then turned away without thinking much, his face revealing boredom, indifference, not caring. I am not interested in gathering to rob. I would rather starve to death than join you guys. Ms. Ji Yan looked at him, her expression hesitant but then embarrassed. She only politely spoke to refuse. Sorry, Brother Jiang, I still can't accept this way. If you have any patience, I can still help. Thank you, Miss Kim. Although appearing warm, afterwards, Sui Yu let out a long sigh of disappointment, almost disappointed. Huina nearby spoke, causing him to turn around, raising his eyebrows to look at her. Brother Jiang, can I join you? She suddenly pressed close to him, grabbing his arm, as if trying to appear pitiful. Actually, I have long admired you. It is just a pity that I have not had the opportunity. But now it is different. We have a lot of time. Not moved at all, Su. You pushed her away decisively, a forced smile on his lips. Ms. Li, are you misunderstanding something? One person can fight, one person can heal. May I ask what ability you have? Without saying anything more, he turned sharply away, his expression almost cold. Sorry, right now you are not valuable enough for me to pull to my side, Brother Jiang. Weina looked at Shu Yu's leading back. She slightly lowered her head, her eyebrows furrowing, her lips pursed, her expression becoming troubled. After a moment she finally spoke, her words causing Zhu Yu to freeze, looking at her over his shoulder with uncertain eyes. Brother Jiang, what if I said I know where there are supplies? In another place, a tone clearly lacking patience rang out. I have said it how many times. It has fan blades, a triangle, a square, and a camera. With a black hole of space in front of her, sparkling like the night sky. A hurried voice. Stop. Found it. The little girl, Du concentrated, trying to pull out an object, while Shu Yu next to her widened both eyes. It was clear from the look on his face that he was eager. Pull it out. An object was quickly pulled out, but before his expectations the result was a disappointment. He grimaced, pointing at the model in front of him with an annoyed expression. Isn't this the model from the fashion counter? What does it have to do with my description just now? Han Feng sighed, rolling his eyes in dissatisfaction while thinking in his heart. To put it simply, this high school girl has a special ability to store space. The room was now piled high with items, thrown haphazardly on the floor, creating a mess. He pondered deeply. She can open a black hole right in her chest, then suck everything she sees inside. If I still can't find it, my house will be filled up. It is easy to put in, but difficult to take out. Her accuracy rate when finding things is extremely low. Han Feng intently looked at Thu as she reached her hand inside again. He stroked his chin, his expression curious to the point of being restless. He spoke in inquiry. But what is it like inside that black hole? Why is it so difficult to find things? The little girl only replied indifferently. Virtual space. Or are the things moved to another place? I have never explored it, but I can be sure. The space is very large. He sat in front of Thu, his eyes staring at the black hole while pointing at it. He was curious. Then can I put my head in to see? By the way, help you search can. With the little girl's agreement, Han Feng moved closer, reaching out his hand to check, clearly still hesitant. He muttered to himself. Her hand naturally moves inside. Surely, there is no problem. He tilted his head closer, looking into the darkness before him with apprehension, as if still worried. After a moment of consideration, he finally had the confidence inside him, deciding to put his head inside. Arriving in the space inside, Han Feng frowned worriedly. He encouraged himself, open your eyes. Just as he slightly opened his eyes quickly widened in surprise, mixed with tension, stunned, staring at the deserted space, with those barrels. But not stopping within that scope, the space inside this black hole was tremendously huge, with countless objects freely moving, floating inside. Oh my god, it is this big. Han Feng's eyes stared at the space in front of him, his expression revealing the tension, as he realized how small he was compared to inside. He forced a smile. No wonder she is a person with powers who can clear out the Eastern District supermarket in just one night. But is not this like a gold mine without borders? Before he could explore this space thoroughly, his eyes suddenly became red, brimming with tears. His eyes widened, as if about to fall out. His hands began to change with a color like bruising. He shouted in pain, "Motherfucker!" On the other side of the black hole, Han Feng's body trembled violently, with interspersed strange noises. He quickly pulled his head out of the black hole, breathing out a difficult breath. Just as he got outside, Han Feng slumped to the ground, his eyes still wide, red, coughing violently. He looked up at Thu, his face tearful. He shouted in an irritated tone, "Why did not you tell me in advance that there is no oxygen inside? My skin feels like it is about to crack. Moreover, my body feels like it is about to be drained of all water. I do not know. I can't enter. My hands are not hurt at all." Her hand was still wiggling, searching inside, but she quickly stopped, looking down at the black hole, where her hand had just grabbed something. From inside the black hole, Thu took out an object. Looking large, she spoke, "Found it." Han Feng looked at the box on the ground, his eyes widening. He pointed at it with an excited expression. "That is it. So it really exists." While he was rejoicing for finding what he wanted, the little girl Thu spoke, causing him to look up at her with a puzzled expression. "I also found other things." Before he could react, countless barrels were thrown out from the black hole. Huh. His eyes widened, his eyebrows furrowing in surprise, his mouth gaping as he shouted loudly, "These things are..." Before them was a long flight of stairs, with a long corridor shrouded in darkness. A flashlight illuminated the path ahead, stopping at the wall with the familiar red numbers printed on it. The black-haired thief and the ash-blonde-haired thief trembled slightly, recalling the old events that made them worried. The two whispered, "This 18th floor looks very unusual. Do you really want to go up there? Won't we run into that monster again?" The man wearing glasses frowned slightly, his tone sarcastic. "It is already the 21st century. Do you two still believe in ghosts? He turned to look at the two of them, his expression uncomfortable, his tone determined. Brother Jiang asked us to scout ahead. Because he trusts us, we can't let Brother Jiang down. The black-haired thief looked at him, his tone doubtful, mixed with unmistakable worry. But what if that woman is deceiving Brother Jiang? Through the surveillance screen, the three of them stood quietly at the stairs, talking lively. Don't talk nonsense. Believe in Brother Jiang's judgment. Finish quickly and go back. Han Feng tilted his body to look at the surveillance screen that Thutu was holding in her hand. He spoke. Sure enough, they have come. It is a good thing. I installed surveillance cameras in advance. He took the lighter in his hand, looking at the little girl with a determined expression, his eyebrows furrowing as he spoke. Activate Plan 2. I will go light the fire. When I come back, you make a move. Nodding, he turned away, staring at the item in his hand, his expression frowning in determination. He muttered to himself, I have to keep the time right. With the plan arranged tightly, clear beforehand, accompanied by the stopwatch indicating 2 minutes in his hand, the three of them suddenly looked straight ahead. The man wearing glasses spoke, he wondered, while the two replied in trembling tones. Did you two hear any noise in front? Could it be that ghost again? At the head of the stairs, as darkness was still enveloping them, 3 glittering lights suddenly appeared strangely. Before they could clearly see what was happening, the engine noise of a car began to echo in the quiet space. Without waiting for the three of them to react, countless different toy cars gradually appeared before them, quickly rushing to their location. They accurately stopped right in front of their eyes, the headlights of those toy cars shining straight into their faces. Seemingly just ordinary toy cars, but the sides of it were filled with firecrackers that the three did not know at all, only looking at those cars in confusion. In that unguarded moment, those firecrackers exploded, making them scream in the quiet space. The corridor was now covered in a white mist. It is Lime. Where are you guys? My eyes hurt so much. While they were still in a panic, a remote control airplane flew in from nowhere, with a firecracker attached to the back. The man wearing glasses quickly recognized it. Staring at it, the firecracker had been lit in advance, still burning gradually over time. Realizing the urgent situation, the man wearing glasses quickly urged the black-haired thief, and the ash-blonde-haired thief, his tone hurried, frightened, run. But the remote control airplane still refused to let them go. It still flew closer, despite their escape. Thu and Han Feng watched the scene intently through the surveillance camera. With only 22 seconds left, the little girl spoke to ask, throw. Get a little closer and then throw. This time I will give them a lesson. Time slowly passed, decreasing more and more. The remote control airplane had quickly approached behind the man wearing glasses. With a stick in his hand, he suddenly turned around, taking advantage of his agility, using the stick to hit the remote control airplane, causing Han Feng on this side to scream in surprise. Motherfucker, be careful, do not break the drone. While the black-haired thief and the ash-blonde-haired thief had escaped, the man wearing glasses with the stick in his hand waved wildly at the airplane. Go die. Suddenly the collision of metal rang out. The stick hit a part of the remote control airplane. Noticing this situation, Duchu spoke to inform, causing Han Feng to frown with an annoyed expression. Lost control on the left. Can't keep it stable. Hold on, this is our only drone. Time now only had a meager 3 seconds left, with the airplane trying to approach under the control of Thu. Despite the white snowstorm outside, but in a corner of the apartment, those whispers were continuously ringing out. Hey, control it. Snowflakes fell in bursts, scattered throughout the city. Amidst the quiet night sky, a large explosion suddenly rang out like fireworks. Amidst the chaotic explosion, the remote control airplane was able to float in midair. Thu calmly announced, while Han Feng had the opposite expression. With an anxious expression, the right propeller is broken. It is decreasing in altitude. Quickly find a place to land, do not let it fall and break. According to his words, the little girl controlled it to a position that seemed safe, successfully landed, outside the window of a certain floor staircase. Switching to another place, with a space that seemed warmer, accompanied by a figure sitting quietly on a chair. Just perceiving the situation, Han Feng stood up abruptly, his voice determined. I will go get it right away. This drone is very important to us. Staircase, there is a corpse. Just hearing that, he froze, tilting his body to look at the surveillance screen in the little girl, Thu's hand. He repeated, curious, corpse. In that surveillance camera, a figure was slumped down in the corridor. Bring the camera closer to see. Getting closer, those 4 people gradually became clearer, lying sprawled on the cold floor, as if they had fainted. This is not this, Brother Li. Han Feng frowned, his expression puzzled, mixed with worry. He wondered, why is he lying there? His eyebrows furrowed into a deeper frown. He stared at the surveillance camera, his expression becoming more tense with each passing second. Could it be that he was also robbed? Without hesitating any longer, Han Feng stood up, walking to a certain cabinet, then, opening it. He reached out his hand, taking the object inside the cabinet as he spoke. I will be right back. I have the key. Do not open the door casually. Arriving in front of the door, he quietly put on his shoes, his face revealing perseverance. Suddenly, a soft sound of footsteps came to Han Feng's side. He raised his head to look with a puzzled expression. In front of him was Thu, the little girl with a walkie-talkie in her hand, giving it to him, her expression calm. This is, keep in touch. Han Feng slowly reached out his hand, taking the walkie-talkie from the little girl's hand as he spoke. Thank you. He turned away, facing the door, his eyes intently looking at the gun in his hand, his face tense as he loaded the bullets, praying silently. Hopefully we won't have to use this thing. Han Feng hurriedly ran down the stairs. He walked in the dark while shining a light. He continuously went down the floors. Thu also informed him accordingly. Floor 17, safe. Floor 16, safe. Floor 15, safe. Han Feng felt cold, so he raised his hand to his mouth, to breathe into his hand, thinking to himself, According to the drone's measurement, the outside temperature is negative 49.8 degrees. Without protection, humans will freeze in half an hour. Outside, the huge snowstorm was still taking place, the thick layer of snow freezing everything. Brother Lie's condition is not good. I have to solve it quickly. The man wearing glasses spoke. The words he said came out a little cold and trembling. That is the thing, if you go up there, you have to be very careful. Yu sat with his hands clasped together. He smiled softly in response. Yes, I know. Thank you for your hard work. The people standing around him were busy doing their work. He raised his head to look at the people standing in front of him and said, first give them 3 sets of thick clothes. The staff member standing next to him quickly replied, okay. The sheltered people happily thanked him. Thank you, Brother Jiang. Yu reached out his hand and took the 3 bags of items and said, it is what should be done. He smiled happily and approached those people attentively. We will never let those who have contributed be disadvantaged. The people chatted with each other to say thank you. Yes, thank you, Brother Jiang. Huina sat in a corner. She trembled and spoke. Brother Jiang, can I join you now? He refused without hesitation. Number, Jue. You came in front of her? He looked straight at her and blurted out. First, we can't confirm whether this was done by your friend. Second, if Uncle Lo had not seen someone transporting supplies with his own eyes, I would not have believed you either. Then he turned and shouted loudly to all his partners there. Let us go to that building together to see what is up. The people not far away responded. Okay, Brother Jiang, pack up right away. Get some more tools for this MSLI too. Yu turned back and continued to speak to Huina. He raised his hand towards the other side and requested, whether your news is true or false, what your true purpose is. In the upcoming actions, I hope you can show your value. She was exhausted, sweat falling continuously without stopping. Huina suddenly glanced over. Yu crossed his arms behind his back and stood watching Hue, receiving weapons from the hands of his partners. She grabbed a tool and held it tightly, her voice trembling as she replied, I know. You turned around and walked away. He turned to the people who were preparing and reminded, everyone is an important resource for our team. Everyone. Remember to pay attention to safety when you go up there. The group quickly moved forward, their steps competing to step on the old stairs. Leading the way was Su Yu. He held the flashlight and went ahead while the others followed behind. Suddenly, someone there saw something. He shone the light and shouted, Brother Jiang, look there! Ziyi was lying unconscious there, Sui. You approached, looked and shouted, it is Li Ziyi! They quickly lifted him up, slowly putting water into his mouth. After feeling the stream of water slowly entering his mouth, he opened his eyes wide and shouted. The water bottle was taken away. Ziyi painfully cried out tears, 2 hands raised wanting to touch the swollen lips loudly. Hot, hot, hot. Suddenly, something attracted his attention. Ziyi glanced over. He looked up at the group of people standing in front of him, immediately becoming silent. He slowly stood up, his whole body trembling in bursts, and TSKED, what bad luck. Seeing that expression, Tai Wu angrily scolded, Li Ziyi, what kind of attitude is that? Brother Jiang saved you, and you do not even bother to say thank you. Ziyi was raising his hand to wipe his mouth. Unexpectedly being scolded by him, he stopped and sighed. He angrily tried to point towards the group of people, his eyes full of murderous intent exposed. If I thank you, then it is also to thank those who were robbed of supplies by you people. Do not pretend to be heroes there. Tai Wen angrily wanted to rush up that bastard, but, unexpectedly Yu raised his hand to stop him. He tried to pretend to be happy, raising his hand with a smile. Brother Li, I sincerely want to invite you to join us. Only when everyone unites can we overcome this cold disaster. Ziyi angrily turned away, and shouted, criticizingly, too annoying, how many times have I said it? I will absolutely not join. Hearing him say that, Tai Wen loudly threatened, Li Ziyi, do not be ignorant. Ziyi turned his back to them, his eyes glancing back with full of challenge. What? Want to force me to join you? When he was about to step away, suddenly a hand was placed on his shoulder, to hold him back. Yu came and placed his hand on his shoulder, smiling warmly and gently asking, Brother Li, is there something you misunderstand about us? We just want you to contribute a bit of strength, so that those who are vulnerable have a little more hope of survival. Ziyi widened his eyes and turned back to face him. He pointed straight at Yu's face, his mouth raised loudly. Hey Jiang, do not think I do not know what you are planning. You only give those old people a meal every 3 days. Is not that the same as letting them wait for death? At this time, Han Feng was hiding on the stairs above. He clasped his hands tightly on the railing and looked down to see. He put his hands in his pockets and spoke loudly. Moreover, I do not have parents, and I do not need to listen to you people either. He anxiously looked down. In his mind he thought, only giving them a meal every 3 days. Then that means that this Brother Jiang actually does not want to care about them. Han Feng hid more carefully, his eyes still glued to those people below who were trying to persuade Ziyas, thinking, that is right, the management committee only accepts those old and weak people in order to attract young people. If it continues like this, sooner or later conflicts will arise in the council. Not letting him say more, Tai Wen rushed over and grabbed Ziyi's collar and shouted, Li Ziyi, do not be ignorant. He grabbed his collar tightly without letting go and spoke up. Just say one sentence. Are you finally participating or not? If you are not participating, then get lost. Do not block our path. Ziyi refused to be weak before him. He used his head to hit him hard, causing Tai Wen to scream. He fell to the ground and was supported by Shu Yu. Ziyi's legs trembled, and he resisted and leaned back. I am not giving in. What are you going to do to me? Stabilizing his body, just as he looked up, he saw those people aggressively holding weapons advancing. You silently looked at him, he sighed in frustration, knowing that he could not manipulate Ziyi. He majestically turned his head and looked at the group of people who were ready to attack and gently nodded to order. Those people received his order and slowly approached Ziyi. His whole body was trembling, but he still tried to use his hand to clench to reassure his body, and spoke loudly. Come here, I am not afraid of you guys. Now Hanfeng had stood up, he also trembled, and anxiously looked towards Ziye. It is not good. Brother Li's state like this may collapse right away. I have to help him. He looked down, and saw that he had leaned back against the wall, and was a little scared, thinking, that is not right. They have too many people. Even if I go out there, I won't be able to do much. Too hesitant with his decision, Hanfeng sat down with difficulty, but Brother Li has helped me so many times, I can't let him go to his death. Suddenly, he seemed to see a small ray of hope. His eyes widened, and he gasped. Looking, below Hanfeng was something indistinctly undulating. Just as he reached down and took it out from his clothes to check, it was a gun. Hanfeng held the gun pointing straight down, his eyes narrowed, and his lips pursed silently. On this side, Ziyi was still struggling to resist before the crowd in front of him. Come here, do what you want to do quickly. Just when he thought he was about to die, something attracted him to look up. The black gun that was in his hand, pointing down, suddenly had its trigger pulled. The sound from the gun rang out loudly. Before he could even register, the iron rod fell to the floor, creating a deafening noise. The bullet rushed quickly. It stuck straight into the floor, right next to Tai Wen. He fearfully sat down. That crowd was shocked and rioted. Hey, what was that noise just now? A gun? It is a gun. Do not joke around. How could it be? Hanfeng did not hide anymore. He held a flashlight in one hand and a gun in the other and rushed out threatening, silence. No one is allowed to move. He came and stood next to Ziyi. Those people saw that and did not dare to advance, slowly retreating backwards. He saw that he was holding a gun and was so scary that he stuttered and glanced over. Lie, little brother, you are. They were fearfully widening their eyes, not daring to say a word, Zhu. You stood in the middle of that crowd silently. Weina was standing in the distance. She turned her eyes to look at him, thinking to herself, Hanfeng, how dare he come out? How does he have a gun? Hanfeng was also very scared. He did not take his eyes off that crowd, handing the key to Ziyi and said, Brother, this is my house key. You take it. We will slowly retreat upstairs. He turned his face and was already turning purple, and quickly reached out his hand to grab the key and replied, Oh, okay. They saw that the situation was not good, and worriedly turned to look at Xue Yu and whispered, Brother Zhang, what should we do now? Should we take advantage of when he is not paying attention? Before he could finish his far-reaching thought, an iron bullet was fired out again and stuck into the ground, causing them to jump. Hanfeng held the gun tightly and pointed towards the crowd. He loudly ordered, I said not to move, throw away your weapons, and sit on the ground. Even though there were so many of them, they still had to yield before a gun, despicably slowly doing as he said. Ziyi went up the stairs before him. Hanfeng also slowly retreated, following behind, carefully watching. Brother Li, let us go. He was still focused on watching that crowd. Whoever dares to move even a little bit, I will shoot right away. Very quickly, the two of them had retreated and disappeared. The staircase quickly returned to silence. That crowd slowly stood up, looking around to see if he had left. Yu Yu's face darkened, standing up and calmly asking, Does anyone know who that person just now was? Weina difficultly approached and spoke to answer. He is Hanfeng. The place we were going to is his house. Tai Wen went crazy and rushed over to grab her collar and roared, Motherfucker, why did not you say earlier that he had a gun? She fearfully reached out her hand to grab his hand to pull it away and stammered to explain, I also saw it for the first time. Xue, you quickly reached out his hand to stop him and dissuade. That is enough. I believe Miss Li would not lie to us. Tai Wen looked at him blankly. Brother Jiang. He raised his head high and happily blurted out, Everyone, think about it carefully. He has such an important weapon. Would not he have supplies too? That crowd was quickly stimulated. They competed to discuss. That is right. Moreover, maybe the person who pushed up the price of supplies before was him. Yu gently lowered his head. In his heart he pondered. If that is the case, the person that Uncle Yu saw, it is highly likely that it was him. Tai Wen approached and spoke to him, wondering, Brother Zhang, are we going to continue according to the original plan? What if he shoots? Yu turned to look at him, then continued to gently lower his head and muttered, No, if he dared to kill someone, then he would have already made a move just now. He happily calculated. I do not believe that they can hide in the room forever without coming out. Xue. Yu turned his face towards everyone opposite him. He spoke to say, Everyone, the plan has changed. We will go back to prepare safety measures and then come back. Outside the building was covered by a thick layer of ice. His voice rang out. We must quickly occupy room 1804. Inside the building was a dark space. A sign before the house was no different. Ziyi trembled and tried to open the door but could not help but speak up. Sorry about that. My hand is a little shaky. Hanfeng turned his back to face him, his hand still raising the gun to defend, and replied, Don't worry, it seems like they did not chase us. His hand trembled non-stop, slowly compared the key and put it in. After turning the lock, Ziyi slowly opened his house door, and unexpectedly thought, Warm. It is so warm. Hanfeng saw that he was slow, and glanced over, and darkened his voice saying, Brother, quickly go inside. Ziyi was startled, and quietly shouted. Stepping into his house, the first thing that hit Ziyi's eyes was the blazing fireplace. A fireplace. Not far from there was a red generator. He could not believe his eyes and stammered, a generator. Ziyi rushed to the glass cabinet in his house. Inside were a lot of necessary items that made him wide-eyed in surprise, and also the supplies in this room. He did not expect all these items, and turned back and shouted, wondering, Little brother, what exactly is your house? Hanfeng had just stepped into the house, raising his hand to rub his neck, and said with difficulty, This matter. It is a long story. Suddenly, a door in his room was opened. Ziyi was startled and paid attention. Vu slowly peeked her head out, gently asking, Where's the drone? Feeling that he had forgotten something, he anxiously tried to force a smile. Forgot about it. The little girl stepped out of the room. Ziyi turned back to look at him, puzzled. What's wrong? Han Feng was silent with the two people in front of him. Very quickly the time had passed. 2 hours later, Ziyi, with a mouthful of food, spoke up. Ah, so that is how it is. He sat eating continuously, his eyes full of admiration, and praised him. But this matter is too amazing. Even the snow disaster can be calculated in advance. And you prepared so many things, it seems like studying is really useful. Han Feng felt guilty before him, gently lowered his head, and apologized. Sorry, Brother Li. In the past I was worried that the information about the supplies would be leaked, so I did not tell you the truth. Ziyi, hearing that, stopped. Unexpectedly, Ziyi stopped eating, slamming his chopsticks down on the table. He stood up from the dining table, bent over before him, full of gratitude. Thank you. If it was not for you, I would have starved to death a long time ago. You have treated me like this. It is very kind and righteous. Han Feng, with anxious eyes, looked down at him and gently called, Brother Li. He changed his expression quickly, putting his hand on his shoulder and smiling slyly said, Brother Li, do not say that. You have also helped me a lot. Continue eating. I still have a lot of food. Ziyi, with tears in his eyes, looked at him. Little brother. Ah. He cried more and more, raising his hand to rub his eyes choked up. You are really a good person. Lu sat eating opposite him, and only knew to be silent before this touching scene. Ziyi continued to sit down and eat. He turned his head and looked over and suddenly remembered something. Oh, that is right. The situation of the residential area right now is different from before. He grabbed the milk carton, preparing to put it to his mouth, and said, Do you remember the message I sent you before the power outage? Han Feng gently nodded. Ziyi, related to the image of that group of people, searching everywhere for items, and warned. From that day, the one named Jiang has been using the excuse of collectivism to rob supplies everywhere. Some people obeyed, but there were also people like me who could not stand it. After some people left, Sueyu turned his back and calculated. After some people left, the one named Jiang on the surface did not care. He immediately ordered his subordinates to go and eliminate those who had just left. But behind his back, he ordered Kim Tai-woo to deal with them, saying it was to reduce the threat. In the heads of the two people immediately appeared the image of the Kim brothers. Han Feng, puzzled, and pointed up. Kim Tai-woo is the twin brother of that university student. Kim Tai-woo, Kim Tai-wen. Ziyi grimaced and pointed up and blurted out. That is right. The qualities were learned from when they were still in their mother's womb. He pursed his lips up, he heard that, and could not help but be surprised, and evaluated. I did not expect the management committee to develop so quickly. The methods are really dirty. That guy is really difficult to deal with. Ziyi raised his face up, putting his finger and pointing at himself, and said, But it is also true that evil begets evil. He guessed. Do you guess who they robbed after that? He was full of questions. Who is it? The image of Jin Hao angrily raising his fist up, full of murderous intent. Li Jin Hao. The uncle powerfully punched down on the face of one of those people there. He immediately thought of that, and did not stop exclaiming, That guy was a boxing puncher, who once won the middleweight championship. Han Feng's face darkened, raising his hand up to guess. So that means that the people of the committee were beaten badly, huh? Ziyi pointed straight at him in response. What else but that guy with the Jiang surname has face, not admitting defeat. Zhu Jueyu immediately ordered a group of his subordinates to hold weapons in advance. He instigated his group of people to continuously find Li Zhenghao to make fun of him. But compared to that, it was nothing. They were beaten badly by Zheng Hao. The result was that all of them were beaten flat by Li Zhenghao. That crowd was swept away and lay weakly. He glanced around to check. Because of that incident, Li Zhenghao also gathered a group of people following his faction, in which there were two people who were very famous. Yang Wu stood not far from there, his two hands carrying two injured people up. One person's name was Zheng Yang Wu, once a fan of Li Zhenghao. It is said that he has been boxing for a few years, famous for his extremely fast speed. Zhongzai excitedly hugged the whole crowd in his arms, regardless of them struggling. The other person was Kim Zhongzai, a crazy fan of Li Zhenghao. It is rumored that he has God-given strength, his body as big as a monster. Very quickly, the uncle had a group of powerful and dignified subordinates next to him. Based on those two people and Li Zhenghao's reputation, now in the apartment complex there has been formed a separate force. Moreover, this group extremely hates the fake appearance of that Jiang surname. Ziyi turned his body and leaned on the table with frustration, and spoke. That Jiang surname, in order to transfer the conflict, found every way to rob your supplies. Han Feng turned to listen to him and understood. Saying it like that, then him wanting to pull you in was only a momentary idea. He felt that it was right and nodded in agreement. Before passing out, I originally wanted to go upstairs to tell you that they were coming to rob you. He gently lowered his head, raising his hand to his chin, and thought, no wonder the one with the Jiang surname tried to pull Brother Li in. It seems that his side also is not easy. When the three people were eating in the kitchen, suddenly a strange noise at the front door rang out. Ziyi looked out and asked, what is that noise? Thu raised the phone up before the two of them, and calmly reported, someone is coming. Han Feng and Ziyi looked into it and felt a chill, because in it was the group of people of Su Yu, who were before their house door. He hurriedly stood up and shouted, I will turn on the electricity for the door. Just as he was preparing to go, suddenly Thu grabbed the corner of his clothes and pulled him back. Han Feng blankly turned his head back to look. The little girl held the phone tightly, reminding, I smell the smell of sulfur. He unconsciously repeated the little girl's words, sulfur. Before he could understand what was going on, outside, there was already a shocking sound causing the two people to fall down and scream. He painfully sat up, raising his hand to rub his head, and muttered, they actually dare to blow me up. Thu nestled on the chair, putting the phone down for him to see, and said, they used a type of explosive that destroys locally. The power's not big. Han Feng propped his hand out behind him, and blurted out, you also know this stuff. Ziyi pursed his lips and cursed, a bunch of animals. Just as he looked back into the phone, the group of people outside had prepared everything. He panicked and shouted, wait, that is. The screen zoomed in to the image of Sua, Yuan Hui, Na. She was giving instructions to him, he angrily smiled. So it was you who led the one with the Jiang surname here. Han Feng anxiously rushed to grab a wire. He turned back and instructed, brother, stay away from the door a bit. Ziyi slowly retreated and hesitated to answer. He held the wire up and plugged it into the electrical outlet. Just as the electrical door was activated, outside a loud scream quickly rang out, causing him to jump. One of them touched the door of the house and was quickly thrown to the ground. They retreated in fear, shining their lights back. What is going on? The door is electrified. The man was still being electrocuted. Xu Yu was silent at the sight. He quickly grabbed his backpack and pulled out a pack of explosives, ordering Tai Wu, attach the explosives to the joint between the door and the wall. Let us try 2 packs this time. Tai Wu quickly obeyed. Got it. They listened to him, and did as he said. 2 bombs were attached to both sides of Han Feng's door. The group did not hesitate to detonate the bomb, which caused a huge explosion. Everything around it was blasted out of shape, but Han Feng's door remained intact. They dodged to both sides, holding up their shields. One of them reported, Brother Jiang, we still can't break it. Ryu shone his flashlight. He put the shield aside, his face dark, his eyes lit up, his mind full of thought. It is definitely not a problem with the explosives. It seems that kid had prepared countermeasures in advance. Shu, you raised his hand and instructed again. This time, use 3 packs of explosives together. I will designate a point to detonate. If there is still no movement, just increase the dosage. He lowered his head, full of determination. Today, we must break down his house. Inside, right near the door, was filled with stuff. Han Feng and Ziyi sat down, exhausted and panting. Suddenly, a shocking explosion rang out, and the house shook violently. Han Feng and Ziyi covered their ears and screamed. He covered his ears tightly and tried to shout loudly at him. Do you two hear the explosion, getting louder and louder? Ziyi could no longer hear his words clearly. What are you saying? I can't hear clearly. As soon as the sound died down, strange sounds began to appear one after another. He looked around blankly, wondering, what is that sound? Ziyi stammered. Little brother. Han Feng slowly backed away. Ziyi ran over anxiously and shouted, the wall is cracking. Get more stuff to block it. He silently looked at the wall that was gradually cracking. If the explosions continued like this, the crack would definitely get bigger and bigger. After a while he turned to Ziyi and said, blocking it is useless. Quickly clear everything away. I have a way. He stared blankly, sweat dripping constantly, and sighed, How long will it take to clear everything away? From behind, Qiuchu, who had been silent all this time, came forward and interrupted, let me do it. Ziyi turned and pointed down at her head, one hand pointing inside, showing contempt. What? Are you kidding, little sister? Go to the bedroom and hide. The little girl ignored him, raised her hands, creating a ball of power, and raised her hand. The ball grew bigger and bigger. Ziyi took a slight step back, in shock. Holy, what the hell is this? When the ball reached a certain size, it sucked in the pile of objects. The door was quickly cleared of everything. Qiuchu said, it is done. Before he could react, Ziyi backed away further, staring at the ball in horror. Terror. Terrible. It sucked everything in. Before he could recover from this, Han Feng's hands were surrounded by purple power, and he rushed forward in front of him. He approached the door and pressed his hands on it. More power emanated from it. Han Feng thought, try to soften the wall like last time to see if it can be rebuilt. But you have to control the scope, otherwise the hardening process will take time. When the opportunity came, his eyes widened and he muttered, this is the moment. His whole body leaned back slightly, his hands raised. One half was a source of blue power, the other was purple. The door slowly absorbed the power. Han Feng thought, this method is really effective. The combination of purple light and blue light not only reinforces but also repairs. Ziyi excitedly pointed at him and asked, hey little brother, is this magic? Superpower? Han Feng's eyes widened. Hard to say. It is hard to explain. From behind, Qiuchu came forward and ordered the two, lie down. Then, she squatted down, covered her ears, and hid behind the wall. The other two quickly followed suit. The wall quickly cracked again. Han Feng turned his head and looked. It just reinforced. Why is it cracking again? Outside the door, the ground was quickly cracking. Qiuchu guessed. They are detonating on the ground. He gritted his teeth, thinking with difficulty. If that is the case, no matter how much I repair it, it will be useless. Han Feng supported his hand on the wall and slowly stood up, looking at the two and inquiring, I have a rather dangerous idea. Are you two willing to trust me one more time? Qiuchu calmly nodded lightly. Yeah. Ziyi became more serious, his eyes firm. Fight or block. Just say one sentence. He stood tall, looking straight at the two. Certain. Okay, then, from now on, just do as I say. Outside, the door was wide open, and there was continuous noise coming from the doorway. The wall was too damaged to hold, and the door burst open. Very quickly the door could not hold, and it burst open and collapsed. The group of people with shields slowly squeezed in. Tai Wu ordered, be careful, search every corner to get all the supplies. They replied, yes. One person after another went into the house. Zhu, you followed behind, reminding, everyone, be careful, they may be ambushing. See if there is anything in the kitchen. After the group searched around, they reported, Brother Zhang, there is no one in the living room, and no supplies were found. Tai Wu carried a large box out of the kitchen and announced, Brother Zhang, there is only some trash and a box of seeds in the kitchen. Xu Yu was stunned. Seeds. Seeds. Tai Wu angrily shouted at Huina, Li Huina, damn it, are you lying to us? She fearfully shrank back and retorted, I am not lying to you. Maybe he hid them in the room. On the other side, the two were carefully checking everything. One of them said, hey, be careful. The other, opening a door, replied, I know, I do not want to get shot either. Just as he was about to push the door in, the door suddenly opened automatically, startling him. Before he could think of anything else, a foot from inside the room stepped on the door and landed on the other's face. Ziyi pushed the door towards them with his foot, cursing loudly, "Son of a bitch." The door fell down, weighing heavily on them. Han Feng emerged from the room. He carried a gun, reluctantly raised it to aim, his face gloomy. The group of people saw him pointing at them, and fearfully shielded. "Su Yu, Brother Jiang, be careful." Ziyi was using his foot to press on the door, holding down the two. Han Feng fired, hitting the shield of the group. He angrily held the gun in both hands, pointing it down at the two, his voice threatening, "Get out of my house, or do not blame me for being impolite." Su Yu appeared calm, slightly lowered his head, and said, "Polite? Have you ever been polite?" In the middle of so many people, he began to preach. "You hid the supplies, disregarding the collective, causing countless residents to suffer from hunger. They stood shielding him. So Shufo, Yu raised his voice and pressed on. Today we are here to demand justice." Han Feng helplessly narrowed his eyes, watching him act. "If there is still a little conscience in your heart, hand over the supplies. Only through unity can we overcome the apocalypse." He frowned, looking up, thinking, this guy speaks of morality, but in essence, is not he just a hypocrite? The group of people became angry after hearing his moralizing. Han Feng looked at the group, embarrassed. But it is useless to reason with them now. These guys are no different from crazy, hungry wolves, just looking for a target to vent their anger, and now that target is me. But if handled carefully, maybe I can become a leader. He did not hesitate, raising his voice loudly. "What nonsense are you talking about? Which eye did you see that my house has supplies?" Huina, hiding behind one of them, retorted. "You definitely hid them." She brazenly said, "Last time I came here, your room even had a heater and bright lights. If you do not obediently hand them over, then just wait to die." Without letting her say another word, Han Feng directly shot at her. The bullet pierced the glass, causing Huina to duck her head in fear. "Hey!" He aimed at her, scolding. "The Huina, you still dare to speak?" Han Feng angrily shouted with murderous eyes. "If it were not for you tricking me into exchanging supplies for seeds, I would not have fallen into this situation." Tai Wu, upon hearing this, looked at her accusingly. "Are you playing us?" Huina looked at him anxiously, denying, "No, that is not it. I really did not lie to you." Zhu Yu, who had been silent, suddenly stepped forward, raised his hand, grasped the shield and said, "Don't argue anymore. I have a simpler way." He smiled slightly, pointed in another direction, and ordered the two, "You two, go into his room and take a look." Then he looked at him, still defending, with a hopeful expression. "Brother Han, you would not refuse, would you?" The group of people obeyed and went inside to check. Very quickly, one of them brought Qiu out and said, "Brother Jiang, there is only some trash and a little girl in the room." The little girl, with a calm expression, said softly, "Brother." She rushed into his arms, crying loudly, "Brother, I am scared, I am hungry." "Don't be afraid." Ziyi, standing next to her, was also dazzled by the little girl's acting skills. Han Feng was no different, but still had to act along. "After they leave, I will find you some food, okay?" The group of people seemed to have lost all composure, bustling and noisy. "Damn it, we were busy all day and only got this. Where are the supplies? Where are the supplies?" Zhu, you turned to Huina, extended his hand and asked, "Miss Li, I need an explanation." He began to blame her. Shu, you turned to the group and said loudly, "Things have turned out like this. She should have an answer for everyone, right?" They said in unison, "That is right, explain it quickly, explain it clearly, or we will deal with you." Huina was now trembling like a leaf. She said fearfully, unable to speak, I really did not lie to you. I clearly saw it with my own eyes." In her heart, she wondered, how did it turn out like this? Where exactly is the problem? She glanced at him, grinding her teeth, thinking, could it be that Han Feng is playing tricks? It is all because of him that I have become like this? Huina clenched the flashlight tightly, muttering curses. It is all because of that damn guy. When everyone was not paying attention to her, she suddenly broke free and rushed straight forward. Huina shone the bright light directly into his face. Han Feng was blinded and raised his hand to cover his eyes. She quickly ran close to him, taking advantage of his distraction, to snatch the gun. Huina pointed the gun directly at him, threatening, "Where exactly did you hide the supplies?" Ziyi, standing next to him, anxiously reminded, "Be careful, little brother." She still did not care and blamed him. "You definitely played tricks, right?" Everyone stood still before her actions, silently watching. "Tell everyone the truth, or I will really shoot." Han Feng took a slight step back, lowered his head, full of murderous intent, and said, "The truth." He looked up into her eyes, reaching out his hand, pretending to be innocent. "The truth is, my supplies were taken away by you a long time ago." Huina trembled even more, pointing the gun at him, shouting, "You are lying. You are fooling people. I will kill you." Just as she was about to pull the trigger, an iron bar flew from somewhere and hit Huina's hand hard, causing the gun to fly away. Tai Wu and another man hurriedly held her down, grinding their teeth in anger. "Stay still, you damn woman!" Huina struggled painfully. "Let me go. I did not lie to you. Everything I said is true." Han Feng ignored the events happening right in front of his eyes. He and Qiu both looked at the gun lying on the ground. Just as he bent down to reach out and pick up the gun, a hand picked it up first. That person was Zhu Yu. He slowly stood up, looking up at him. Han Feng's eyes widened, full of shock at his actions. "Zhui!" You also looked straight into his blank eyes without a word. On this side, Tai Wu violently grabbed Huina's hair, roaring, drawing their attention. "This bitch dares to deceive us." He did not hesitate, raising the iron bar high, intending to hit her. "I will let you know what it means to deceive us." Suddenly, his arm holding the bar was grabbed by someone. "Enough. Shu, you stop Tai Wu from acting recklessly. The committee is not a violent organization, and this is not a courtroom." Then he pointed the gun at her chin, smiling. Even if she deceives us, we must give her at least one chance to correct her mistakes. He turned sharply to look at Han Feng behind him and said, Brother Han, I am very sorry for what happened today. Shu, you turned to face him, handing over the gun. We are both victims. I will give you a satisfactory explanation later. Han Feng could only remain silent in the face of his strangeness, his forehead covered in sweat. Just as his hand grabbed the gun, Su Yu said, That is right. He raised his hand in front of him, smiling. I sincerely invite you to join the committee. Han Feng called out incomprehensibly, Huh? Before he could answer, Isue, you turned and said, You do not need to answer right now, just think about it carefully. He led his team, putting his hands in his pockets, leaving the group behind and stepping out. Tomorrow when you come to receive supplies, let me know your decision. After a long time, they left, leaving his house messy and deserted. Han Feng lowered his head. Ziyi fearfully turned to ask, Little brother, are you injured? He raised his head again, his face full of dissatisfaction. Finally, Han Feng, who had already changed into another set of clothes, called out with satisfaction, Finally, the acting is over. Ziyi knelt on the cushion, surrounded by warm air fans. I did not expect the little sister to have an apartment upstairs. He leaned his whole body on the sofa and replied, That is right, and it is big and spacious, more comfortable than your house. Han Feng sat up, holding his phone excitedly. Moreover, thanks to her, we were able to perform this play. Recalling what happened just before the room was broken into, Han Feng instructed everyone. Okay, next, do as I say. First, clear out all the furniture in the house. Remember to leave some trash in bags. Do not clean it completely. Then, he turned to look at Ziyi and requested, Brother, help me open the window. We have to make the temperature in the room drop quickly. He still did not understand what he was going to do, and said, What exactly are you going to do? He raised the gun high, analyzing with cold eyes. We have to make this place look like it has been short of food for a long time, so that they waste their efforts breaking down the door, and in the end, get nothing. Han Feng sat at the dining table, holding a bowl in one hand, and chopsticks in the other, disdaining. That Zhang guy made such a big show. If he goes back empty-handed, it will definitely cause the crowd to riot. He remembered the blaming behavior of the group just now, and criticized. In that situation, everyone will turn to criticize the weaker one, and I have a gun, so Li Huina will definitely be the one to bear the blame. Ziyi suddenly became serious, pointing his finger at him and saying, But there are so many of them. Even with a gun, you may not be able to do anything. For example, just now, the gun was snatched away. Han Feng could not argue, and had to accept those words. That is the worst-case scenario. He lowered his head slightly, his eyes hazy, speculating, If they get the gun, maybe the Zhang guy will choose a peaceful solution to save face. Ziyi leaned forward, looking straight and saying, So what if he shoots? He smiled slightly, raising a finger high. There was only one bullet left in the gun, and I used it before. He heard this and gave him a thumbs up, his eyes sparkling with admiration. Well done, little brother. So you deliberately let them snatch the gun. Han Feng remained in the same position, saying, Let's just say it was part of the plan. Ziyi leaned back, propping his hands behind him, complaining, So next, we just need to pretend to live miserably and secretly get rich, right? Han Feng raised his hand to speak, but stopped before he could finish. No, our next core task is... His tone became low, emphasizing as he remembered the image of the group, overthrow the committee. On the other side, the atmosphere was as dark as ink, right at an exit sign. All the displaced people were rushing to line up, those subordinates shining flashlights, reminding, Everyone line up in order, no pushing. One person got the supplies and quickly thanked, Thank you, quickly say thank you to Uncle Zhang. Bringing the child next to him also obeyed his father, and followed, Thank you, Uncle Zhang. In the middle of the house, Shu Yu was sitting at the table, distributing things to the long line of people. The atmosphere was noisy and lively, but no one noticed that there were two figures, tiptoeing behind him. Like a gust of wind, the two figures quickly darted out of sight behind him. In the corridor, two of his subordinates were carrying supplies out. Have all the supply rooms been checked? Don't worry, I check every time I go out. The two were chatting and did not notice the presence of Han Feng and Ziyi right against the wall. After a thrilling moment, the two looked at each other and silently gave each other a thumbs up. Ziyi then used all his knowledge, explaining carefully to him. According to what I investigated, the first 4 floors have been cleared, the 5th and 6th floors are where the logistics and families live, and the 7th and 8th floors I could not get up to. Based on this, he speculated where they needed to go. I feel that the warehouse is very likely to be on the upper floors. Ziyi held an iron bar in his hand, slowly going up first. From the 5th floor up, there are guards. I will go up first to distract them. You take the opportunity to use the bar to knock them out. Try not to use the gun. The two leaned back to back, slowly advancing. He did not see anyone on the stairs and felt confused. That is strange. Why is not anyone here? Han Feng asked in surprise. Gone to eat. The two quickly climbed each floor. Ziyi said, There is no one on this floor either. He quickly reminded, Shh, do not be careless. Very quickly, the two stood before the floors they were looking for. Han Feng stood there blankly. After a moment of silence, he asked, Brother, are you sure they keep the supplies on these 2 floors? Ziyi replied uncertainly. Probably. With the current situation, I can't say for sure either. He poked his head out to assess the situation, constantly looking back and forth, reporting, It is okay that there are no guards, but it is a bit too much that there is no sign of anyone. Ziyi turned back. He turned to divide the task for him. Just try to find it. Me on the left, you on the right. Let me know immediately if there is anything. Han Feng went first, and quickly nodded. Okay. He took a flashlight to scout, his eyes not hiding his curiosity. As he looked around, I thought I would have to fight all the way up here. I did not expect it to be so easy. But it is good. This time I am just scouting. Recalling when he was at home just now, Han Feng made a grand proposal. There are too many people in the committee. We can't win with just a few of us. If we want to overthrow them, we can only break them from the inside. Ziyi asked, how? His face gradually turned expectant, his eyes full of sparkles as he looked at QQ drinking water next to him. In my opinion, the committee is actually just an organization maintained by supplies. As long as we find the warehouse, and then let the Dark Lord clear it out, the committee will collapse immediately. Now it seems that the situation is not the same as just now. Han Feng thought helplessly. It is one thing to say it, but who knows which room they hid the supplies in, and we still have to be careful of someone coming up unexpectedly. From far behind him, the dancing figure signaled Ziyi's presence. Huh, did you find it? Han Feng's eyes rolled upwards, unable to speak. Bro, did not I say? The two were standing in front of a closed room. He said suspiciously, it is so obvious. Do not you think it is a bit like a trap? Ziyi said naively. Really, but it clearly says, warehouse. He looked at the strange lock, sweating and saying, even the key is already inserted. Han Feng shone the flashlight carefully on it. Ziyi reached out to open it, reassuring him. Maybe they forgot to take it out. Just open it and see. When he was about to touch it, he suddenly grabbed his hand tightly and called out, wait. The key was tied with a string. Han Feng's face turned pale with fear. Between the key and the handle, thin steel wire is wrapped. It is a typical trap. Ziyi also trembled with fear. Really? He said warningly. We have to be careful. They even have bombs. Who knows what is behind this door? Han Feng recalled the image of the two, and speculated, I remember just now there were two people who mentioned checking the warehouse door. Maybe they were talking about this trap. He curled his lips and replied, that makes sense, little brother. He looked down at him, raised a finger, and suggested, in short, do not touch anything carelessly. It is enough to know what is here. Let us go upstairs and take a look. Ziyi could only listen to him at this time, okay? The two walked along the cold corridor, the lights shining in parallel ahead. Han Feng walked and discussed with Ziyi, as long as we determine the location of the warehouse, it won't be too late to slowly find a way to open the door. They were constantly talking to each other. We have to go check that door again. We have to rob all their supplies. They did not pay attention to their surroundings, and the door next to them was opened. The group inside stepped out and bumped into the two. They both stood still and motionless for a moment. They both quickly ran out of there at full speed. The group behind them quickly chased after them. Stop. The two ran to another place. Suddenly, Han Feng stopped in front of a room. A man jumped high, swinging a stick from behind Ziyi. He turned and shouted a warning. Brother, be careful. Without waiting for him to react, he quickly raised his arm to block. Ziyi turned and kicked the man hard in the groin, causing him to fall out in pain. Die, little brother. Run. After running for a while, he and Han Feng hid in a room. The two quickly used an iron bar to block the door. Han Feng stood behind him, anxiously shouting, didn't you say there was no one upstairs when distributing supplies? Ziyi, who was blocking the door from the group outside, replied, who knows? They did not let me go to this floor last time. Before escaping this danger, another one came. The sound of footsteps came from the stairs behind them. Oh no, someone's coming up. Han Feng shone the light on the upper floor, telling him, just run to the upper floor first. There will probably be fewer people. Ziyi also looked in that direction, agreeing, okay. The two did not hesitate and ran quickly to the upper floor. The stairs were deserted and silent. They stopped in front of a door. Ziyi looked at him anxiously, hesitating. Little brother, your hand. Han Feng hugged his trembling arm in pain, saying, it seems to be broken. He looked around, saying, we have to find a place to hide temporarily. Suddenly, the door behind him opened, attracting Ziyi's attention. He was terribly frightened, his eyes horrified, trembling and unable to speak, pointing. Little brother, behind you. Han Feng heard him and felt confused, slowly turning around, as Ziyi said, behind. What is behind? A large hand reached out from inside and grabbed his face. Han Feng cried out in surprise. He was quickly pulled into the dark room by someone. Ziyi did not have time to do anything, shouting, little brother. Han Feng was pushed hard into the room violently. The door slammed shut. He trembled, opening his eyes to look up. At this time, a stranger stood in front of Han Feng. Outside, they were banging on the door and shouting, little brother, are you okay? Wait for me, I will come to save you right away. Little brother, hang in there. The man immediately interrogated, what are you doing here? He hesitated to answer, we came to receive supplies. But he did not believe it, angrily stomping hard on Han Feng's hand, really. He screamed in pain and struggled to escape. Zheng Hao coldly stared and continued, do you take me for a 3-year-old child? You deliberately avoided the 5th and 6th floors? You must know a lot about the committee, right? Han Feng was shocked to hear this. He has been following us all along. The uncle felt it was ridiculous, and replied, following. Do you really think this place is not guarded? He was even more stunned, and did not know how to explain this. Then Han Feng noticed and looked to the side of the room. Unexpectedly, there were other people lying unconscious. Did this guy knock them down? At this moment, people hurriedly asked outside, catch that guy, where's the other one? Search every room. He panicked in fear, oh no, brother Li. Zheng Hao was very calm, clicking his tongue. The uncle suddenly went straight to the window of the room. Zheng Hao grabbed the doorknob and turned it open. Han Feng stood up in a panic, confusingly stopping him. This is the 8th floor. What are you going to do? The uncle quietly replied. Actually, it is only the 4th floor. As he spoke, the uncle climbed over the window and confidently explained. The snow must have piled up high from the 3rd floor to the 4th floor by now. With the snow as a cushion, this height is nothing. Zheng Hao narrowed his eyes, questioning him. Jump down or be beaten to death. Choose for yourself. He was still hesitating, not knowing what to do. The sound of knocking on the door made Han Feng flinch. He turned his head and looked at the window, hesitating. Will I really not die? At the same time, the door was kicked open and destroyed. The group rushed in, seeing Han Feng climbing out the window to escape, shouting, "He is over there, catch him!" He jumped down without hesitation. Han Feng raised his hand in front of him, unleashing his ability. In the blink of an eye, he landed. Zhang Hao also landed safely. The uncle glanced at him. Han Feng was panting in fear. The group above saw that both were safe and were surprised. He is still alive. Hey, there is another person. While he was still panicking, Zhang Hao rushed past in front of him. The uncle quickly used his elbow to break the glass door. Han Feng was stunned. Holy crap. But he also had to hurry to follow. The glass had been smashed by Zhang Hao. The group immediately turned back and chased them. Noisy voices rang out constantly. Can't see anyone. They must have run down below. Chase after them. Go down and report to Brother Jiang. Finally, both of them successfully hid in another room and lit a fire to keep warm. He glared at the uncle, constantly marveling. This bearded guy is really something. Recalling what happened earlier, when the two were running in the hallway, Zhang Hao immediately grabbed Han Feng's clothes when he was about to open the door. Just now, if it were not for him, I would have been discovered. Go to the 5th floor, huh? The uncle dragged Han Feng away and instructed, when they chase down from the upper floor, they will definitely think we continue to run down. Moreover, there may be ambushes on the lower floor. He struggled and muttered, I know already. I can't breathe anymore. His words went against logic, and at first I did not believe it. But the facts proved that his decision was right. Seeing Han Feng sitting in silence like this, Zhang Hao asked, what is wrong? Scared. The uncle reassured him, it is just a corpse. Then he hesitated and started a conversation. Uncle, why did you help me? Zhang Hao calmly replied, help you? Right now, I only hope to kill you. But, the uncle raised a finger and explained, you were not fooled by the stupid traps on the 7th floor, which shows that you have some brains. Tell me all the information you know about the committee. What do you say? While threatening, Zhang Hao also cracked his knuckles, laughing calmly. Of course you can also not say it, then I will have another meat shield. This guy, Han Feng could only silently ponder, based on the guards he had knocked down. Either he came here to steal supplies, or he had a feud with the committee, and our appearance has disrupted his plans. He stammered and asked the uncle, do you have a feud with them? Zhang Hao rubbed his chin and replied, if you say I do, then I do. If it were not for that Jiang guy hiding a secret. Han Feng excitedly asked anxiously, what secret? Seeing his expression, Zhang Hao laughed with interest. The uncle stood in front of Han Feng. It seems you really know that Jiang guy, and there are some misunderstandings between you. Zhang Hao repeated his interrogation. Either tell me all the information related to the committee. The uncle threatened further, or become the second corpse here. He panicked, sweating, not knowing what to do. Choose for yourself. The dried corpse next to the fire made Han Feng flinch. He could only hesitate and recount everything. After that Jiang guy brought explosives to my house, robbing both the woman and my supplies. As he spoke, Han Feng placed the gun on the table. He had to confess. To take revenge on them, I took out everything from the bottom of the box, but only the pistol was left. There was no way to deal with them, and finally I had to use it to exchange for a way to survive. Han Feng glared, carefully observing, thinking to himself, mixing the truth with lies. Plus this gun, at least it should create some trust, right? Zhang Hao frowned, saying, an old pistol can't threaten the committee at all. Then the uncle slowly sat down. It seemed he really believed him. He did not take the gun, and even spared him. This was the best proof. Han Feng gradually felt more at ease and continued. It seems that he really believes what I said, but why did not he take the gun? Zhang Hao then thought, I feel that there are only two possibilities. One is to act to maintain his leadership position, and two, he has much stronger weapons. The uncle also believed it and asked, so this time you led your brother over here to deal with that Jiang guy? He replied with a serious face. That is right, without him, the committee will be a little more peaceful. Han Feng recounted, actually, the committee initially had good intentions. At least it helped some people survive. The chaotic scene of scrambling, but the ideals of that Jiang guy made everyone believe that the more evil ones live more comfortably. Even when the apocalypse passes, these inhumane people will not be able to integrate into normal society again. He said resolutely, we must make the committee collapse. The room suddenly became silent. Zhang Hao did not say anything more. After a while, the uncle just sighed and stood up. What is the point of collapsing it? Zhang Hao turned and walked away, constantly reminding him of the reality of life. Now, this world is inherently a big fish eats small fish, although I hate that Jiang guy. Your thinking is no less ridiculous. In the end, this community will only have looting and slaughter. But Han Feng could not stand it and retorted, if we just let it go, have you ever thought about what this community will become? Unexpectedly, the uncle went to the door and suggested, or ask a third person for their opinion, causing him to flinch, huh? Then Zhang Hao immediately opened the door. A figure panicked inside, and something was thrown straight out. The uncle glanced over at it, and then as quick as lightning, Zhang Hao rushed over and swung a powerful punch at the dark figure. But unexpectedly, the person was able to stop the uncle's punch. Two tiny hands trembled, supporting Zhang Hao's huge fist. But could it completely stop that huge uncle? Suddenly, the uncle swung his other arm up. At this moment, a voice rang out, stopping him. Wait! Han Feng was surprised to recognize the girl. You are Nurse Jin, right? Jian's eyes also widened in surprise when she met him here. You, Brother Han. Then she went to them and helped bandage his wound. Sorry, I did not mean to eavesdrop. Then Ji Yan recounted everything. I received supplies from Uncle Lai and came to give him a follow-up examination, and as soon as I entered I found that he had passed away. And then I heard the sound of prying the door from behind. I was so scared that I instinctively hid in the room. Han Feng was also surprised when he heard her say, so that is how it is. But Zhang Hao put his hands in his pockets and carelessly reprimanded her. His death is partly your fault, little nurse. The so-called selfless dedication is just a farce. Jian was not angry, but instead nodded, indicating, "You are right, but I do not regret it." She glared, looking up at the uncle and rebutted, "Cruel or unfeeling, whatever you say. Only by surviving can we save more people." Zheng Hao coldly glanced at Jian without saying anything. Han Feng turned to her and asked, "You can enter and exit here, because the Zhang guy arranged it in advance." Zhan put her medical kit on her shoulder, gently replying, "He gave me a pass." She smiled awkwardly, explaining that, "He gave me a lot of supplies, I had no reason to refuse." Then Jian turned to look at the dried corpse next to her. But in recent days, that Zhang guy has driven many old, weak, and sick people out, including Uncle Li. By the time I found out it was too late, he still did not make it. Zheng Hao also continued, "With one less mouth to feed, the committee can last longer. If it were me, I probably would do the same." But he rubbed his chin and thought, "Something's not right. Uncle Li said that a new force has appeared in the community. They are opposing the committee. It is very likely that is why that Zhang guy hurriedly wanted to eliminate that force." Han Feng narrowed his eyes, reasoning, "So he drove out all the old and weak, keeping the supplies for the young and healthy, combined with the fact that he used bombs indiscriminately just to rob supplies. It is possible." The uncle also listened to him quietly. "He is about to start a war with that new force." Jian's eyes widened in surprise. As he spoke, he slowly stood up. "If that is the case, I have to find that armory." Zheng Hao questioned, "Even if it is true, so what?" The uncle could not help but doubt. "Just based on you, what can you do, even if you find it?" Han Feng turned back irritably, rebutting, "I do not want to be buried with the people in this community. As long as I find the armory, I will have a way to deal with it." Zheng Hao looked at him with contempt. Then the uncle slowly put on his hat and mocked, "If you want to die, just go." Zheng Hao went to the window again. While pulling back the curtain, he reminded, "In this apocalyptic world, the committee of that Zhang guy is just a very small force. There will be many more killings to survive." As he spoke, the uncle reached out and opened the door, causing the icy snow to rush in. In a world where the strong bully the weak, living to the end is the victor. Then he left just like that, leaving the other two standing there in a daze. Then Jian turned back, excitedly saying, "You, Brother Han, is there anything I can help with?" But Han Feng forced a smile, refusing, "No need, I do not want to drag you into this." But she got angry and refused to give up. "Don't say that. If what you guessed is true, this entire community will be in danger. Moreover, your supplies and girlfriend were all robbed by that Zhang guy. Just hearing about it makes me angry, causing him to flinch in shock. Her eyes were full of determination as she looked at him. Han Feng was suddenly a little surprised, and could not speak. So he had to agree with Jian, and said, "Thank you, I want to ask you for a favor." At this time, the group who were chasing after Han Feng were still discussing. "You are sure that person was Han Feng?" "I am sure. I just met him yesterday, I can't be mistaken." Just then, a dark figure came over, causing them all to turn and look. It turned out that he was slowly stepping forward, Han Feng. A moment later, screams rang out in the hallway. Han Feng was tortured and beaten constantly. Tai Wu shone the light, repeatedly kicking him in the stomach and cursing, "Zhang Shansheng has already spared you once, yet you, damn it, still dare to come steal supplies." He shouted angrily, "Your other hand should also be crippled, to see if you still dare to steal." Just then, a person ran over in a panic and announced, "Bro, something happened. Zhang Shansheng told us to gather upstairs." Tai Wu stopped. "Okay." He slammed the door shut and left. Now only Han Feng was inside. Suddenly, a green light emanated from his body. Han Feng flipped over and lay on his back, panting. The green light surrounded his entire body. Consider it a successful infiltration. Han Feng's face was beaten and bruised. He used his ability to heal himself and thought, "After the wounds are healed, I have to go find the armory. This can't be delayed any longer." After a while, the rope on his body was cut off. Han Feng rotated his injured arm to check. The broken bone has already healed, but the treatment took too much effort. I almost fainted. Next time I have to spend time researching how to restore a fixed point. If this happens every time, I will be screwed. Suddenly, there was a sound outside the door. He was startled and turned to look. The door slowly opened. A person tied up tightly was brought in and locked in with Han Feng. "Just throw him in here. Well, let us go ask for instructions from Zhang Xiansheng, then deal with it." Fortunately, he quickly wrapped the rope around and pretended to lie curled up until the others left. Immediately, Han Feng peeked over curiously. Who got caught again? It turned out that Ziyi was also beaten and bruised, his face swollen and deformed, brotherly. After a while, he also woke up and said, "Thank you, little brother. That slap of yours was really useful." Ziyi pointed to his swollen cheek, reminding, "But next time, hit the side that is not swollen. My left side does not have any feeling anymore." He smiled and replied, "Okay, so what exactly happened on your side?" He frowned and recounted. "After you were pulled into that door, I saw that the hallway door was about to be smashed open, so I had to unlock the power distribution room and hide in there. At that time, Ziyi hurriedly escaped to the room opposite. He shone the light down on a hole in the corner inside the room. As a result, there is a big hole inside. It seems to lead to a very deep place." Ziyi hugged the black pillar and slowly inched down below. "I thought those people would open the power distribution cabinet sooner or later, so I climbed down along the power cord." Then he carefully opened the door and looked around outside. "I thought it would lead to the parking lot on the first basement floor, but it turned out to lead to the second basement floor, although there was no one there. In the room that Ziye accidentally went to, there were countless boxes neatly stacked, but there were many boxes stacked on top of each other, each one tightly sealed. He was horrified to see what was inside. I opened a few boxes in front of me and saw that they were all full of ham, each one as big as my forearm. But unexpectedly, someone behind Ziyi came forward with a stick in his hand. At that time, I was about to take one out to check, when suddenly, there was a slight movement behind me. He hurriedly turned around to react. When I just reacted and turned around, I was awakened by you." Ziyi vividly reenacted for Han Feng. But in the end, I understood why this committee is so arrogant. There is even a pile of ham, each one as long as this. He was also very surprised, really ham. He rubbed his chin and thought, if they really have so much food, then why use bombs to rob food from my house? Does the packaging say ham sausage? But he scratched his head, denying, no, there are no words on it, it just looks exactly like a ham sausage. When I think about it, I have never seen one so big. Realizing something, Han Feng was stunned. Something's not right. Do you think that could be Zhang Shuiyu's secret warehouse? He turned pale. Then what do you say? What did I see? Suddenly, a voice came from outside the door, startling the two. Why is Zhang Shanqing suddenly so eager for us to eliminate Li Ziyi? Did not he always want to win him over? The two looked at each other, flinching in fear. They want to kill us to silence us. The door was quickly opened by someone. Two people stepped in, but there was no one inside, causing them to shine their lights, searching. Where are the people? Didn't we throw him in here? Are you sure you tied him up here? Unexpectedly, they were hiding behind the door, looking out with bloodshot eyes, causing one to exclaim in fear, hey, go look under the bed. But unexpectedly, Ziyi quickly rushed out. The two were knocked down and tied up in a corner. Han Feng then speculated, Zhang Shuiyu intends to kill people, next we have to go down and see what that thing is. He was surprised. If those are really important supplies, then how will we deal with it? There are dozens of boxes. Then the two escaped from that room. Don't worry, I have arrangements. Let us first go meet with the Dark Lord. At the same time, someone contacted Han Feng. Hello, is the sister you need to pick up here. Hello, what is wrong? The other side recounted, before she came to your house, robbed your gun and even wanted to kill you. Is there any problem? His face turned pale when he heard that name. Crap, the person who came is Li Huina. Han Feng shouted in a panic, stopping her. Don't open the door. That is Li Huina. It is not a welcome sister. Hello, can you hear me? But the other side suddenly disconnected. At this time, only a beeping sound was coming from the walkie-talkie. He shouted angrily, damn it, Brother Li. We have to go pick up the Dark Lord first. The two carefully opened the door and peeked around. No one's here. Oh wait, there was a loud noise at the end of the hallway in front of the two. What is going on? Why is it so noisy? It turned out that Tai Wu was taking the others up. The crowded hallway was full of people. The elderly, women, and wounded go up the stairs from the left, and the others bring weapons and gather in the basement. If we let them attack, our supplies will be robbed, our parents and children will starve to death. No matter what, we have to stop them. And the two of them secretly hid behind the wall, watching. Could it be that Li Zhenggao attacked? Not sure, but the current situation is beneficial to us. Ziyi then came up with an idea, whispering, put on masks, and try to blend into the crowd. The two of them successfully infiltrated the crowd. Suddenly, there was a loud noise. A person was suddenly knocked to the ground, writhing in pain, and the other person tightened the stick in his hand. A white-haired man fiercely attacked the other with a stick. Ziyi excitedly hugged him and shouted, oh crap, old brother! And on the other side, Huina was constantly looking around, searching. She anxiously put her ear close to the door, probing. There is no movement inside. Could it be that Han Feng really moved here? Then, unexpectedly, someone came over and called out, Li Huina. Ji Yan asked her in confusion, what are you doing here? Causing Huina to flinch and stammer. She stammered, replying, I came here to find food. She was surprised to hear that, find food. Unexpectedly, behind Huina was a group of people with weapons. So many people were brought along. Huina stammered, replying, yes, can't I? She asked, what are you doing here? Ji Yan calmly replied, coming to treat other people. So what? She narrowed her eyes and speculated, Han Feng is sick. That is not right. I remember that the two of them seemed to know each other. Then Huina whispered something to the group accompanying her. Suddenly, two people approached her strangely. Ji Yan retreated in panic, questioning, what do you want to do? Brother Jiang said. Not to disturb my work. She immediately said, as long as we catch you, I do not believe Han Feng won't open the door. Her hand was grabbed by him. The man appeared helpless. Nurse Jin, I'm sorry. She calmly warned them, let me go, or I will. Ji Yan said through gritted teeth, be impolite. Suddenly the two were shaken hard, stunned. Unexpectedly, she easily used both hands to throw the two men high into the air and slam them together. Huina and the others stared in disbelief. In the blink of an eye, she was able to knock two large men to the ground. She still calmly shouted, causing her group to retreat in fear. I do not care what you plan to do, but please do not disturb my work. Unexpectedly, Huina pulled out a dagger from her pocket. Then she swung it hard at Ji Yan, cursing, you monster, causing her cotton coat to be torn, scattering the cotton inside. Huina panted in fear. She is too strong, everyone, be careful. At the same time, the door next to them opened slightly. All the weapons in the hands of the group suddenly moved. What is going on? What is wrong? And then they were strongly sucked and flew up, startling the entire group. It turned out that Qiu was inside and was the one who made the weapons move, flying into the black hole in front of her chest. The little girl also raised her hand and cast a spell. The suction of the black hole became stronger and stronger unexpectedly. She shouted in panic, my clothes are about to be sucked away. The others were also blown away. Basement 1, the man was punched so hard that his face was turned to one side. Damn it! The situation at this time was extremely chaotic. Conflicts occurred unexpectedly. Han Feng and Ziyi were chased by a fat man, causing them to run for their lives. He shouted in panic, wasn't it just punching him once? Do you need to chase us forever? Ziyi turned to explain, that little brother, your punch, he replied, seems a bit strong. Unexpectedly, one side of the fat man's face was swollen beyond recognition. He roared madly, bastard, I must kill you, you bastard. At this time, Han Feng remembered that he had reinforced his gloves in an emergency. Unexpectedly, it was so strong. Avoiding the watermelon only to find a coconut, they ran into the group, chasing them. Hey, Han Feng and Li Ziyi escaped. The two were stunned, startled. Damn it! He gritted his teeth, thinking, if I get caught again, I am done for. I have to think of a way. Immediately, Han Feng changed direction, instructing him, Brother Li, you go pick up the Dark Lord, I will stop them. See you in a moment at the agreed place. Hearing this, Ziyi exclaimed in shock. Huh, how can you do it alone? He hurriedly reassured. Don't worry, I have a way. Just like that, Han Feng sped up and ran to the intersection in front of him. Seeing him climb into the black car, one of them chased after him, shouting, Damn it, stop! Suddenly, the flashlight shone straight up. He stood tall, shining the light straight up and shouted fiercely, Damn it, listen carefully. Unexpectedly, Han Feng raised his middle finger in front of them, provoking, I am one of those who speculated and raised the price of supplies in this area. Starve to death, you poor bastards. A crowd of people surrounding him suddenly fell silent. They all gritted their teeth in anger. And then the crowd rushed up to chase after Han Feng. Damn you, do not block my way. I must be the first to deal with him. Damn, this bastard is really arrogant. Kill him. He ran while looking for an escape route. The entrance to the underground parking lot has been sealed off by an iron gate. But if the snow pressure on this gate is released, immediately, a fist swung quickly. He punched Han Feng hard, causing him to exclaim unexpectedly. He coughed violently in pain. Just like that, Han Feng was blown away and slammed hard into the wall. He trembled, standing up, facing the ferocious crowd rushing over. He can't escape. Catch him, I must skin this guy alive, you damn kid. Han Feng had to lean back and raise an arm. Immediately, he unleashed his ability, strengthening his hand. After a moment, the entire pulling door was covered with ability, startling the crowd. Exit, escape route. What is that? The door is glowing. What is that thing? But then it suddenly went out. Exit, escape route. It disappeared. Han Feng shouted, luring them over. Come on, you trash! The door suddenly shook loudly. In the blink of an eye, snow poured in from the outside, in front of the crowd. They panicked. Avalanche. Quick, run. They could only turn around and try to escape. The fat man from before was stunned to see the snow right behind him, damn it. Some quickly ran back and escaped. Quick, get inside. The snow outside stopped after a while. A person's hand emerged from under the snow pile. It turned out that Han Feng was still alive. He struggled to escape from the snow. He calmly looked back at his hand, thinking, softening such a wide area without feeling tired. Is it because my level has increased? Am I waiting here to die? At this moment, Zheng Hao sat in front of him, calmly looking at Han Feng. He was startled, thinking, why does this guy keep staring at me? Unexpectedly, the voices of the group rang out, Hey, the snow has stopped. The uncle hurriedly grabbed Han Feng's clothes, pulling him up. This way. At a corner of basement 1, he faced Zheng Hao and shouted, questioning, Who exactly are you? Why did you help me? The uncle approached and replied, Li Zhengkao. Han Feng looked up in surprise. Li Zhengkao. It is Li Zhengkao, the one opposing that Zheng guy. Zheng Hao smirked and reached out his hand towards him. That is right. Han Feng confusingly asked, What do you want to do? The uncle then proposed, cooperation. He unexpectedly questioned, Didn't you refuse before? I changed my mind. Han Feng tentatively curled his lips. Changing your mind so suddenly, you are not planning to trick me, are you? Zheng Hao put on an expression full of meaning and said, It is just for personal needs. Hurry up, do it, or not. He glared at the uncle suspiciously. If this guy can help, then the success rate of overthrowing that Jiang guy will be higher. After a while, Han Feng sighed and replied, Okay. He coldly held out his hand towards the uncle, hesitating. Although I do not trust you, but for our common goal. The two shook hands tightly. Happy cooperation. Basement 2, the armored vehicles were slowly moving. Taiwu suddenly came and reported, Brother Jiang, the convoy has gathered. Now we can go upstairs and call people. Zhuwei, you replied with satisfaction. Good. Tell the Kim brothers to inform the family members to come down first. He then hesitated and continued. Brother Jiang, the door of basement 1 was blown open by the snow. The temperature dropped sharply. Now the crowd is very dispersed. Moreover, Taiwu leaned closer to him and whispered, Those two people have disappeared. The man still calmly replied, It is okay. It won't affect our plan. Han Feng was surprised and whispered to Zheng Hao, Why are there military jeeps in our community? When did they come in? The uncle then explained to him, Those people came from outside. I heard that Jiang guy wants to relocate residents. Han Feng held the gun in his hand and asked, Relocate to where? Isn't it all ice and snow outside? Zheng Hao only replied, Just ask, and you will know. Suddenly the uncle rushed forward and only instructed, Leave that Jiang guy to you. He was startled, panicking. Hey, what is the rush? Zhuwei, you stood in front of the convoy and pointed, ordering, Everyone prepare to go upstairs to pick up people. Suddenly, a bullet flew straight to the car's headlight, causing it to shatter. The people there shouted in panic, What is going on? It is a gunshot. Someone broke in. One of them glanced around and instructed, Everyone be careful, do not scatter. Zheng Hao was already standing in front of him. Quick as lightning, the uncle had thrown that person to the ground, startling the group. One of them hurriedly pointed forward and ordered the person next to him, Over there, fire. But before he could finish speaking, Zheng Hao had rushed over, raising his fist. That person was knocked down quickly with just one punch, causing one person to shout, Hey, do not run far. Protect Brother Jiang. At the same time, the muzzle of the gun was already pressed against the back of Suyu's head. Don't move. It turned out that Han Feng had taken the opportunity of the uncle's fight to create chaos. He had snuck up and approached him. But Sue, you still calmly said to him, I have been waiting for you for a long time, Brother Han. Han Feng was a little surprised. You knew I would come. He slightly curled his mouth, of course. Taiwu turned around in shock, anxiously, Brother Jiang. But Shuiyu raised his hand, signaling, It is okay. He then recounted his speculations. Before the Ice Age, you had accumulated a large amount of supplies. At first I thought you were also one of their contacts, but the truth proved that I guessed wrong. Look carefully under your pistol. Han Feng immediately picked up the gun in his hand and looked, grinding his teeth uncomfortably. Listening device. Could it be at that time? How did this guy get this thing? Su, you turned and raised the walkie-talkie, then sarcastically said, "Otherwise, do you think I would return the gun to you? What you are planning to do, I know it like the back of my hand." He still tried to remain calm, replying, "So what if you know? Who are the people he mentioned, and who exactly were you picking up before? What for?" He calmly reassured, "Don't be nervous. If I wanted to deal with you, I would have done it a long time ago. You are a smart person." As he spoke, Su Yu even tried to win over Han Feng to follow him. "I hope you will join us. As long as we continue to provide people for them, we can continue to live." But he probably already knew the truth, and refused him dejectedly. "Want me to be your meat shield? Sorry, I refuse." Hearing this, he just sighed. What a pity. Then unexpectedly, a fully armed soldier jumped to his side. Han Feng was stunned, caught off guard. Special forces. The soldier looked towards him, aiming his gun straight at him. Just like that, a series of gunshots rang out. Han Feng flew away, escaping. A large hand suddenly reached out, grabbing his clothes tightly. Zheng Hao gently pulled him, escaping behind the wall. Han Feng trembled, urging, "What are you doing standing there? Retreat quickly." But Zheng Hao glanced indifferently, saying, "What is there to be afraid of?" The uncle then reassured, "Aren't they just 3 special forces soldiers?" Zheng Hao quickly made a plan. "I will distract them, you improvise." But Han Feng hesitated and stopped him. "Don't joke around, they have rifles in their hands." But the uncle had already made a decision, and pressed his feet firmly on the floor, preparing to rush over. Immediately, Zheng Hao charged forward with his bare hands, facing them. "Hey!" The 3 soldiers also squeezed the triggers repeatedly, firing at the uncle. But unbelievably, the uncle completely dodged all the bullets, and even easily approached them and grabbed the barrel of one's gun. Zheng Hao held the gun tightly in one hand, and thrust strongly into the soldier's stomach with the other. Han Feng, observing from behind, was stunned by the uncle's strength and speed. Damn it, this guy is definitely not a normal person. Feeling that the situation was not good, the vehicle hurriedly activated. Zhu Yu, while climbing into the car, ordered, "It is too late. Let us just drive straight up to pick up people." At that moment, Han Feng had approached right behind that car. He immediately used his ability, pressing both hands on the floor. "Want to run? No way." The floor was thus controlled by him, causing it to collapse, holding the car tightly. He, sitting inside, was surprised. "What is going on?" Tai Wu replied. "It seems that the right side of the car has sunk into the ground." He looked in the mirror to check. The ground collapsed. Han Feng, hiding behind the wheel, thought, "It seems that using too much purple light will shrink the range. I can't make both wheels sink." But suddenly, a grenade was thrown out. Catch! It turned out that Shu Yu's group had discovered him and threw a grenade to eliminate him. That person even adjusted his cap, sneering at Han Feng. At this time, he could only watch the grenade explode in front of his face. It was so powerful that Han Feng was blown into the air. His whole body was injured and bloody. Han Feng also lost consciousness. But he was still alive, and slowly opened his eyes to look. Itchy. So comfortable. In front of Han Feng was actually a white goat. A goat. They surrounded him and licked his body. Han Feng lay still, enjoying it. So cool and comfortable. Keep going. Do not stop. While he was still enjoying it, this feeling was great. At this time, Han Feng noticed a huge tongue in front of him. He sat up in fright. It was a giant goat with a terrifyingly long tongue. It immediately wrapped Han Feng's entire body tightly with its tongue. A stream of blue light was transmitted from the goat to his body, causing his whole body to melt like water. It turned out that it was all in his dream. Suddenly, Han Feng raised his head. The car was trying to accelerate, to leave. Tai Wu then turned to Shu Yu and said, "Fortunately, this car has great horsepower, otherwise we really would not be able to get out." As soon as he finished speaking, a section of the car was completely torn apart. A hand suddenly appeared. It turned out that Han Feng had done it, causing the two in the car to turn around in shock. Tai Wu held the gun, pointing it straight at him. Damn it! At this time, Han Feng saw him in front of him, trembling non-stop. He then reached out and grabbed the gun. Han Feng tightened it in his hand. Tai Wu panicked, as the gun and the clothes on his body immediately disappeared. What is this? Not only that, but the entire car was being corroded slowly. Su Yu hurriedly said, "Get out of the car." But only he was left sitting there, trembling with cold. Tai Wu tried to stammer for help. "It is too cold. Save me. Save." But then in a blink of an eye, his whole body was frozen with cold. Tai Wen, sitting in the opposite car, immediately ran over to rescue him, brother. He held the stick in his hand and ran quickly to Han Feng. "You bastard." But at this time, he seemed to have lost consciousness. His reactions were surprisingly fast. He swung the stick at Han Feng. He just gently raised his hand to block, causing the stick to disappear. Zhu Yu and another person hurriedly ran away. "Quick, go upstairs and call people down to help." Han Feng just walked past Tai Wen, who was stunned and did not dare to move. He approached the opposite car. The two inside saw him and shouted in fear, He is here, run him over." But he was one step faster, covering the entire car with his ability. The two inside stared in confusion. They panicked at this incomprehensible phenomenon. The car is melting. Get out quickly." The entire large car was completely melted in the blink of an eye. "Save me, save me." Suddenly, a bullet grazed Han Feng's face, but the wound was able to heal miraculously. The two next to him were frightened when he had no scratches at all. Out of bullets. Seeing Han Feng chasing after them, they ran away in disarray. Run. At the same time, a series of bullets were also being fired towards him. The special forces rushed towards Han Feng to attack, prioritize protecting Mr. Zhang's people. Zheng Hao on this side also realized this, glancing over just as the other one swung the knife, but fortunately, the uncle dodged in time. Zheng Hao frowned, thinking, what exactly is that Jiang guy planning to do? The two soldiers got close to him. Han Feng jumped high, dodging the bullets, then immediately sat down on the ground and used his hand to unleash his ability on the floor, causing the two soldiers to be embarrassed. They panicked as if they were stuck in a wave. At this moment, he grabbed their two guns tightly. And just like that, they were smashed to pieces. Not only that, but Han Feng also controlled it in his hands, like it was his weapon. Then, Han Feng rushed madly towards the two soldiers. They flinched, trembling, looking at him. And just like a gust of wind, Han Feng gently beheaded the two soldiers. They lay slumped on the floor, while he panted non-stop. Right behind Han Feng at this time, someone was slowly approaching. Tai Wen raised his hand, intending to hit him. Die. Die. Before he could even swing the stick down, he seemed to have gradually lost it. Die. Just like that, Han Feng collapsed on the floor. His whole body was drenched in sweat. Seeing this, Tai Wen curled his lips, smiling smugly. You reap what you sow? He raised the stick high to gain momentum, and then shouted without hesitation, Die, you monster! But before he could do anything, he was punched straight in the face. It turned out that Zheng Hao had dealt with the others, and quickly came to support Han Feng. The uncle lifted him up and observed, fainted. This guy was like a madman just now, out of control. At the same time, some sounds appeared. Zheng Hao ran quickly, hiding to one side. Unexpectedly, Xu Yu had brought a group of people carrying weapons. You hurriedly instructed, everyone, be careful, gather with those 3 soldiers first. Seeing the 2 soldiers with their heads cut off, lying on the ground, he was surprised. Dead. They are dead. The others looked around, searching. Where's the other soldier? Can't find him. He is probably more dead than alive. Kim Tai-woo froze to death. Only Kim Tai-wen and a few others, curled up in the car, survived. One of them gritted his teeth, angrily saying, Brother Zhang, what should we do next? Zhu, you pondered. The soldiers are all dead. We do not know the location of the base either. He had to order, the plan has failed. Tell everyone to go home. A few hours later, in the shelter room, a fire was lit in an old bucket to keep warm. At this time, Han Feng suddenly woke up and shouted, Grenade! He murmured in surprise. Huh, I am not dead. Where? Where am I again? Zheng Hao was right next to him, saying, back to normal. But Han Feng did not seem to remember anything. Back to normal. What? Speaking of which, are not we in basement 2? How did we get here? And where are the wounds on my body? The uncle glanced over, puffing on a cigarette, replying, You do not even know yourself, how would I know? But about that Zhang guy's plan, I got some clues. Unexpectedly, Zheng Hao had been constantly torturing the soldier to find clues, specifically. Let him tell you. The uncle then repeated to him, You just said you were sent by the base to trade with Jiang Shuyu. Trade what? The soldier trembled, stammering, use weapons and food to exchange for the residents here. An Feng also continued to question, exchange them over there? To do what? He shouted in panic, pitifully, help, build the base. He was puzzled. In this situation, instead of streamlining the population, you are expanding the labor force. Han Feng leaned forward, crossing his arms and continued to say to the soldier, You can't treat us as fools and play with us, right? But he still repeated, It is all to rebuild civilization, save humanity. In short, what we are doing is not a bad thing. Seeing that he was not satisfied with that answer, Zheng Hao broke one of his fingers. The soldier screamed in pain. The uncle also continued to interrogate, If you do not complete the mission, what will happen? He stammered, replying, The base will send more people. The uncle then leaned close to his ear, whispering, Will there be superpowered people coming? Hearing this, the soldier tried to avoid answering. What superpowered people? I do not understand. Han Feng immediately doubted his words. Looking at this soldier's attitude, it is possible that there are superpowered people in the base, and looking at what the base is doing, if there are superpowered people, the possibility of them being enemies is greater. Then he frowned, thinking, but, unexpectedly, he was still killed by Zheng Hao without being left alive. This Li Zheng Hao is indeed too cruel. Han Feng then questioned the uncle. It was not necessary to kill him right now, was it? But Zheng Hao coldly explained, Do you believe the nonsense about saving people that he said? Zheng Hao pointed the knife at him, saying, Don't have any illusions, it is just a new force. Who knows what they plan to do? Now it is either we eliminate them, or we can only leave here and find a new foothold. He only quietly lowered his head, replying, I will go back and discuss it with everyone. Then Han Feng quickly left, carefully looking around. While walking on the stairs, he kept pondering. That Li Zhenggao is unfathomable. Who knows what the people next to him will do? If what the Special Forces soldier said is also true, going outside to find a base may be the safest option. Basement 2, Han Feng slowly hid behind the cars to move. He looked around. I remember there were a few military jeeps and large bulldozers down here. In which area? Suddenly, at this moment, a dark figure came over. Someone's coming. When Han turned around to check, unexpectedly, damn it, it is bait. A familiar figure threw a punch. The girl's hand also activated her ability to attack. Han Feng managed to raise his hand to block that sudden attack. He was a little surprised. It does not hurt at all. Han Feng continued to strike, and even exclaimed, unexpectedly, the simultaneous appearance of blue light and purple light has such an effect, unexpectedly. A voice rang out, interrupting, Stop! It turned out that Ziyi was shining a flashlight on the two of them. They are all acquaintances, causing both him and Ji Yan to be surprised. Nurse Jin, brother Han. After a while, Han Feng recounted everything to them. That is how it is, so I came back here to find a way to leave the residential area. Ziyi angrily cursed non-stop. that Zhang Shuyu is indeed an animal, daring to use neighbors to exchange for supplies. She calmly said, but if we can bring neighbors to an organization that can survive, it is not necessarily a bad thing, is it? But he then explained the story to Ji Yan. Helping to build the base is just a one-sided statement from that soldier. If it was really a good thing, perhaps Zhang Shuyu and his companions would have run away to take refuge long ago. Would they need an armed escort? He shone the light forward and exclaimed, there are many things that can't be explained at all. As he spoke, Han Feng climbed into the bulldozer. In short, we can't not believe their words, but we can't believe them all. We do not even know if there is a base or not. But Ziyi also continued, so what if someone really comes? He turned his head and instructed, that is a matter for later. If we can't find a means of transportation, we have no way to get out. I am counting on everyone. After speaking, the three of them hurriedly ran to search. Okay, I will go check if those two jeeps have any usable tools. Then I will go search in the back. Han Feng looked inside. The key has indeed been removed. Suddenly, he shouted in a loss, Li, little brother, come down quickly. Seeing what was in front of him, he was also stunned. Damn, so many weapons. Then Han Feng said to Ziyi, brother, call that middle schooler to clean up these things. We will definitely need them later. Good idea. He touched around the car, a little surprised. The car was melted like this? Could it be what I did at that time? And he then called Chu Chu. Hey kid, come here for a bit. But the other two did not react at all. What are those two doing? He also looked up, going to see. They were surprised to see a large door, covered with a large cloth. Why is there such a large cloth? There seems to be some sound behind it. Han Feng turned to ask the girl, do you have a super bright flashlight? Qiu Chu immediately searched in her black hole. Yes. Immediately, they held the cloth together on both sides, counting down. 3, 2, 1. We will pull it down together. 3, 2. Just as he finished speaking, the cloth was blown away. 1. All four of them were stunned by what was in front of them. This. Like a huge deep cave. This can confirm that there probably really is a base. He shone the light deep inside to see. To be able to secretly dig such a large tunnel under the residential area, I'm afraid this group is not simple. Han Feng then remembered the soldier who was caught at that time. If what the soldier said is only the tip of the iceberg, then this residential area is not safe at all. Ziyi discovered something in front, calling out, everyone, come and see. Long pipes had been frozen. He shone the light, noticing, it seems that these are the drainage pipes in the residential area. Suddenly, Han Feng grabbed Chu Chu's hair, pulling her back. He hurriedly reminded the girl, it is very dangerous, do not go in there. But Ziyi, standing next to him, spoke up, little brother, stop. Looking at the dark deep cave, they had to turn back. Let us go back first. At this time, they spread out the personal belongings on the table. Besides these things, what else do you think we need to prepare? Han Feng nodded and turned to QQ. And weapons too. Carrying this much should be okay for now. Oh right. Give me some vegetable seeds, and a piece of raw pork too. The girl took out what he asked for from the black hole, handing it to Ziyi. Anything else? It should be enough. This time we are just scouting. If we encounter an emergency, we will come back immediately. He looked at the girl, smiling with satisfaction. This kid is getting more and more proficient in using her abilities. Now she can easily retrieve the exact items from space. Before Han Feng and he left, they did not forget to instruct the two girls to stay. This room is quite secluded. No one will come here in a short time. Everyone wait for us here. I have reinforced the walls and doors. Even if they are discovered, it will be difficult for them to break through in a short time. They just left like that. Han Feng turned his head, looking at the two. It is not safe outside for long. Quickly go into the room. QQ also calmly replied, don't worry, but Ziyan was a little sad. The little girl said something incomprehensible, causing her to be stunned. The Dark Lord's true eye will protect his believers. Huh? And on the side of the two Han Feng, they were slowly going down below. According to the current situation, the threat we have to face is not only Jiang Shuiyu, but it may also come from that tunnel. The two use flashlights to illuminate the front. Now that the residential area is no longer safe, why not try to see if we can find another place to survive through this tunnel? Finally, they arrived at the mysterious cave before. In short, let us go take a look. Not only was it dark inside, but it was also frozen. I thought it would be warmer underground, but it is as cold as it is above. The two of them kept groaning because of the extremely cold temperature. The ground is all frozen. I do not know how they built this. Let us keep going. 15 minutes later, when he and Ziyi had gone deeper inside. 30 minutes later, Han Feng could not help but exclaim, this inside is really interconnected. An hour later, the two found a path going up and quickly moved. He tried to move the manhole cover above, so that it could be opened, but it could not. The manhole cover seems to be pressed tightly by the snow. There is no sign of it being moved at all. Then the two stood in front of the two forks in the road, muttering, wandering underground all the time. Now I can't distinguish the direction anymore. Which way to go? Based on the water pipe system, this direction looks more like the residential area. Let us go this way. This way, the path became narrower and narrower, with brick walls on both sides. Suddenly, Ziyi shouted, look, this is... A large map was posted in front. It is a diagram of the sewer system. He came closer and carefully studied it. Going all this way, it turns out we are still under the nearby residential area. A little further, and we will be at the gymnasium. Unexpectedly, Han Feng hurriedly whispered, turn off the lights on your head quickly, huh? Unexpectedly, there was the sound of vehicles moving. Not just one car came over, but two suspicious cars inside this cave. A large truck followed behind the car in front. They unexpectedly drove past the alley where the two of them were standing. Both of them were silent, not daring to make a sound. After the convoy had passed, the two peeked out. Those cars seemed to be heading towards Hancheng residential area. They look like military trucks. Maybe they are comrades of those three soldiers. In our area? Ziyi glanced over and speculated, does that mean these cars are also carrying people to build some kind of base? Hearing this, Han Feng turned on the light and said, let us follow and see. Maybe there are clues, but sticking so close is easy to be discovered. But he waved his hand, confidently saying, no need to follow those people, I have a shortcut. Ziyi then pointed to a path that he remembered. Last year, an old woman in Hancheng area fell into the sewer of this area. I rescued her from this place. He looked up dejectedly. You still remember things that happened a year ago so clearly. While climbing the stairs, he kept boasting confidently. Of course, my memory is not ordinary. In high school, I was a top student. But when he reached the top of the manhole cover, Ziyi panicked, touching and checking. It is frozen, solid. Seeing this, Han Feng sighed. Why do not we try going forward? He then replied, it may be a little off. Go forward and check again. Then Ziyi kept checking a series of manhole covers in front. Open. Give it to me. He began to lose patience. Brother, you have changed so many places. Can you do it? Finally, he cried when he also found the right one. It is open. Ziyi climbed up, then peeked around. He proudly pulled Han Feng up. See, I told you, I know this place, like the back of my hand. Wait a minute, let us find old Wang's grandson first. Hancheng residential area, underground parking lot. But then suddenly, he hurriedly raised his hand to signal, keep it down. Then the two tiptoed under the back of the moving car. Suddenly, Han Feng noticed something in front. Unexpectedly, there was a corpse with its eyeballs gouged out. It seems that there was a battle here too. The two of them hid behind the car to watch them. The group was smashing a concrete wall. A soldier below whispered to the one next to him. Damn it, the tunnel has not been finished yet and I have already been called here to keep watch. This damn place does not even have a decent meal. Who told us to be the assault team? Han Feng followed from behind and thought, it seems that most of the people in this area have also been controlled by those soldiers. Suddenly, a sound rang out. He involuntarily looked over. The ground seems to be shaking. Ziyi also pointed forward. Little brother, look! The wall that was being smashed suddenly shook violently, causing those who were there to shout and run in panic. Quick, get out of the way, the tunnel is about to be opened. Unfortunately, a man had not escaped when the wall bulged out with countless cracks. In the blink of an eye, the entire wall exploded, scattering rocks everywhere. An eye flashed brightly. The soldier from before also unleashed his ability, smashing the flying rubble. Ziyi stared in shock. Holy crap, is that big guy a human or a demon? He was also stunned to see someone with such terrifying abilities. No wonder our residential area had such a large tunnel appear, without any movement. Looking at the current situation here, Han Feng could not help but worry. It is too dangerous here. Once we are discovered, we are done for. The giant soldier glanced over and ordered, hey, where's my snack? But another soldier, holding a gun, coldly replied, the tunnel has not been cleaned up yet. Where would we get a snack? The giant soldier gnashed his teeth in anger upon hearing this. He began to go crazy, smashing his hands hard on the ground and shouting, I want to eat, I want to eat. The ground shook so much that it affected the place where Han Feng was hiding. Stop it, you fat idiot! Immediately, he waved his hand, signaling Ziyi to turn back, retreat. The two of them crawled on the ground, escaping. But suddenly, he stopped again, and then Ziyi sneezed loudly. Han Feng in the back was so frightened that his face turned pale. Fortunately, they had returned to the right manhole cover and quickly went down. Quick, catch those two. Ziyi, running for his life, stammered, complaining. Little brother, I am sorry I could not hold it in just now. He replied from behind, don't say useless things, run faster. The crazy fat man was about to catch up from behind. That big guy is about to catch up. He pressed his hands hard on the rocky ground. Immediately after that, the ground in front began to crumble. The two were stopped by the rubble, panicking. Han Feng hurriedly urged him. Brother, you run first. I will stop him. Ziyi nodded in agreement. Okay, got it. He immediately used his ability, seizing the opportunity. This is the moment. Han Feng also covered all of his ability on the rubble. The fat man looked at the pink light, confused. Just like that, half of his body was instantly sunk into the ground. The fat man shouted angrily. You kid are also a super-powered person, if I can catch you. He roared non-stop, his hands slamming on the ground, struggling to escape. My legs. The fat man's strength was also considerable when his hands pressed down hard. The ground that was soft instantly hardened again. Recover. The fat man became more and more insane. You damn bastard, I must kill you. The two wrestled fiercely, trying to hold each other back. Han Feng gritted his teeth, thinking, not good, he is about to escape. Ziyi, who was running to escape in front, turned back to look at him, worried. Oh no, little brother is in danger. Then Ziyi suddenly saw two iron bars on the road. Han Feng was still trying to stop the fat man. It seems that his strength is weakening, just a little more and I can completely trap him. At this moment, he was surprised when a figure suddenly rushed past. It was Ziyi, holding a weapon, bravely rushing to the fat man. Little brother, let me help you. He hit him hard on the head. The fat man was hit squarely on the head with a stick. He glared madly. Han Feng was horrified, his jaw dropping. The fat man shouted, I will kill all of you. Finally, he escaped. The two of them had to run in disarray. Run. He irritably questioned, didn't I tell you to run? Ziyi could only reply, you are fighting, how can I run away? Just like that, the land completely collapsed. After a while, the smoke and dust gradually dissipated. The coughing of the two rang out. Han Feng supported him, anxiously asking, brother, are you alright? Are you injured? Ziyi stammered, replying, we finally cut off that fat guy. Ziyi sighed in relief and turned back to look, but will he suddenly pop out from that pile of rocks? He also panted, continuing, looking at his appearance. It will be difficult to escape in a short time, but we should still leave here as soon as possible. But then Han Feng could not be at ease when he lost his sense of direction. But now we have to determine our current location first. Then he patted his chest again, reassuring, don't worry, little brother. My sense of direction is number one. Ziyi even waved his finger at his head, proudly boasting, that underground distribution map, I have remembered it in my head for a long time. Leave the task of finding the way to me. Then he turned to the side and called Han Feng. This way, little brother, follow me quickly. 10 minutes later, Ziyi was still smugly guiding. You see, this is the drainage ditch of our residential area. It must be this way. 20 minutes later, he was still excitedly going straight. Little brother, you see, the number of water pipes is increasing. The front is our residential area. 40 minutes later, he was so tired that he slumped to the ground, while Ziyi crossed his arms, defending. Strange, I remember that passing through this area would be here. Suddenly, Han Feng sensed the movement from behind. There is wind. He pointed in that direction. It is blowing from this direction, Ziyi asked in surprise. Huh, little brother, where are you going? He seemed to have also noticed the wind blowing. This, Han Feng carefully observed. The wind, just now, seemed to be blowing down from above. The two just faced a sealed cliff at the end of the road. Moreover, there is light in front. Maybe we can go straight outside. At this time, Ziyi confidently patted his chest. If that is the case, then what are we waiting for? Then the two just started climbing that cliff. He did not forget to look down, reminding Han Feng, little brother, watch your step. This is very slippery. After a while, they finally climbed to the top. Ziyi was overjoyed, excited. Little brother, look, the snow is smaller. Looking at the scenery at this time, he was unexpectedly surprised. It has turned into this outside. Outside, the city had turned into a completely frozen sea. He did not hesitate and jumped down into the thick snow. Ziyi then called him with relief. The snow below is hard, little brother, come down quickly. But Han Feng pointed forward. Suspicious. Wait, that tall building seems to be Dingfeng Mansion. He sighed, waving his hand, signaling. Dingfeng Mansion seems to be the tallest building within a 5 kilometers radius to the north of our residential area. According to the diagram of their shelter at this time, Han Feng exclaimed to him, that means we were going in the opposite direction just now. Han Feng simulated the route back to his shelter. Happy Residential Area is located in the 3rd ring road to the south of Hanchuan City. Happy Residential Area. And now we are almost at the 4th ring road to the north of the city. He raised his hand, carefully calculating the escape route for the two of them at this time. With the current situation, the only way to return to the residential area is to walk on the ground. We need to pass through a relatively high terrain in Jingshan area, then we can return. After considering it for a while, Han Feng sighed worriedly. According to the current situation, it is estimated that we will have difficulty getting there today. But only he was still calmly, excitedly reassuring. Don't worry, little brother. When we get to Jingshan area, I have connections everywhere. When we get there, I will take you to eat, play, rest for a while, and then we will continue on our way. He watched Ziyi walk happily on the snow like that, hurriedly reminding. This ice and snow road, you used to walk all the time. It is not as troublesome as you think. Before he could finish speaking, he had slipped and fallen head over heels. Han Feng had to rush over and support Ziyi. Brother, let us go slowly. This snow, I feel it is quite slippery. He glanced back at a building behind him and worried. The snow is falling thicker and thicker. It seems that we need to find a place to rest for the night. The snowstorm was getting thicker and thicker. The two of them could only trudge slowly to a place to take temporary refuge. Ziyi said while walking, little brother, it is only 3 kilometers to Jingshan area. He kept encouraging the two, just try a little harder for about an hour, and we will be there. Han Feng trembled, panting non-stop. The two stood huddled together, hugging themselves tightly, trembling and stammering. The snow is falling thicker and thicker. We have to hurry, otherwise, we might really freeze to death. No, it can't be. We had full preparations. Suddenly, they were startled, noticing something in front. Unexpectedly, there were frozen corpses outside. The two slowly approached to check. Seeing the personal belongings on the snow, he secretly guessed. It seems that there is no food. They must have relied on their own outdoor equipment and had no choice but to go out to find supplies. Then suddenly encountered a snowstorm, could not find a suitable shelter, and froze to death. Then he became even more frightened. Little brother, this snowstorm is too big. Let us rest for the night in the Jingshan Villa area and then continue, okay? Ziyi kept urging him. Otherwise, we might really freeze to death outside. At this time, Han Feng had to listen. Okay, then let us go quickly. Without hesitating for long, the two quickly searched for a place to hide. As they went deeper into this old city, small houses gradually appeared, but in front of them was a huge avalanche cliff. He looked up to probe. The Jingshan Villa area was not swallowed by the heavy snow. I wonder how the people inside are. Suddenly, the two saw a figure appearing in front. Someone's coming. Han Feng had to hurry to remind him. Isn't that the acquaintance you mentioned? Ziyi scratched his head blankly. Probably. Immediately he went forward, calling out, Hey kid, you wait for me here, let me go over there and ask. Seeing this, Han Feng unexpectedly stopped him. Hey, wait a minute. But, unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, Ziyi's figure gradually disappeared into the snowstorm. He began to worry, scolding. This idiot, with two people suddenly appearing at this time, this is not a good thing. But the result was unexpectedly, oh no. At this time, Ziyi had been captured by two strangers, one of whom was pointing a gun at him, threatening, Stay still, this is a robbery, little brother. Han Feng also quickly reached into his pocket, groping for his gun. But unexpectedly, that person fired a warning shot. He shouted, cursing, Damn it, do not move, be honest with me. The one next to him, seeing this, kept hitting the other on the head. You idiot, if you shoot him and injure him then you carry him up the mountain. He painfully had to turn around, explaining I saw that he was not being honest, it seemed that he was hiding something. He then gradually approached him, ordering, What is it? Take it out quickly. That person pointed the gun straight at Han Feng's head. He thought to himself, if I attack back with a gunshot at this time, my healing ability might be able to withstand a bullet. Then he turned to look at him. But Brother Li will definitely die. After a while, the group walked straight to the villa in front. One of them suddenly spoke. I was wondering why there were still people wandering around at a time like this. It turned out they had a gun. The other also continued. It is fortunate that we were careful. Otherwise, it could have fallen into the hands of this kid. He could only obediently and gently beg. All the supplies have been snatched by you. There is no use in keeping us. Why do not you let us go? Unexpectedly, he angrily cursed. Damn it, those words are useless. We have our reasons for catching you, of course. Ziyi also turned to ask him, little brother, what does he mean by that? Han Feng pretended to be naive, replying, I do not know. He deliberately teased, maybe they want to use us as emergency food. He was shocked, flinching. Little brother, do not scare me. Han Feng calmly looked back, secretly calculating. But, on the contrary, this is indeed a good place. He also carefully observed the scenery, feeling relieved. In essence, we can see the entire urban area of Hanchuan City. Finally, they arrived. One of them took out the remote control and pressed it. The door of the house also opened automatically. Han Feng exclaimed in surprise. Holy crap, there is still electricity? Wait, the city lost power, so this place can't have electricity either. It must have a generator or something. Then they continued to go inside. He looked around. These villas seem to have just been completed. Suddenly, the two brothers stopped, unable to help but be stunned. A large house in front of him caused him to exclaim non-stop. It is still a construction project. How can only two of them do it? Han Feng immediately smiled meaningfully. If we can kill them and occupy this place, with my abilities and the middle school girl, we can turn this place into a fortress. At that moment, one of them irritatedly hit him hard on the head. Damn you, what are you grinning at? Then they ordered the two of them to work immediately. Dig this place up for me quickly. They pointed to the shovel next to them. After you finish digging, not only will we let you go, but we will also give you supplies. Han Feng unexpectedly asked back, really? He threatened uncomfortably. Of course it is true. But do not play any tricks, otherwise I won't show any mercy. So the two of them had to happily accept. Chazi, you watch them. I will go rest for a while. Okay, brother. The one who was watching showed an uncomfortable, unwilling expression after seeing the other one enter the house. Damn it, he is enjoying it alone, only knows how to order me around. He angrily turned to the two, shouting, damn it, hurry up and do it, or I will shoot you both now. But Han Feng forced a smile, raising both hands meaningfully. Big brother, we are handcuffed. That person angrily pointed the gun straight at them. Just do it, shut your damn mouths. So the two of them just used shovels to clear the pile of snow in front of them. In just a moment, the two brothers had cleared quite a bit. At this time, Ziyi secretly whispered, little brother, after we finish, will they really let us go? I do not know. He glanced back, replying, let us just do it first. Suddenly, Han Feng noticed a small snow mountain right next to him. Over theirs. He tried to see clearer in that direction, and could not believe it. Han Feng hurriedly shook him, calling, hey, brother Li, look over there. What is it? Ziyi stuttered, his face pale with fear. That is a corpse. He hurriedly covered his mouth, stopping him. Keep it down, do not shout. Ziyi was trembling, sweating all over. Little brother, what is going on? Did they kill all these people? Han Feng speculated. It is very likely, so we can't just sit around and wait to die. Otherwise, we will end up in the same pile. So he leaned close to Ziyi's ear, whispering, brother Li, I have a plan. Immediately after that, the cursing and arguing of the two rang out. Damn you, damn you. He pointed down and shouted, I have already shoveled. Why are you still shoveling next to me? Han Feng also refused to give in, retorting, it is my business, I like it that way. That person immediately went over and interrupted. What are you making a fuss about, Dig? He loudly pointed his finger. Say a few more words, and I helped him shovel, but he is still blaming me. Ziyi also did not back down, acting like it was real. I am the one who is digging, this kid is talking nonsense. The two rushed over as if they were about to scuffle. Hey, you want to fight? I am afraid of you. He dejectedly turned around, leaving, only dropping a light reminder. You guys can argue as much as you want, but you have to finish before sunset. Immediately the two brothers stopped and glared back at that person. He turned around and walked away without being vigilant, not knowing that a shovel was right behind him. If you do not finish before this time, I will shoot you both. A loud bang rang out outside the large house, and the one who was watching was still comfortably sitting inside the house, resting and enjoying himself. He was even reading a book, laughing with interest. Suddenly, the one who was watching noticed and looked up. The two of them had snuck inside and were enjoying threatening him instead. Having fun, huh? Finally, the two were tightly bound, kneeling on the floor. Han Feng then opened his mouth to question. So that means, you are here because of debt collection. He raised his hand, pointing outside, interrogating. Those corpses outside, did you kill them? The two hurriedly denied it immediately. May heaven and earth bear witness, it has nothing to do with us. That is, right. We do not know either. He then chuckled sarcastically. So that is how it is. The people outside were not killed by you. They denied it in a panic. Yes, it is really not us. How could we do such a thing? Han Feng was determined not to believe it and plotted, it seems that you are not very dangerous criminals. He calmly decided, if that is the case, then you can leave. Seeing Han Feng smiling so gently, he could not help but wonder, little brother, do you really believe us? Do you really want to let us go? But his face turned to a sinister expression. Of course. Unexpectedly, the two were stripped of their clothes, shivering as they walked in the snowstorm. It is too cold, we are going to die. And Han Feng was standing behind, observing, even saying, go home, and put on clothes quickly, otherwise you will catch a cold. Causing him to think to himself, you are the real devil. Immediately after that, Ziyi hurriedly asked him, What should we do next? Han Feng held the gun in his hand, calmly replying, do we still need to ask? Of course we have to go back as soon as possible. He stood still, muttering, originally, I planned to go into the tunnel to observe before going outside, but unexpectedly, these unexpected things have delayed us for so long. I do not know what the current situation is in the residential area. Han Feng still could not stop worrying. I hope they are all safe and sound. The snowstorm outside was getting bigger and bigger. Jiyan sat in the room, still uneasy. They have been in there for so long and still have not come back. Could something have happened? The little girl sitting next to her comforted her. Don't worry. Han Feng is a disciple chosen by the evil god's true eye. He won't die so easily. Zheng Hao also spoke up. Now instead of worrying about them, let us worry about our situation. Why do not you have any worries at all? The uncle had revealed the situation at this time. After Han Feng went in, a team of soldiers came out of the cave. Among them was a scary guy who can control the earth. The image of Su Weiyu being close to the group of soldiers at that time, Yang Shuiyu seems to have a good relationship with this team of soldiers, so now everyone in the residential area absolutely obeys their orders. As he spoke, Zheng Hao picked up a cigarette and chuckled. Now we have become the common enemy of the entire residential area. Therefore, I need to understand the situation clearly. Perhaps right now, Jiang Shuiyu is mobilizing everyone to search for us. The uncle slowly puffed on the cigarette in his hand, exclaiming, really, those residents are really stupid, actually thinking that the military came here to save them. I'm afraid they won't even know how they were sold until they die. Qiu carefully pressed the keyboard on the computer and continued. Whether it is real or fake does not matter anymore. Even if they have doubts, they can't do anything. Choosing to obey will only increase their chances of survival. The little girl calmly made a comment. Humans are just such creatures. Before she could finish speaking, Qiu nodded off to sleep. Ji Yan hurriedly came over to remind her. Qiu, do not sleep without a blanket. You will catch a cold if you are not careful. Zheng Hao sighed, then stood up. Turning back, these two flower vases are really troublesome. The uncle just stood there alone, pondering by the window. Zheng Hao muttered to himself, thinking, choose to obey, huh? His past suddenly appeared on the boxing ring. Zheng Hao was a professional puncher. His trainer below the ring kept shouting, dodge. Damn it, what did I teach you? I did not teach you to stand there and take hits. But at that time, Zheng Hao had taken a punch straight to the face. The uncle lay on the floor, trembling non-stop. But the trainer still shouted non-stop, putting pressure on him. Get up, keep fighting. I have put so much effort into you. Do you want to go back to your old life? Get up. You do not have the right to fall down. Suddenly returning to reality, Zheng Hao coldly pressed the cigarette hard on the window. The uncle turned around and hurriedly urged the two girls. Hey, prepare to move. They are checking every house. Staying in one place for a long time is very dangerous. But before they could leave, there was a loud noise outside the door. The iron door was suddenly blown open and flew out. The three of them were startled, stunned. Zheng Hao still calmly said, found so quickly. Qiu was still groggy, not fully awake. Is it time for dinner? Outside the door, a large hand appeared. I smelled the scent of living people. There are indeed people here. It turned out that it was the fat man who had attacked Han Feng before. And on the other side, the cargo boxes were being checked carefully. No problem. Then they were carefully packed and loaded onto the car. Pack up the rest. Got it. Inside a room, a report rang out. Reporting officer, the roll call of the number of people has been completed. A total of 97 refugees, 126 boxes of emergency food. He nodded with satisfaction, replying, very good. Put them all in the car. Take them back to base. Got it, sir. The officer turned back to continue discussing with him. Okay, continue telling your story. Where are the three members of the advance team that we sent to that place before? Zhue, you carefully replied. This really has nothing to do with me. They were killed by a man named Han Feng. He frowned uncomfortably. What kind of person can kill 3 special forces soldiers? Even if you lie, you have to find a more reasonable reason. Seeing this, he began to hurriedly justify. He has superpowers. Many of us have witnessed him, melting metal with a kind of purple light. Zhu. You even stood up to explain. I followed your instructions and prepared a lot of sausages. All those things were used for people. But the officer did not care, raising his hand to signal. There are things that should not be said randomly. He was sweating and became anxious. In short, I have no way to retreat now, so I have no reason to lie to you. But he came forward and patted Su Yu on the shoulder, reassuring. You have provided a lot of this emergency food for us, so you have long become one of us. Moreover, I won't kill my own people casually. The officer's face gradually became scary, threatening him. I will send someone to find Han Feng, then we will face each other directly. To clarify, I hope you are not lying. At the same time, on Zheng Hao's side, the fat guy was growling, coming closer. I smell the scent of living people. There are indeed people here. He pointed and interrogated them. You, who is Han Feng? The uncle hurriedly pulled Qiu closer. Zheng Hao stood in front of the two girls, shielding them. Stay away from him, something's wrong with this guy. The uncle frowned in worry. Not only did he destroy the door that Han Feng reinforced, Zheng Hao also noticed a difference from the fat guy, but also emits a breath like a wild animal, completely not human. The uncle became fearful and decided to escape. Zheng Hao raised his hand high, preparing to smash hard back. Years of combat experience have told me that this guy is very dangerous. We must escape quickly. But immediately after that, the bones in the uncle's hand shattered. Zheng Hao painfully held his arm, asking, why is the glass so hard? Qiu then explained. The glass was also reinforced by Han Feng. So the uncle had to instruct the two of them. I will stop him. You two take the opportunity to escape. But Jian slowly approached the fat guy. There is no one named Han Feng here. Maybe you have come to the wrong place. Unexpectedly, he foolishly turned and left. So I came to the wrong place. Sorry to bother you. The three of them had only just had time to breathe a sigh of relief. Then the fat guy muttered, thinking, 1804. It is 1804. I did not go to the wrong place. He shouted madly, turning back. You are a bunch of liars. Then, the fat guy used his ability to control the earth, to attack. If Han Feng does not come out, you will all die. Zheng Hao struggled to hold the door. The uncle grabbed the two of them, hurriedly. Let us go. Immediately, Zheng Hao threw the two girls outside. Ji Yan shouted in panic brotherly. At this time, only the fat guy and the uncle were inside. He swung his hand high. I hate the most. Just like that, the two also flew outside from the window, are the ones who are dishonest. The house where Han Feng was staying at this time, he and Ziyi were unexpectedly using skateboards to move. Han Feng skillfully used it to land. He praised Ziyi non-stop. Brother Li, you are able to think of making snowboards. I really underestimated you. He continued to boast about himself. I have negotiated contracts worth billions, often accompanying clients to ski resorts. Happy residential area, there were two figures walking slowly at the foot of the apartment building. It turned out that the two of them had quickly returned. We are finally back. Let us find a window and sneak in. On the other hand, the fat guy was still roaring loudly. I hate the most is the one who is dishonest, causing the two below to be confused. What is going on? Qiu calmly used her black hole ability, immediately releasing a pile of cotton blankets. Thanks to this, the two girls were able to land safely. Han Feng and he frantically dodged immediately. Get out of the way quickly. Oh my god. After a moment, the snow dissipated. The two girls were also safe. He hurriedly rushed down to support the two of them. Are you guys okay? What happened? Ji Yan trembled, recounting. Suddenly, a big monster rushed into the room, wanting to catch you. But Qiu unexpectedly warned. He is coming again. Immediately, a sound of falling came, smashing terribly next to them. Han Feng glanced over, wondering, what is it again? Before he could regain his senses, he was pulled away. She frantically grabbed the little girl, and Han Feng, running away in a panic. The monster is coming again. The fat guy angrily questioned back. I am a good baby, you are the monster. Qiu kept cheering. Nurse Kim, hang in there. He is about to catch up, sister. Hang in there. Ji Yan, panting, unable to cope for long, helplessly shouted, you guys run on your own. The little girl had to urge Han Feng. Mr. Han, think of a way quickly. That is right. Think of a way. But in this situation, he did not know what to do with him. What can I think of? And the fat guy kept yelling nonstop, I am so hungry, I want snacks, I want to eat you. Hearing this, he immediately came up with an idea. That is right. Han Feng responded and waved his hand, signaling them. Everyone, go first. I have a way to deal with him. Then he grabbed the cloth bag hanging on his body. Han Feng held it up high, preparing to throw Big Baby. Just like that, he threw the cloth bag hard at the fat guy. Here, I invite you to have a snack. It hit right in his mouth. The fat guy just chewed the cloth bag deliciously. Soybeans. So delicious. But Han Feng smiled meaningfully. The reception was not thoughtful enough. Immediately his mouth seemed to explode from the inside. And then, the seedlings just sprouted from the fat guy's mouth. He stood still, trembling. A horrifying sight. The fat guy struggled to grab the weeds in his mouth, tearing it out. Unexpectedly, he was able to pull it out of his mouth. The fat guy became more and more out of control. Damn it, I will smash you into minced meat. But at this time, everyone was able to take the opportunity to escape. He gritted his teeth, pushing open the door. A bunch of Confucians, who only know how to run away. Immediately after that, he immediately ordered, the first group, follow me to chase. The rest seal off the surroundings. Got it. Just like that, the group of soldiers rushed up, crashing and clamoring. The officer also directly came and ordered. With snow falling all over the sky, they can't run far, so they can only hide in the nearby buildings. He approached the fat guy, consoling. Why are you injured like this? Only then did he raise his hand and explain, I ate the bean that he threw over, then this thing grew in my mouth. The officer picked up the weeds and examined it. Interesting. Having this kind of ability, we can solve the food problem for a short time. Then, he spoke into the radio with his subordinates. Bring the prisoner who was just captured down. Got it, Captain. In one of their shelters, Han Feng wrapped the blanket tightly around himself to keep warm. Then he turned back to ask her, what exactly happened? Why is not Li Xinghao with us? Jian sat on the chair and recounted, after you two left, a group of soldiers came. Zhang Zhueyu led the residents to join them. She also mentioned, they must have heard about you from Zhang Zhueyu, so they sent that monster to find you. Jian frowned, remembering, that monster destroyed the door that you reinforced extremely easily, then rushed inside. Hearing this, Han Feng waved his hand in disbelief. What? No way, that door can't be blown open even with a bomb. She still looked teary-eyed. After that, Uncle Lai stayed behind alone to buy us time. Now his life or death is still unknown. He had to comfort Ji Yan at this time. The dead can't come back to life, and we can't let his sacrifice become meaningless. We need to escape even more. But she resolutely made a decision. No, we have not found Uncle Lai yet. We have to go back and save him. QQ also continued. He is definitely still alive. Hearing this, Ziyi also patted his shoulder, urging, if we are brothers, we have to be loyal. He could only sigh, explaining, it is not that I do not think about that. Han Feng also pointed out, but facing that kind of monster, it is strange if anyone can survive. On the side of the officer at this time, Zhang Hao had been captured and was being escorted away. Captain, the person has been brought over. They were threatening, under the apartment building where he was hiding, Mr. Han Feng. Mr. Han Feng, we found an injured man. It seems like he is your friend. We have bandaged him and healed his wounds. He said loudly in the small loudspeaker, trying to get him to show his face. I know you are nearby. We do not have any bad intentions. Everything that happened before was just a misunderstanding. Hearing this, Jian could not sit still and frantically rushed out, ignoring the other two stopping her. Uncle is indeed still alive. I have to go save him. Calm down. He is lying to us. Going out now is a certain death. How can a woman have so much strength? Qiu was standing above, looking down to observe, but the person over there is indeed the uncle. The officer tried hard to win him over. Mr. Hanfeng, our organization needs talents like you. As long as you are willing to join, your wife, children, and brothers can all receive special treatment. Hearing this, the three of them questioned in a daze. You have a wife and children. Hanfeng also stiffened. I do not. After a while, they did not see any reaction from him. He turned around irritably, looking at Zheng Hao. Your good brother does not care about your life or death at all. The uncle had to reveal, actually, I've only known that kid for a few days. Hearing this, the officer went crazy, punching Zheng Hao painfully. You just met, but you dare to risk your life to protect his wife and children, making me misunderstand. Not only that, but the uncle calmly recounted, those two are not his wife and children either. They just met too. He became even more insane, pushing Zheng Hao to the ground. Damn it, a waste of effort. Then, the officer used other words to win him over. Mr. Hanfeng, you do not need to worry about losing your life. For a stranger you just met, you like women? We have so many at our base. You can choose whichever you want. Unexpectedly, Hanfeng was elated to hear this, his eyes wide, ignoring the others stopping him. Surrendering is not bad, huh? Little brother, we can't be lustful. Calm down, he is lying to you. Going out now is only death. Qiu stood in a corner, speaking up. There is not a single trustworthy person. She then came up with an idea for the group. I have a way to save the uncle. Can everyone help? The three of them looked at each other in a daze. What way? Below, the officer kept stomping hard on the injured arm of the uncle. He also said repeatedly, you tell me, in a normal situation, why do not you even answer a sentence? This kid is careful. Huh, is it because I do not look like a good person? Even so, Zheng Hao calmly endured, then replied to him. In this situation, there can't be enough food to support so many people, but you are searching for residents everywhere. What exactly do you want to do? The officer curled his lips sarcastically upon hearing this. Saving people is our responsibility. Selfish bastards like you can't possibly understand our lofty spirit? But the uncle laughed, mocking him. I spit, who are you trying to fool? The officer grabbed Zheng Hao's hair, pulling him up to threaten, since you are about to die anyway, then I can't not tell you. He said smugly, in the city now, what kind of animals are the most numerous, that can be eaten forever? The uncle glared, speculating. Sure enough, you are looking for residents too. Immediately, the officer stuffed the gun into Zheng Hao's mouth. Only the living consume food, and the dead will become food. Just as he was preparing to pull the trigger to kill the uncle, suddenly, items fell from somewhere. Look, something's falling from above. Looking closely at the falling items, they shouted, it is cigarettes, alcohol, and food. The group began to panic when they saw countless precious items. There is even vegetables and meat. Those things I have not seen since the Ice Age. Just like that, the crowd rushed up to snatch. They are all for your good, baby. No one can steal mine. Rice, it is rice. The officer unexpectedly had to shoot to order the soldiers, don't make a mess, get back here for me. Seeing that the situation was not good, he looked around warily. Once the soldiers are in chaos, they will definitely launch a surprise attack. Immediately after that, there was a loud noise from the building opposite. The glass was shattered just like that. A car rushed straight out, standing next to the officer. Hanfeng drove it, excitedly shouting, come on, come and fight. At this time, Qiu's plan to rescue the uncle was replayed. First, I will scatter attractive animal feed from the sky to attract the hungry goats. He immediately understood and continued, meaning we will throw a lot of food and supplies from high up to cause chaos among the soldiers. Then finally, the key point was, Hanfeng attacks in the form of a giant steel monster, breaking through the herd, rescuing the lost ones, and taking us to the new home. Hanfeng immediately explained to the other two. Basically, I will take this opportunity to drive straight into the crowd, rescue Li Xinghao, then pick him up, and escape together. Ziyi also agreed, good idea, but Jian was still dazed. Why do not I understand? You will get used to it if you hear it more. Immediately, Qiu pointed forward, ordering, everyone, act according to the instructions of the evil eye. But Hanfeng knocked her on the head, questioning, wait, first of all, let us not talk about how crude your plan is. Do not even mention whether the soldiers will be attracted by the things you throw out. He also questioned, then I ask you, where did you get the car? Unexpectedly, Qiu calmly replied, I picked up a giant steel monster before. At this time he drove it out, shouting, where's the good car you said? Isn't this a bulldozer? But Hanfeng was very excited. But driving this car is really refreshing. Come on, let us fight. The bulldozer stood in front of them. Then he turned around, bulldozing them together. Just like that, the soldiers were sent flying high. My rice. Seeing this, the officer frantically ordered the fat guy in front of him, stop him. Hearing this, he raised his hand to stop him. But Hanfeng kept moving. No one can be stronger than me. He calmly replied to the guy, want to fight strength with machinery. Are you out of your mind? Immediately after that, Hanfeng started the machinery. He was lifted high. The fat guy just fell backward. The officer, seeing that the situation was not good, shouted, if you do not want him to die, then stop immediately. Hanfeng sat in the car, enjoying it non-stop. What did you say? I did not hear clearly. And then the bulldozer was getting closer and closer. He gnashed his teeth, full of annoyance. So the officer just jumped to the side to dodge. Consider yourself cruel. The uncle was scooped away by the bulldozer. Without hesitating any longer, he sped away. Zheng Hao lay on the snow, panting. The uncle touched the snow covered with a layer of pink ability. It is softened. At the same time, Hanfeng shouted loudly, hold on tight, I am about to speed up. Seeing this, Zheng Hao shouted in panic, where do you want to go? The car rushed to the house, then suddenly turned sideways again. He sat in the car, waving his hand, signaling, I am here to pick you up. Waiting for the opportunity, the remaining three quickly jumped down, climbing onto the car. We are here. Along with that, a series of bullets were fired. Ziyi, sitting on top, hugged Qiu tightly. They are chasing after us. The officer, sitting in the car, kept ordering, fire, fire. He went crazy, demanding to chase them down, chase after them. We can't let them escape. But the soldier in the car hurriedly stopped him. Captain, the snow is too thick, the tires are slipping, so the car can't go any faster. The officer angrily slammed his fist down. Damn it, where did they get such a large bulldozer? Even our base does not have many. The soldier then replied, Captain, it looks like the car of our advance team. His face was etched with veins bulging because of his anger. The officer became more and more unstable, ordering, no matter what, do not lose their trail, we must find them. But, unexpectedly, a pile of things rolling towards them appeared in front. Captain? He widened his eyes in shock. Damn it, the iron barrels just rammed straight into their car. Not just one, but a series of cars. Thus their entire convoy was completely damaged. Fortunately, the officer was still alive, and got out of the car. He looked at the front and shouted in surprise, where did all these things come from? On this side, Qiu was also slowly taking back the ability she had just used. She stood on the roof of the car, triumphantly announcing, despair, yet this is the power of the evil god's true eye. At that moment, Qiu sneezed loudly. Finally, they had left safely. Han Feng, carrying the little girl on his back, could not bear it. Your snot is all over my head. Zhang Hao also spoke up at this time. Thank you everyone for saving my life. Then the group mumbled and chattered non-stop around him. The snot is congealed and can't be inhaled. Little brother, let me drive this big car for a bit. Han Feng, where are we going? He had to dejectedly recount. Brother Lai and I found a very beautiful villa on the hillside, so I plan to hide there. What do you guys think? Hearing this, the group chattered noisily. I think this way is also good. Agreed. I will listen to you, little brother. Suddenly the car stopped abruptly. What? Han Feng immediately questioned the little girl. Evil god, do you have oil? Immediately, Tutu quickly took out the treasure. I have it here. But, unexpectedly, what the little girl took out was a pile of cooking oil cans. The whole car shouted in panic. What I said was not cooking oil, put out the fire.